It kind of does, though.
Now, here are your hosts, Brock Eward and Mike Salk.
Hello! All right, hi, good morning, everybody. Brock and Salk show here on Seattle Sports on 710, seattlesports.com, the Seattle Sports app, and all the podcast platforms, plus YouTube. If you like to watch the show, you can see Sheil Kapadia in beautiful video form when he joins us at 7:30. Or on 97.3 HD2, another great way to listen to the show if you're here in the Seattle area, crystal clear. High definition radio, you just have to figure out how to work it on your car radio system, which is always a bit of a challenge. But anyway, if you can do that, then you can listen in really great, crystal clear, high definition radio. This is probably not a surprise, but given the 9-0 defeat last night, which really... sort of the Mariners at their worst, right? We talked about it yesterday. Yesterday, it felt like the night before was them at their best, and today was just, that's them at their worst. So, yeah, we're not surprised to see the text line light up. Are you interested at all to hear some of the freak out at all from last night? Lyle, you seem like you would like some good freaking out. You like a good freak out session by the text machine?
Always.
All right, well, here we go. Did the Mariners just ruin their chemistry and season by sending Logan Evans down? Man, I really feel like the worst reliever could have been DFA'd. All right, so no, I don't think they ruined their chemistry. I definitely don't feel like they ruined their season by sending down Logan Evans. He can always come back, and he may very well do that. My guess would be he was told, hey, you're here until somebody comes back. And then you're going back down. Doesn't really matter how well you pitch. And that's kind of the way it should be. You shouldn't lose your job because you were hurt for a couple of weeks. He may come back, and if after time, Kirby or Miller or anybody's not effective, at some point you start to have that conversation. But you want to talk about ruining chemistry? Yeah, have a guy like Bryce Miller, who's pitched as well as he has for the last couple of years, have him lose his job when he's out for 2 weeks. That's not a great plan. And then I won't get into the whole DFAing relievers thing, but obviously, you got to keep the right number of relievers on your team. I agree with Salk as of now. Can we trade Kirby tonight by chance? I did say a lot during the offseason that was the guy I'd be looking to deal. And, this is not an I told you so moment because George Kirby may very well just be coming back from some injuries and working his way back. Maybe he is back too soon. And I got a lot of text messages about that. But quite frankly, I don't disagree with any of them. Yeah, there's some freak out here in the text line, but also there's why the heck didn't Kirby stay in the minors until he was ready? I think it's a totally fair point. Why didn't he stay in the minors until he was ready? Like, why not give him more of these? I know he probably felt like he was ready, but he didn't pitch particularly well while he was in the minors. We weren't seeing George dominate AAA competition. There wasn't really a need to bring him back. Yeah, I'm not sure I fully understood that one when it happened, and I'm still not sure I fully understand it, given that he's gotten bombed in 2 outings and has an ERA over 11. Yeah, I think that's a totally reasonable question to ask. Totally reasonable. I don't know whether I'm going to find this one reasonable. Randy Arozarena needs to be traded. He brings no value to the Mariners. Yeah, that one's absurd. Randy's brought, I think, a lot of value to the Mariners. He gets on base. He runs. He's not hit for power this month, but he will and has, and I'm not worried about that. He's not the world's best defender. We knew that going in. It wasn't a great throw he made last night. But I assume that right afterwards you said J.P. Crawford needs to be traded. He brings no value to the Mariners, too, because his throw was actually an error. That was actually a bad throw from a much shorter distance. So, sorry, I'm not buying that one. But, yeah, the what the heck were the Mariners thinking bringing up Kirby this early? 425 says you might as well call up Larry Salk, my dad, and get one of his softball buddies to come and pitch if we're going to see 6 to 9 runs per outing from George. I don't know. I don't think you want to see that. They throw the ball real high in the air, and it's underhand. But I get your point. More freak out. The higher the ERA, the more inept the Mariners lineup becomes. It's been this way for seasons now. When I see a 6+ ERA coming up on the schedule, I plan yard work, no chance. It is bizarre when they get beat by guys who are just like, I mean, some of the worst games they've had this year were against the guy that literally the White Sox picked up off the street before the game. And then yesterday against Trevor Williams has been awful. Awful. He's been terrible this year. Those are two of the more inept games they've played this year.
I mean, speaking of the Nationals, the epitome of this statement that I always think of is 2 years ago against Patrick Corbin when he just went 7 shutout against the Mariners.
Yeah. I mean, like sometimes just a guy comes in who can't pitch and it seems to befuddle them. And yet they've beaten every ace they've played this year. Right?
Right.
I mean, they've dominated ace pitching. So if you have an off night against Trevor Williams, I can't like sit here and be like, oh, this team, blah, blah, blah. They've gone out and beaten Skubal and Crochet. We know the list. We've gone through it 100 times. Hunter Brown, all the aces they've beaten this year. But yeah, you would like to say, I don't know, maybe they get overconfident, overhyped. I don't know what the right word is, but tough one last night. And then, of course, the 5-2-0. This team is going, in capitalized letters, nowhere. We will lose to the Astros because we are the Mariners. Well, all right, I'm not buying any of that, as I think you know. And I do think that this season has looked a little bit different in a whole bunch of ways. But now you find yourself 1/3 of the way through the season, and given how many... Now, I guess this is a funny one. I was going to say, and I'm going to catch myself halfway through. I was going to say, given how many things have gone right for this team, they're still only half a game up on the Astros. But you could very easily say the opposite, given how many things have gone amiss or awry for this team. And I guess you kind of have to look at it in different ways. The things that have gone wrong are injuries, obviously, right? I mean, they're playing without their ace, Logan Gilbert, and have been now for a couple of weeks. Bryce Miller has not been healthy really all year. It certainly hasn't been himself. Hopefully this stint on the IL will help. You've been without George Kirby until recently. I mean, 3 of your 5 starters have been out. So in that way, things have not gone right. Obviously, you're missing your right fielder who, whether you believe it or not, they were counting on him to be a big part of this offense and defense as well in right field. So in that regard, I think you could say things have gone wrong. On the other hand, you got a month of Jorge Polanco playing and hitting like Aaron Judge. Like, what? No, that went much better than anybody would have expected. You got the full J.P. Crawford bounce back for a month. You got Dylan Moore looking like, what's his name? Oh, man, the guy used to play for the Rays and then went to the Cubs, who played every position.
Ben Zobrist.
Thank you, Ben Zobrist. Tell me Dylan Moore is not modern Ben Zobrist. By the way, the Mariners have been hunting for Ben Zobrist since Ben Zobrist was Ben Zobrist. They've been looking for Ben Zobrist forever. And Dylan Moore this year has finally been Ben Zobrist. He's been awesome. Unbelievable. Maybe the best story of the year. Hard to say. We have a little debate there later. So, like, some things have really gone right in a way that you could not have necessarily predicted. More things than I think we've said the past couple of years. On the other hand, you got those injuries to kind of balance them off. So, have things gone right? Have things gone wrong? Let's just say it's neutral. Things have gone about right. Well, you're in first place. Good news. You've also now dropped, 18 of 28?
And a lot of things have gone wrong for the Astros so far, too. So I just kind of worry, like, what could happen when they pick it back up. Now, they're not going to have Ronel Blanco the rest of the year, but, like, Jordan hasn't hit. Altuve.
They've got some
may
of
be
that.
over the hill, but he hasn't hit.
They've got some of that as well. But they're also not as good as they were. So, look, I don't know what's going to happen next. Maybe the Mariners are about to reel off 10 wins in a row. They won 7 in a row this time last year. Maybe they're about to go in the tank, and we're about to see them, El Foldo or whatever. I don't know. I have not had any freaking idea what's going to happen with this team all year long. I watched last night. Tell me if I'm alone. I watched the first inning last night, and I'm like, George Kirby's going to be unfreaking believable. This is the real George Kirby. Electric stuff. Second inning, bombed. Totally different human. I give up, man. I totally give up trying to figure out what this team is going to do from day to day. I don't have a clue. I thought they were going to stink coming into the year. They did for a week, and then they were great. Then I was like, all right, maybe they're going to be good. Then they've been bad. Dude, I don't have any freaking idea what this team is going to do from day to day, let alone week to week or for the rest of this season. No clue. And if you're on the text machine and you think you do, congratulations to you. I tip my cap to you, sir or ma'am. I have no idea what they're going to do from game to game, week to week, or month to month. No idea. I really don't. I thought I did, but I don't. And the next time I tell you that I think I do, remind me that I don't. Because I don't. I don't know. And I don't think you know either. I don't think anybody does. I'm not sure they know. Maybe they're still figuring it out. Because they look like a team that was ready to roll, and you heard, the great comments from Passan earlier this week of, they look like the best team in the American League West, this and that. And as I said, I get the numbers wrong, but they've lost 18 of 29. They're 11-18 since Toronto came in here and beat them. That's well below par baseball. And they've had some good teams they've faced in there, but they've also faced some bad teams in there. I have no idea, man. I have no idea what this team should do is going. Now, I do have some names because we're 1/3 of the way through the season today. 7 o'clock. I'm going to go through some names. I think I've got 6 or 7. How many names do I have? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I got 6 names. There aren't a lot of names out there for the deadline. I started looking. You look through and you know that they need, I got to go to break here. First, second, third base help, right? Or maybe right field. You could kind of do it however you want, but some combo of first, second, third, and right field.
Reliever.
Yeah, that's a different issue. Leave relievers alone. They're in their own bucket. But for hitting, first, second, third, outfield, you can kind of do it. You don't need all 4 because you can kind of move Dylan Moore around, etc. But first, second, third, right field. Go look at the teams that are out and look for, veterans who play those positions. I feel like I might have the only 6. There might be a couple others if we can come up with them, but I got 6. We'll do those at 7 o'clock. We'll give you everything you need to know next.
Wyman and Bob, afternoons 2 to 7.
The one and only John Morosi is with us. We're trying to figure out what's going to be happening as we approach the trade deadline.
For me, the lineup is still the spot where I would focus on the most. This team has shown they've got plenty of pitching. They always do. The second half of the lineup, for me, is what's going to be the difference between them having a good chance at a postseason berth and a team that can win a round.
Dave Wyman and Bob Stelton, afternoons 2 to 7 on Seattle Sports, the app, YouTube, and your smart speaker.
Discover one of the new inventions in home comfort with mini split systems from Home Comfort Alliance. Enjoy efficient heating and cooling, saving energy and reducing utility bills. Call now for a free consultation and get 18 months same as cash financing. Visit homecomfortalliance.com.
Feeling lucky? Don't miss the Lucky Classic Collector Car Truck and Boat Auction, Saturday, May 31st at Tacoma's LeMay Marymount Event Center. Hundreds of cars, vintage, muscle, exotic, classics, trucks, boats, and more. Saturday, May 31st at Tacoma's LeMay Marymount Event Center. Millions of dollars in inventory, many must sell with no reserve whatsoever. Get lucky, get local, and get in line for the Northwest's greatest collector car auction. Auction details at luckyoldcar.com.
An Aussie trucker travels to America to hike an epic trail.
It was rocky, it was imposing.
But Eric Robinson never made it to the end. I'm Dave Cawley. Follow my podcast, Uinta Triangle, UINTA, on Apple Podcasts or wherever you listen.
Your new beginning starts now. D.R. Horton has new construction homes available throughout the greater Seattle area. With spacious floor plans, flexible living spaces, and home technology packages, you can enjoy more cozy moments and sweet memories in your beautiful new home. With new home communities opening throughout the Seattle area, D.R. Horton has the ideal home for you. Visit drhorton.com to learn more. D.R. Horton, America's builder, an equal housing opportunity builder.
The success you've already had matters at University of Maryland Global Campus because we're a school for real life. An accredited state university, UMGC lets you earn up to 90 credits toward a bachelor's for prior learning, life, and work experience, or transfer up to 12 credits toward a master's. We offer affordable tuition and online and hybrid courses. No application fee if you apply by May 30th. Learn more at umgc.edu. Certified to operate in Virginia by Chev.
Welcome to AutoZone. What are you working on today?
My car is making this noise. Sometimes it's like doot doot, and sometimes it's like grrr.
Do you have a dash light on?
Oh yeah.
Then we don't have to listen for clues. With the free Fix Finder service, we can read a check engine, ABS, or maintenance light to find the likely fix and even recommend a local shop if you need one.
So you don't need to hear the grrr.
Not with Fix Finder. Everything you need, nothing you don't.
Get in the zone, AutoZone.
Restrictions apply.
That's the ease at which you get information. You want it, you get it. Like that. Ask your phone. Group chat. Smartphone. You're always connected and informed in real time. No waiting. So if you're diabetic and still using finger sticks to read your blood sugar, what are you waiting for? Knowing your blood sugar levels instantly is important for managing diabetes. Call US Med at 888-665-0696. To learn more about continuous glucose monitors, a real-time instant method to track your blood glucose, US Med is an approved provider for Medicare and over 1,000 private insurers. And the best part? Call 888-665-0696 and we'll give you a free insurance benefits check today. So call 888-665-0696 today. That's 888-665-0696 and manage your diabetes as easy as...
The home of the Mariners.
It is gone! Cal Raleigh, 2-run home run!
Hear every pitch on 710 and the Seattle Sports app.
My teacher is the best because she gives us pajama day.
No matter how old you get, you always remember that one great teacher. Hi, this is Rick Riz, inviting you to join WSECU in celebrating Teacher of the Week. This year, we're going to honor 24 great teachers with grants of $500, sponsored by WSECU, the credit union for Washington. Nominate an exceptional teacher now at mynorthwest.com/teacher.
Emerald Queen Casino Event Center presents the main event. Powered by WFC, Saturday night, June 14th. A night of professional boxing where champions are made and every punch counts. Contenders from the region go toe-to-toe, ready to prove they belong at the top. Tickets at emeraldqueen.com. Don't miss Fight Night, June 14th at Emerald Queen Casino, the boxing capital of the Northwest. 21 and older, need gambling help? Call 800-547-6133 or visit emeraldqueen.com.
The first Mariners Fireworks Night is coming up, and we're starting things off with a bang. Be here this Friday for our K-Pop Fireworks Show, presented by T-Mobile, after the team takes on the Twins at 7:10.
Jorge Polanco, his second home run of the night. He is absolutely on fire.
Get ready for an epic dance party as we light up the sky with a post-game show powered by the biggest global hits. Fireworks and Mariners baseball. That's two spectacular shows in one unforgettable night.
JP with a flip, and they got him at first base! How in the world?
Visit Mariners.com/fireworks to get your tickets and see the complete lineup of all 6 Mariners Fireworks Nights this summer, including a sing-along show on June 13th and a patriotic palooza on July 3rd. Plus, check out everything else on deck at T-Mobile Park, like 3 straight Mariners value games against the Orioles starting Tuesday, June 3rd. Mariners baseball. Try dance up.
This hour is brought to you by Community Transit.
Need to know.
15 minutes past every hour with Brock and Salk.
Here's what you need to know. Up first.
Well, Tuesday was the A+ version of the Mariners. Last night was the F-. A 9-0 loss in which nothing really went well at all. They let Trevor Williams go 6 scoreless. A guy who came in with an ERA of about 6.2. Didn't strike out much, but God, they did everything else. Lots of rollover ground balls, plenty of soft flyouts. They mustered just 3 hits against him, a couple from Masterboni, 1 from Williamson. That was it. The defense was sloppy. Not a lot of positives on the offensive side. And the pitching, yeah, this is probably more important, and it was equally as bad. George Kirby struggling for the second straight start. The long ball did him in.
Dangerous left-handed bat. They'll wind up in the pitch on the way to Wood. Swinging a high drive deep to right field. Tavares doesn't even turn around. Way up there, and it is gone way back into the lower deck in right field. That thing was way up there. And James Wood, a home run last night, giving the Nationals their only run of the game. The 3rd home run of the game tonight for the Nationals, and it's now the Nationals 6 and the Mariners nothing, and that was a no-doubter.
That ball was tattooed
So as people around here have probably learned the last couple days, he's really good.
Yeah, and he was a big part of the Juan Soto trade. I mean, not a huge surprise that a guy who's a centerpiece of that deal ends up being really, really good. He can hit the tar out of the baseball, and he certainly did yesterday. So, obviously, afterwards, you were concerned about the 3 home runs, right?
I thought George, looked real sharp early on, and then, a couple home runs, but I thought he started to settle in a little bit, and then they were able to, tack on some singles. A couple of those pitches pretty good, just able to flip them into the outfield and create some traffic, get some guys in. And
there was a little of that. I was more concerned about the 3 home runs that he gave up in 5 innings, ends up giving up 6 runs. Not really what you were looking for, especially after he came out, I thought, in the first inning with electric stuff. Obviously, it didn't last. Houston wins yesterday as well. So the lead in the West down to just half a game. One more against this Washington team tonight. Emerson Hancock against the lefty Mackenzie Gore, former number 3 overall pick who came over from San Diego, also in that Soto deal.
Here's the second thing you need to know.
Great job, Logan Evans. Here's your reward, a trip back to Tacoma, unfortunately for him. That's the reality for a young pitcher on this roster, with Bryce Miller set to return this weekend, and they had the opportunity to use an extra reliever until then. Why not? And they needed it last night. The team activated Jackson Kowar from the IL in his place. You'll remember he came over from the Braves in the Kelnick deal. He was likely to earn a roster spot last year before he blew out the elbow, had Tommy John. Now he's back, high-velocity right-hander. Throwing 98 last night when he made his debut, even had a strikeout, which was great.
Yeah, I thought, Kowar, I thought he threw the ball very well. Great to see him back out on the mound, as we talked about prior to the game. Getting a chance to get in there tonight and get his feet wet, for us. And again, that's been a long journey back for him, and great to see that. And then Blas Castano getting his first taste of the big leagues out on the mound and getting his first punch out, too. Amidst a tough night, some pretty cool moments too.
Blas Castano is an interesting person to watch. He is fiery and apparently likes to scream during his bullpen sessions. I think I might need to learn a little bit more about him. As for Evans, look, he proved he's got major league quality stuff. Good for him. He will probably return at some point this year. Certainly prove to the Mariners and maybe other teams as well. We'll see that he's ready for the big league roster spot. This rotation, unfortunately, doesn't really have room for him, and it's about to get more crowded as Logan Gilbert is going to have his first rehab assignment today for the Rainiers.
Here's the third thing you need to know.
All right, I'm kind of annoyed by this. It started here with some of these grades of the Seahawks offseason, but then this from ESPN and their power rankings. The Seahawks are number 21 in ESPN's power rankings. 21. Am I missing something? They finished last year with the 14th best record, right? That's why they had the 18th pick in the draft. They had the 14th best record. Now they're the 21st ranked team? Huh? They won 10 games last year. They were good enough that's good enough to get into the playoffs most years. You're telling me their offseason has been so bad that they've dropped 7 spots? I just don't see that. They're behind Arizona. They're behind Pittsburgh, who doesn't have a quarterback. They're behind the Cowboys. They're 10 spots behind the Niners and 11 spots behind the Rams. Am I taking crazy pills? Look, I grant that there might be a downgrade at quarterback, but that's significant? Mark Schlereth's not buying it.
I wouldn't necessarily put him in the top 10 of my list of top 10 quarterbacks, which consists of about 14 guys. But I think he's a very good quarterback.
That's him talking about Mark Schlereth on Geno Smith. Like, yeah, he's fine. Top 10? And what he's really saying, he's not even in his top 15. And by the way, if you think it's all about quarterback, they've got the Raiders ranked below the Seahawks. I don't understand it at all. Brock will be in. We'll talk more about it. Maybe Sheil Kapadia can explain it to us because he's super down on what the Seahawks did this offseason. That's everything you need to know. 1:15 every hour here in the Brock and Salk Show. Mariners are at home. Big homestand. You got one more with the Nationals, then you got Twins and Orioles to finish this thing out. 3 days of Randy Arozarena bobblehead giveaways. You got K-pop fireworks night coming up, Bark in the Park. Pride Month, Mariners value games. Fans can purchase tickets for all of that during this homestand at mariners.com/tickets. Tonight, I think it's supposed to start getting nicer out again tonight. Yesterday, I don't know. I've lived here for 16 years. I don't know that I can think of a more beautiful day than we had yesterday. It was perfect.
was pretty amazing.
Absolutely stunningly perfect.
And stayed warm late.
Oh.
Because sometimes this time of year, it's nice, but then it starts to get
It fades.
pretty early.
It was gorgeous out yesterday. Huge thanks to our friend Brian Nemhauser, Hawk Blogger, for having me out to play a little golf at his club. Had a blast, had a great time hanging with him, and it literally is just perfect. Perfect out. We're going to get a little rain this morning, but then by tonight it should be nice if you're going to go to the game, and then the next few days look just stunning. So pretty cool. Go down to the ballpark, support this team. You can see Emerson Hancock tonight, and it sounds like we'll get into re-debut of Bryce Miller sooner rather than later, which is cool as well. All right, John Smoltz gave us a lot yesterday, and he had some pretty unique thoughts on what he thinks is powering this Mariner resurgence at times this year. Stick around. You'll hear it next on Brock and Salk.
Bump and Stacy, weekdays 10 to 2.
He's just eating right now.
Okay.
Cal Raleigh.
I like that.
How about that?
He's in his zone right now, and he's doing it from both sides of the plate, which is the most impressive thing. And he's played every single day, even on his day off.
You do think, like, are you going to get days off? I mean, you're hanging on to Garver to give Cal days off.
Right.
That's the one fear I have with Cal's season so far is like, hey, let's get this guy some time.
Bump and Stacy, weekdays 10 to 2 on Seattle Sports, the app, YouTube, and your smart speaker.
My wife and I have been married for over 15 years, and I've never had any complaints about my performance in the bedroom. But after I turned 40, things started feeling different. I was gaining weight, losing muscle, and I just wasn't interested in sex anymore. My wife told me her friend's husband went through the same thing, and it turns out he had low testosterone. So we booked a free T-check at Revive Health, and that's when I learned that my testosterone levels were low too. We worked with a provider to create a custom treatment plan, and today, my wife and I are having more fun than we did on our honeymoon. My only regret is not reaching out sooner.
If you're ready to book your free T-check, visit ReviveMen'sHealth.com or call 206-529-1111. Again, that's 206-529-1111.
Get in the zone, AutoZone.
Welcome to Bundle Deal Days at AutoZone.
Well, I do need a bundle of things.
When you bundle, you save.
Do I save if I bundle oil with an oil filter?
Save up to $12 on that bundle.
What about brake pads and rotors?
Bundle those and the brake pads are free.
Can't save more than free.
You can save on hundreds of deals during Bundle Deal Days. Ends June 2nd at AutoZone.
Get in the zone, AutoZone.
Restrictions apply. Duralast brake pads only.
I'm Ed Evans, CEO of Consumer Cellular. No, we're not one of the big guys. Truth is, we don't want to be. If you're over 50, Big Wireless probably has you paying for more data than you might need. You could be throwing away thousands over a lifetime. We're not here to be the biggest. We're here to bring you something we believe is better. Our plans start at just $20. You'll get the same fast nationwide coverage without the big wireless bill.
Call 1-888-FREEDOM, visit consumercellular.com/facts or a store near you. Plans include $5 credit for auto pay and e-billing. See site for additional facts.
Texting enrolls you in recurring automated text messages. Consent not required to purchase. Message and data rates may apply.
Hey, Dan, how you doing? Haven't seen you around the gym for a while.
Yeah, I've really fallen off. Since I turned 40, I just don't get the results I used to get.
Could be lower testosterone.
Lower T?
Yeah, I went through it a while back. Once you hit 40, your body has less free testosterone. I got Nugenix Total T, and it's made a huge difference for me.
I've seen that ad on TV. Is it for real?
Oh, yeah. The key ingredient is something called Tesnor, which helps boost free and total testosterone levels to help you trim up and stay lean.
And it's made a difference for you?
Man, I feel like I'm in my 20s again. At work, in the gym, and in the bedroom.
Are they still giving out complimentary bottles for people to try it for themselves?
Yeah, you just need to send them a text.
Text BODY to 321-321 right now for your complimentary bottle of Nugenix Total T, the #1 selling testosterone booster at GNC. Plus, text now and we'll include a bottle of Nugenix Thermo, our most powerful fat incinerator ever, to help you get back into shape fast, absolutely free. Text BODY to 321-321. That's BODY to 321-321.
An Australian hiker travels to the American West to walk a wilderness trail.
Wasn't afraid to be out on his own.
But Eric Robinson vanished in the high Uinta Mountains.
I remember thinking, Eric, what were you thinking, mate?
I'm Dave Cawley. Join me on my podcast, Uinta Triangle, where I travel the world to answer the question, what happened to Eric Robinson? Follow Uinta Triangle. That's UINTA Triangle on Apple Podcasts or wherever you listen.
Headed outdoors or on the water this weekend? Check in with Joey and Nellie on the Outdoor Line from 6 to 8 a.m. every Saturday on SeattleSports.com.
Roof now, pay later. No payments until 2027. 0 down, 0 payments, and 0 interest for up to 24 months. Hi, Justin Shirley, CEO of State Roofing and Exteriors here. Since 1968, we've helped homeowners just like you get beautiful, durable roofs without breaking the bank. Book today and lock in summer pricing before it's too late. Call 866-ROOF-ROOF or visit stateroofing.com to schedule your free estimate. State Roofing and Exteriors, held to a higher standard since 1968.
Celebrate 50 seasons of Seahawks football at Lumen Field and take your game day to the next level with premium hospitality and incredible views. Host a one-of-a-kind event in a private game day suite or get front row access with sideline and end zone field seats. For more on how to elevate your game day at Lumen Field, visit Seahawks.com/premium.
Free consultations, no fee guarantees, 5-star reviews. J.P. Pendergast with Pendergast Law explains the importance of going beyond these familiar offerings.
Accident victims want an attorney, Tom, that satisfies their needs. Someone who handles those needs with the highest degree of care. Pendergast Law offers the no-fee guarantees and free consultations, but these only scratch the surface.
Okay, explain more.
We make sure that every member of our team is genuinely passionate about helping others. Customer service and communication are our top priority. It's how we take care of our clients so they always feel one step ahead of the insurance companies. Our strong reputation for high standards provides comfort and confidence when it's needed most.
Pendergast Law offers the free consultations, the no-fee guarantees, and, of course, they are 5-star rated. But what really makes them different is their genuine passion for helping others. I can't recommend them enough.
If you or a loved one has been injured in a car accident, call Pendergast Law. We can help.
That's PendergastLaw.com.
Brock and Salk's Rewind is presented by Toyota of Kirkland and Toyota of Renton.
From the Quantum Fiber Studio, you're listening to Brock and Salk.
Weekdays 6 to 10.
On Seattle Sports and 97.3 FM HD2.
All right, we roll on Brock and Salk Show, Seattle Sports here on 710. And with the Mariners winning again last night, we got kind of the A version of what they can look like when they are at their best. We've got John Smoltz with us to talk through what this team is and who they're all about. John, thank you. Good morning. If you had to describe this Mariner team in one sentence, what do you think they are so far?
Well, everybody knows in baseball that if the Seattle Mariners find a way to score runs, they're going to be in the playoffs and they're going to be a dangerous team. Now, they don't have a lot of sexy averages, but they have found ways to score, hit timely home runs. And even though they've got some injuries in their pitching staff, this division, everyone's kind of been waiting to see if the Seattle Mariners can score consistently, because then they become a very dangerous team. You got some teams in that division that are a little bit down. You never count out Houston. Texas just can't score. They've turned into, it's just amazing. If they score at all, they're dangerous. So it really comes down to Seattle finding ways to score runs.
John, I was thinking about this and excited to talk to you this morning. Does it feel like, maybe we're too close to this and you can tell me, Brock, you're an idiot, and that's fine. Does it feel like the Seattle Mariners of this decade have become what the St. Louis Cardinals were for so many years in developing their own pitchers in ways that just seems like others can't?
Well, they're definitely an outlier. Nobody has the resources or wants to put in the resources to develop. They just want to find them on trees. They just want what comes out of a computer, what spits out of the analytics. That's what they want. They don't want to spend the time and the resources to develop, because you're not asking these kind of people who are making these decisions. They're not really baseball people. So I give Seattle credit. I give Tampa Bay a lot of credit, but the Rays, and they know it, they develop pitchers and resurface pitchers, but then they all get hurt. So when there's a point of no return, when these teams are good at what they do, but then can't keep them healthy, then you got to find a team that is willing to find a way to keep them healthier. So Seattle's done a really good job developing pitchers, and really until this year hasn't had much of the misfortune of a lot of guys missing starts.
Well, one of the weird things that comes out of that, and you might be the exact wrong person to ask about this given how successful your career was into your 30s, but if you can, as you said, develop pitchers like they do, and I even referred earlier to them almost developing them in a lab, like they just, oh, you need another pitcher? No problem. You just grab Logan Evans in the 12th round and turn him into a more than serviceable starter. Does it affect the way you think about re-signing some of those guys or maybe even trading them beforehand as they start to get into their 30s and some of the years where maybe pitchers aren't as successful?
Well, I mean, you bring up a good point because this is where baseball's broke. The model's broke, and everyone knows it. So, yes, they're going to get rid of pitchers or burn them out and resurface the roster because no one talks about this. The reason they don't talk about it is because they know they can't talk about it. They can't keep pitching healthy. They're asking them to do things that are impossible. So when you can't keep them healthy, you're not going to talk about the health anymore. You're just going to say, we know there's a short shelf life. We'll get other guys. There's more people coming. That's why rosters have such a turnover in this area when it was the backbone of most of the clubs, a long time ago, and you could count on it. So clubs are figuring out we have a shorter time frame with these guys, compartmentalize innings, eat up 40 to 60 innings. Guys don't have their second or third pitchers yet. It's really a disservice to the guys that are so talented in our game, but the reward system allows them to do it. So you can't blame the players. They're trying to chase the reward system. And if they're asked to do X, Y, Z, they're going to do it, or they don't get a chance to pitch.
John, is it just simply the chasing of velo? And I know you've talked about this for years and years and years. If you were to point your finger at why for so many decades, Nolan Ryan's, John Smoltz's, Pedro, could do it and stay, fairly healthy, consistently healthy, and we just don't see that today. What do you point to?
Yeah, I'm not armchairing it. I've been on this for 10 years. I said it was coming, and now when it has, no one talks about it. When analytics came in the game, and I'm not anti-analytics, I'm just anti-all one bucket. When it came in the game, it was talking about how they're going to put players in a position to be healthier and successful. Well, they can say the successful part. They can't say the healthy part. So they don't talk about it anymore. If you're asking a pitcher to max effort and spin rate the baseball at an alarming and numbers we've never seen, you can't expect them to continue to do that. They've tried every avenue to come up with a reason why it would work. Less innings, less pitches. It doesn't work. Everyone gets hurt. When Nolan Ryan in our day was a freak, you understand he was the genetic freak. Now there's 25 Nolan Ryans. I mean, there's so many guys that throw as hard as he did or harder. That's not natural. That's not the way the game was supposed to be developing young men, but that's what happens now. And if you don't reach a certain threshold, you're not getting looked at, you're not getting drafted. And, oh, by the way, if you get a Tommy John, so what? We'll draft you anyways. And if you're heading for your second one, so what? We'll take our chances. And so that's the nature. If I had to divvy up the pie of the injuries, about 60% is max effort, maybe 50%, 30% is spin rate. The ball has something to do with it. The pitch clock is not even a 2%er. I mean, people try to come out and say the pitch clock was the reason. It has really nothing to do with the injury rate. That is, and you look at what the Dodgers have done. The Dodgers have accumulated and gone after pitchers who have had a history of injuries, thinking maybe it'll turn around. It doesn't. I think they have 14 pitchers on the IL at one point this season. So it really comes down to, can teams at the end of the year get healthy in their rotation, look for that team to have the best chance to make the long run.
Talking to John Smoltz here on Seattle Sports, the all-time record, I believe, for home runs for a catcher was Salvi Perez in the AL, 48. Cal Raleigh, as of today, and we still have one more game to go before the official 1/3 mark, is on pace for 58 home runs. He's got 19 already. How good is Cal Raleigh?
When they signed him, there was a high expectation, and it's delivered. Again, the game has changed. We're looking for guys who can hit the ball out of the ballpark, because that's the quickest way to put a run on the board. And for the Seattle Mariners, they're benefiting big time. Again, I looked at some of their averages, haven't followed a lot of their games, and there's not a lot of sexy averages, but when you get timely home runs and you get on base and score when you need to, that's the recipe for success. You're facing such really dynamic arms that, the storyline for the Mariners for so long was too many strikeouts, not enough runs. So if they can continue to keep doing that in a league in a division that is wide open, they're going to have tremendous success. And he's a huge part of that, especially at the catching position, because you just don't, there's not many guys like him in the league that can hit for power, play that premier position that has really beat you up during the year. So that, and then handle the staff.
So I'm glad you brought up the last part. We were just talking about it. A guy like Cal right now has played in every game this year. I don't know how many. I'm trying to think through your career of teams you would have been on where the best hitter was a catcher. There haven't been like a ton of them over the course of the years, but I would think it would create a lot of challenge for any manager because you never want to sit your best hitter down. But given the wear and tear of the position, can you afford to let your catcher, in this case Cal, when he's your best hitter, play every day?
That's another thing that's changed because of information. It used to be mindset and eyes, and you watch a guy if he's hot, you don't dare take him out, and you don't dare give him a rest because the rest study and sleep study says you give him a day off. Those are the things that have changed. We have too much information. We have too much things that get in the head of players. And there's no blend to that, right? So when you have all these sleep studies, and I marvel at a guy 7 for his last 12, but his is his day off. That would have never happened. So you got to be aware of what that position demands and pick your days off and really check and trust the guy that you're talking with and not be so subject to just this is the way it's going to be today, 2 weeks from now. But that position over the course of time does have a bigger impact on that position than any other position on the field. So you definitely have to. Brian McCann, when he got called up for the Atlanta Braves and made 7 or 8 out of 9 All-Stars and hitting 300, he was that young, durable kid. And then over time, obviously, that takes its toll on his knees. And those are the things you've got to look out for. And the best tandem catching team usually has a premier jump over everybody else because that position is just so difficult to get production out of that spot.
Smoltz, I don't know if you've looked at the numbers of what Andres Munoz has done as the closer of the Mariners this season, but it's been a remarkable run. As good as Cal has been, his battery mate in the closing end of things, his Munoz has just been outright unhittable and phenomenal in a 0.00 ERA a third of the way into the season. As a former closer yourself, what do you see in his game?
Well, it's ridiculous. I mean, that's just a dream start of a season. It's not like he has to strike everybody out to get you out, although, he has more strikeouts than innings pitched. But to be in that kind of groove and to have that kind of rhythm, first of all, his fastball is outstanding. And to have that kind of command, that is what you want, out of that position. I'm not saying this is a theory for every closer, but when I was in that role, it was going to happen fast one way or the other. I was either going to save it fast or blow it fast. I wasn't going to mess around and create too much, of a scenario where I was going to walk people and then eventually try to get out of jams. So he's been outstanding. Their bullpen, has always been known to be pretty darn good. But I think, again, their arms being the weapon of this ball club, when they get the confidence that they don't have to win 2-1, 1-0, that is a big time difference when you're looking at a team that everybody knows just needs to score runs to win. And I'm sure the confidence is growing in that department. And that's what every team wants to have.
Is that something that's talked about as a staff, as a bullpen? You think the Mariners pitching staff and guys actually talk about that, just the difference with having just a little bit more margin?
Oh my gosh. I mean, I can just only speak for ourselves. We would be sitting around going, if we could only, but the one thing as pitchers, you got to make sure you take care of your business. You can't be focused on that, but it's human nature. I mean, if you just look at our playoff run, how many more rings we would have. It's just right there staring at you. But what you don't want to do is you don't want to be stuck in a place where when the team does get hot and score, you're not ready and you give up 6 or 7. So it's a tough place to be when the narrative gets repeated over and over again. It's like historically some teams just struggle based on their rosters to get going. And, like I said, right now, Texas, I mean, Texas just can't score. It's unbelievable. And yet this is a team with high expectations, great pitching rotation. So it's going to come down to those kind of executions within that division that separate them.
Hey, did you know Kevin Seitzer, either from playing against him or his time in Atlanta?
Yes, I've seen Kevin and been around him and well thought of, in the industry of what he's done.
That seems to be the common. Everyone we've talked to is like, oh, of course I know Kevin. People just seem to rave about him. What kind of a role can a hitting coach have for a team? Because what we're seeing this year, it's obviously different from the last few years. What kind of a role can that position have?
Yeah, it's overblown. Too much credit, too much blame.
Right.
It's like the pilots of a plane only gets blamed when there's turbulence, not a safe landing, right? It's just amazing how quickly those positions go when a team doesn't hit. They're a little bit, hands are tied with the philosophy of hitting today and the information overkill. The guys get paralyzed one way or another based on the information or mechanically trying to lift the ball and hit it. But I think when you have an era where you don't get penalized for swinging and missing, then it can be pretty simple of what you're trying to do. I think teams, again, when you talk about outliers, when they want to go to the next direction and the next level, if they can figure out their roster being athletic, that means they can run, they can steal, and they can put the ball in play when they have to. That, to me, is the combination of success. And you're never going to win anything if you're in the top 10 in strikeouts. You just never. It just doesn't. There's no history of it. You might get one or two teams in 20 years that do that, but it comes down to that simplistic. Are you preventing? Are you striking out more as a pitching staff, and are you striking out less as an offense? And that usually is a really good combination.
I saw something from a coach I really respect, a different sport. Chris Peterson was talking about this and quoted with this when it comes to position coaches in football, John. And he said the number one job of a position coach in football is to create confidence in his positional group, in his players. Is there something to be said that a pitching coach, that a hitting coach, that an infield coach, in much the same vein, that is his most important job in the game of baseball as well?
Well, it definitely is. That's what was so good about our manager for those longest years running. Bobby Cox would give you confidence when you didn't have it. And when a manager can do that and he's your guy that's trusting you, you can't help but have confidence in a game of failure. There's no more sport where there's more failure and you're based on that than baseball. I mean, you can fail. Well, now you can fail 8 out of 10 times and still be considered pretty good. When you're not dealing with the highest success rate, especially as a hitter, the greatest hitters of this generation might hit 300, might have 3 of them in the league. So you think about how hard it is to hit and how much velocity and pitching there is. It takes, you almost got to have a psychology degree to be able to be a hitting coach to understand that, there's going to be some peaks and valleys, and you want to get your players ready for those moments when they get on a roll and, and can make some things happen. So no doubt it's probably the biggest and most important role of a coach because you got to understand there's so much information. They got everything they have they're looking at and they see and they know. And if X, Y, Z doesn't happen, you start going, well, I don't know why that's not happening. You got all the tools that you got all the information. So it definitely is a different way of coaching.
Well, it's like you at your U.S. Open. You have all the information, John. Right. You got the best clubs. You got great golf balls. You know exactly what to do. Go do it. Go get it done.
Yeah. The beauty of it is it's all about you now because there's no teammates in golf.
I got to tell you,
there's no teammates to bail you out.
My personal experience says that there's a lot of failure in golf. I mean, I appreciate that you say baseball has the most failure, but I've experienced a tremendous amount of failure in golf.
Well, there's no doubt golf as an individual sport, it doesn't get much worse than that to get exposed in the middle of no matter where you're at.
Hey, we found this stat the other day, and we were asking Passon about it. He couldn't come up with necessarily a great reason for it. I'll throw it at you. Maybe you do. The Mariners are one of the better teams in the league the first time through the lineup against a pitcher. They're about league average the second time through the lineup against a pitcher. And then the third time through, when most teams are having more success, they become significantly worse than the rest of the league the third time through the order. Can you come up with any theory on why that might be the case?
Things are so cyclical in the way that, they just, when information gets around, like I always said as a pitcher, if 3 teams know what I'm doing, I got to change. If that's the way it's happening, and if the league starts finding out a certain trend set, then they got to change. The offense got to change, the pitching's got to change. And maybe a little bit the fact that, again, like I said, I haven't watched a lot of the Mariners games thus far. Maybe it's an aggressive approach early. That aggressive approach doesn't get altered and the pitching changes because, again, the game is different where the pitcher shows the hitter everything he has right away, whereas you save things to face a guy a second and third time. That's not necessarily the case anymore. So it could be as simple as they're just super aggressive early, and then that aggressiveness works against them in the second or third time through.
Well, John, we appreciate
we're rooting
it.
for you.
Yeah, thank you.
We're rooting for you on 2 fronts, John. We're rooting for you to get a Mariner game on the national level, and then we're rooting for you, to just crush your U.S. Open qualifier so we can watch you in the U.S. Open.
Well, I did it 5 years ago, lucky enough to play at the Broadmoor. It's here again, so maybe it's in the cards. I'm speaking here tonight, and I'm playing here today as maybe a prelude. I hope so. And as far as the playoffs go, I've got the American League this year, so there's going to be a good chance in the second half, if the Mariners keep doing their thing, that we'll have some games, and if not, the playoffs, roll around, and this year we've got the American League.
All right, well, Brock, just be that good position coach, build up his confidence before the qualifier here, and John, go out there and do your thing, hit him straight, and we appreciate it. Thanks so much.
Sounds good, guys. Thanks for having me.
All right, there you go. Hall of Famer John Smoltz, who spent some time with us yesterday, and appreciate the opportunity to chat with him. And that would be nice for the Seahawks, or for the Mariners, rather, to get some national games. Haven't seen a ton of them in recent years, but first place team as we hit the 1/3 mark of the season. And you would think that if they're able to kind of keep that up, and what should continue. Look, even if the Mariners don't play A+ baseball for the next couple months, they're still going to be in it in the AL West, right? I think. I don't see any of the teams in this. I should be careful making any prediction because everything I've said, it just comes wrong immediately. But do you see any team in the AL West running away with it? I don't see that. Texas, I think, will bounce back a little bit. They're, 5 games out right now? I think they'll bounce back a little, but I don't think they're going to run away with a division or anything like it. The A's have lost 13 in a row and don't look anything like the team that we saw a few weeks ago. The Angels have played better than expected, but they're not very good. And I just don't see either the Mariners or the Astros as good enough to run away with the division. So in all likelihood, you're going to be in a dogfight with them throughout the year, right? Even if you're not playing your best baseball, because I don't know whether they're going to be playing their best baseball. So I don't know. I think that you're going to be in that hunt throughout the season. And, in this American League where there really aren't a lot of runaway teams, Detroit's really good. The Yankees are good. And then I don't really know what to make of those other teams in the AL Central. I haven't had a chance to see enough of them yet. We're going to see Kansas City eventually, and we'll see Minnesota here starting, tomorrow, and then who am I missing? Oh, Cleveland as well. Those teams they're all pretty good. They're all above 500. Chicago's really the only weak team in that division. They're all good, but none of them feel great other than Detroit. So I don't know if Detroit is great, but very good anyway. I think you're in it all season, almost regardless. And it will end up coming down to a few of those games here and there that you find a way to steal versus finding a way to lose. And we'll see if they can get that done. Now, also, it means these next couple months become about what you need to add, what you need to bring in, how you need to take the roster that you've built and change it, right? Modify it, improve it for what you hope is a great stretch run in the last 2 months of the season. I got some names. I got 6 names for you. And we'll chat about those and a few other things with Brock next on Brock and Salk.
Wyman and Bob, afternoons 2 to 7.
The one, the only John Morosi is with us. We're trying to figure out what's going to be happening as we approach the trade deadline.
For me, the lineup is still the spot where I would focus on the most. This team has shown they've got plenty of pitching. They always do. The second half of the lineup, for me, is what's going to be the difference between them having a good chance at a postseason berth and a team that can win a round.
Dave Wyman and Bob Stelton, afternoons 2 to 7 on Seattle Sports, the app, YouTube, and your smart speaker.
Feeling lucky? Don't miss the Lucky Classic Collector Car Truck and Boat Auction, Saturday, May 31st at Tacoma's LeMay Marymount Event Center. Hundreds of cars, vintage, muscle, exotic, classics, trucks, boats, and more. Saturday, May 31st at Tacoma's LeMay Marymount Event Center. Millions of dollars in inventory, many must sell with no reserve whatsoever. Get lucky, get local, and get in line for the Northwest's greatest collector car auction. Auction details at luckyoldcar.com.
Upgrade to an efficient heat pump AC now before the summer heat. And Home Comfort Alliance will save you up to $6,000 limited time savings. And you can take 18 months to pay with zero interest. Call for a free quote. HomeComfortAlliance.com.
Riverside Roofing is offering $1,000 off a new roof replacement. Book a free estimate online, and when you meet with Brandon, that's Don's son, tell him you heard the message on the radio station. Go to riversideroofingllc.com. It's Riverside Roofing, the roofing company you can trust.
Patrick was way behind on his IRS taxes.
I was in way over my head. The total amount ended up being somewhere just over $30,000. $30,000.
Then the IRS came to collect.
Started getting letter after letter. A lien had been filed against me. They were going to basically hang me completely out to dry.
He had to do something.
That's when I reached out to Optima Tax Relief.
Patrick's life quickly got a lot easier.
It was very easy, pretty much hands off. They picked up the ball and ran with it.
And how'd it go?
I couldn't believe it. I had to ask 2 or 3 times. I saved an incredible amount of money.
How does Patrick feel about Optima?
Couldn't be happier. They definitely helped me. Optima Tax Relief, the best place to call. They're the best in the business.
Do what Patrick did and call Optima Tax Relief for a free consultation. Call 800-343-6460. 800-343-6460. 800-343-6460. Optima Tax Relief. Testimonial from an actual client. Some restrictions apply. For complete details, please visit OptimaTaxRelief.com.
I'm still going for it, even with higher stroke risk from atrial fibrillation, an irregular heartbeat not caused by a heart valve problem. Over a 3-year study, Eliquis apixaban tablets reduce stroke risk better than warfarin, and over 97% of Eliquis patients did not experience a stroke. A first stroke occurred in 2.9% of warfarin patients versus 2.3% of Eliquis patients.
Don't stop taking prescription Eliquis without asking your doctor. It may increase your stroke risk. Eliquis can cause serious and in rare cases fatal bleeding. Don't take Eliquis if you have an artificial heart valve, abnormal bleeding, or antiphospholipid syndrome. While taking, you may bruise more easily or take longer for bleeding to stop. A spinal injection while on Eliquis increases risk of blood clots, which may cause paralysis, the inability to move. Get medical help right away for unexpected bleeding, unusual bruising, or tingling, numbness, or muscle weakness. Medications such as aspirin products, NSAIDs, SSRIs, SNRIs, and blood thinners may increase bleeding risk. Tell your doctor about all planned medical or dental procedures. Learn more at Eliquis.com or call 1-855-ELIQUIS.
Get in the zone, AutoZone.
Welcome to Bundle Deal Days at AutoZone. Well, I do need a bundle of things. When you bundle, you save. Do I save if I bundle oil with an oil filter? Save up to $12 on that bundle. What about brake pads and rotors? Bundle those and the brake pads are free. Can't save more than free. You can save on hundreds of deals during Bundle Deal Days. Ends June 2nd at AutoZone.
Get in the zone, AutoZone.
Restrictions apply. Duralast brake pads only.
Progressive knows there are some surprisingly expensive things in life, like frames. Because you found a classic 70s concert poster. But when you went to get it framed, you realized the frame will cost about 4 times the amount of the poster. Which is actually absurd because no one will be looking at the frame, and if they are, then you severely overestimated how cool this poster is. But then you remember by switching your home and auto to Progressive, you could save hundreds and put it towards a classic 70s concert poster in an absurdly overpriced frame. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company, affiliates, and other insurers. Not available in all states.
That's the ease at which you get information. You want it, you get it. Like that. Ask your phone. Group chat. Smartphone. You're always connected and informed in real time. No waiting. So if you're diabetic and still using finger sticks to read your blood sugar, what are you waiting for? Knowing your blood sugar levels instantly is important for managing diabetes. Call US Med at 888-665-0696. To learn more about continuous glucose monitors, a real-time instant method to track your blood glucose, US Med is an approved provider for Medicare and over 1,000 private insurers. And the best part? Call 888-665-0696 and we'll give you a free insurance benefits check today. So call 888-665-0696 today. That's 888-665-0696 and manage your diabetes as easy as...
Let's go! This is Seattle Sports.
Streaming through the Seattle Sports app.
KIRO AM Seattle. KIRO FM HD2 Tacoma. Home of the Seahawks, Mariners, and everything Seattle sports.
This hour of the Brock and Salk Show is powered by Star Rentals, preferred supplier to the West's best contractors.
Get me a freaking auto! From the Quantum Fiber Studio, this is Brock and Salk on Seattle Sports.
I don't read the internet, guys.
Take the bull by the hands.
And Brooke, you are. And Brooke, you are.
Now, here are your hosts, Brock Heward and Mike Saul.
Good morning, sir. Hello. Hi, Brock.
hello.
There
Hi.
you go. Oh, okay.
Oh,
Hi.
hello.
Good morning. Yes.
I was just getting caught up in
I
Mora.
can see that. Yeah, I know. You and Mora really had to. You got to hear all about like big night last night.
Sure did.
He didn't want to go on the air. He still wanted to continue talking.
Yeah, I believe
the
it.
Jaeger bombs. There was a lot of psychological study. Is Chris more like mom or dad?
Mhm.
What did she learn? What did she take away?
Sure.
So there was a lot going on right there.
I'm sure there was.
yeah.
Well, and quite frankly, after watching a 9-0 loss last night, who wants to dig into that? I don't think that anybody wants to. So I got a bunch of Mariner things over the course of the day, and we are going to talk to Hembo at 8:30 from ESPN and get some thoughts. He said he was going to be posting a Cal Raleigh video this morning as well. I haven't seen it yet, but I'll look for it here in the next hour and a half or so.
He posted it.
Oh, he did? Oh, good. Oh, maybe I'll try to make sure I watch that in the next break. There's also we got Here's the Thing in an hour, and you might be able to squeeze in a last entry. I don't know. Maura put together a bunch of them this morning, but if you want to try, make sure you have the app downloaded, and you can leave us a little message for Here's the Thing in an hour. But you want to have a Kirby conversation, or do you want to have a trade deadline conversation?
Salky.
I know.
I kind of just want to have your hockey coach handshake
We'll play that. I got that coming up at 9:30. I promise.
Gosh, I like that a
I
lot.
knew you would. Paul Maurice.
That might have been some of my favorite sounds you have sent me in a long time.
I knew you were going to like it. Yeah, I've got some of that for you a little bit later.
No, I didn't like it, so
You loved it. Yeah, it was pretty great.
Yeah.
Hockey.
Let's go Kirby.
Okay.
Let's talk a little George, because that's ever present. I was thinking, and obviously I think some of this is finding your footing, some of this is maturing, some of this is just working your way back, obviously. But I haven't seen much furious George in these two starts. And there were some moments last night that he could have been a little furious, right? Obviously gets a double play ball right after Rowdy, makes it real hard on him. A little later, then you see Randy not really busting it to the ball down the line, and JP not quite ready. I think a little shocked that they sent the runner, and I think in years past, you would have seen a little bit of furious George Birkin.
Mm-hmm.
And again, this might just simply be it's two games, right?
You think Furious George doesn't relate well to the grace mantra? That the whole idea of giving grace to your teammates, giving grace to each other, giving grace to yourself. Maybe that doesn't work as well for George.
Maybe that's not the way that he's necessarily wired.
It's possible
because he has shown some of that emotion and frustration, and he's played to that. And Scott did not mind that. Scott wanted guys to be who they were. And you would see some of that emotion come out of them. And on top of it, I didn't see, and I may have been wrong. I wasn't charting it. So, Lyle, I know you look at all the next level stats and your savant and all the good stuff. I didn't see a lot of 97, 98. I saw a lot of 94, 95. And thus, I saw an immense amount of spin that just seemed to sit right over the plate for those guys to hit a bunch of bombs and do a bunch of damage on. So, yeah, I didn't see, most importantly, take the emotion off. I just didn't see the confidence in a fastball that really sets the tone for his whole arsenal.
Yeah, I'll tell you what I saw is a guy that didn't have spring training.
Yeah.
And I was always a little wary of this. Look, of the pitchers in this rotation, George is always the one I've been a little bit wary of. He's the guy that I would have, if I could have traded one this offseason, he's probably the one that I would have dealt. We talked about that a fair amount during the offseason. Some of it is what Lyle has talked about, and we've texted about this. It was in our email last night. There is no real specific out pitch. He throws everything well. He's got a good fastball. He's got a good curveball. He's got a good slider. He's got a good change. Like, he does everything well.
Mm-hmm.
But in a big moment, what's the wipeout pitch? Right? And Lyle, I think you summed all that up. He can still be a really good pitcher even without it. But if he can find that, then he becomes like a dominant, a really great pitcher.
Sure, yeah. Like, George Kirby's really, really good when he's at his best. Don't get me wrong. He's had back-to-back 4-win seasons. It's just when everybody talks about George Kirby and the potential between the stuff and the command and what it has the ceiling to be, the last step is finding that swing and miss pitch, and he still hasn't yet found it. Not to say he can't, but he hasn't found it yet.
Well, and then you end up with, nights like last night where it is getting hit. And by the way, in the first inning, he looked ridiculous. He looked electric. He looked 100% back. I was like, oh, we're going to see like the real George. This is going to be fun tonight.
Way to go, Salk.
Yeah, no kidding. I don't have any.
Way to go.
Oh, believe me, I have no idea what's coming next with this team. I know that as well as you do. But it just watching the rest of the start. It just looks like a guy who's still not quite ready, and I'm not that surprised by that. It felt like he didn't do enough in his rehab appearances with Tacoma to fully make up for not having a spring training at all.
So a nervous Nelly out there would say, well, why is it going to be different for Bryce and Logan? You think because they had
full spring training. I mean,
because they were totally built up, it should be different. That command and feel and all of it should come back that much faster.
Yeah, I mean, Bryce isn't even going to have he's not even going to have a rehab start. I mean, like, he's only missed 2 weeks, so I don't put that in the same category at all. Now, we'll see whether or not he's going to be effective or not. We're going to learn, how well the cortisone shots will end up helping with the bone spur. But it won't be because he's not built up. It'll be because either it works or it doesn't.
Yeah.
With Logan, he had spring training. He pitched into the season. He's going to need some time, rehab starts, etc. But this guy didn't have a spring training. And I don't know how many times we've had these conversations about pitchers that don't have spring training. They need more time. They need to build up. They need to work out the kinks and all the things that happen generally in Arizona. Do you remember? I mean, you remember how bad Logan Evans was in spring training?
Mm-hmm.
He was awful. I watched that guy at spring training. I looked at Lyle. I was like, dude, what have you been telling me about this guy? He's awful. And then we see him in the regular season. He's been great. Right, you got to work out some of those kinks, and obviously the air and Phoenix, everything else about spring training. But he's been awesome. You got to work through all those things, and he has not had, in my opinion, nearly enough time to do that.
Mm-hmm. Okay, that's all fair. All right, what was your other topic behind door number 2? So one was George, the other was
I was just wondering if you wanted name. We're at the 1/3 mark.
Yeah.
At 9:30 today, I told you we'll get to some of the Paul Maurice stuff, but at 9:30, I thought maybe we could give some not mid-season, 1/3 of the season awards.
When are we going to get to more date stuff? I mean, we got Sheil Kapadia, we got Blue
I don't know that we're going to be spending a lot of time on Moore's date.
The thing, we got Hembo.
I heard a lot about it off the air. It doesn't sound like there's a lot of great material there, unfortunately.
We had a delicious meal.
Goodness. Why you got to diminish it like that, Saul?
I'm not diminishing the date. I'm diminishing the story. There's not a lot of entertainment value to the story.
When Maura had some voice issues, some sound issues, and Chris had to pull her aside and say, hey, tone it down a little bit. Let's not have a third glass of wine.
Now you're making up stories. You're making up stories about Maura, and that's not fair.
You got a name for me? You got a name?
So I got like 6 names, but it doesn't sound like you want them. It sounds like you want to talk about Maura's dating stuff. So I don't need to tell you the names. That's fine if you're not interested in names.
Is O'Hearn way up there on that list?
He's on the list.
Is that the name you're going to give me?
He's one of the names. I went through you last night and just looked at every team that could possibly be seller at the deadline.
Including one that's going to come in here after this weekend.
The Orioles, yep. I looked at all the teams that could. They're not a lot. And most of the teams that are selling, I looked at first base, second base, third base, outfield. Because I feel like you can use probably 2 of those things in some capacity and then move your pieces around.
Mm-hmm.
A ton of great options of guys that are like old enough to be traded, right? That aren't like 23 years, 25 years old and still kind of in the prime of what that team is trying to do. Or not on horrible contracts or whatever. There aren't a tremendous number of options. You mentioned Ryan O'Hearn. He's having a really good year. John Morosi said his name yesterday.
I'll give you one name to think about as Baltimore continues to struggle. a Ryan O'Hearn type of a player. He's a guy that is on an expiring contract. Adding in maybe one more bat to that later part of the lineup, I think is where they should probably focus their time. You could always add another reliever, and typically relievers are very plentiful and available at the later part of July.
Yeah, we'll keep the relievers kind of in their own category. But yeah, O'Hearn's a name. That one's worth talking about. So is Cedric Mullins. And I think Jordan Schusterman mentioned him yesterday with Bump and Stacy. Those would be two Orioles that I think you should be looking at. And I've always loved Mullins' game, but he's getting up there a little bit. I don't think you're going to do this because of how much contract you'd have to take on. I don't think the A's would do it, but the A's have been so bad that I would think Brent Rooker at least comes up again as part of a conversation. Now, they've signed him for like 4 more years at some significant money, so it's not what it was a couple of years ago. But I think you got to at least remember the name and, keep it out there because he fits. He certainly fits what they would want to do at first base. I mentioned Rhys Hoskins last week. If Milwaukee fades, right now they're around 500, couple games under. If they fade, Hoskins is a great fit for this lineup. Play first base. Brandon Lau is another one. I don't know what Tampa's going to do, but they almost always seem willing to trade anybody off their roster. So second base option, Brandon Lau. That one has always been a good fit for the Mariners, and he's on an expiring. I think he's got 1 more year after this, so you could have him for 1.5 years. But the other name, and this should be a familiar one because of his time in Texas and then in New York, would you have any interest in Isaiah Kiner-Falefa? Isaiah Kiner-Falefa. I love his name. I always screw it up. But Isaiah Kiner-Falefa. He's in Pittsburgh. They're going nowhere fast. He can play third. He can play the outfield. He can play short in a pinch. I mean, he's kind of in that Dylan Moore mode where he can play all over the diamond wherever you need him. And he's having a pretty good year in Pittsburgh, even though they're awful. Expiring deal, so you're not giving up a tremendous amount to get him. Would that help solidify at least one of those positions for you?
Yeah, I am curious, and was curious if you were going, and I know it's a totally different silo, but I was kind of curious as you rattle those names off. I know for me, and probably other Mariners fans are like, okay, well, how does that compare to what you have within? How does that compare with Cole Young, who has yet another blistering night last night down in Tacoma, right? I mean, what if you give one of your own guys that you've developed and you've been, high on this development train within your program?
Well, you can do that first.
That's right.
I mean, I'm not saying you don't do those things, but, there's a lot of risk associated with bringing somebody up from the minor leagues versus Kiner-Falefa, who's been playing in the big league since 2018. He's 30 years old, but he's in the middle of, right now, already a 1.3 WAR season. He's got an OPS of 724. He's a good defensive player. Like, you just know what you're going to get.
Yeah.
I don't know. That to me has some value because you could play third, because he could play, he could probably play second, quite frankly, if you needed him to. Lyle, you look like you want to jump in on this.
No, he can play everywhere. I was originally just going to say they have to take a bigger swing than that if they really want to have a big deadline. But to your point, yeah, if they make other moves first and then as an add-on, go get IKF, sure.
There just aren't a ton of big. I mean, would Rhys
Hoskins? Do you know IKF's dad too? Do you know IKF's dad too?
I do not know IKF's dad.
Probably does.
But more in the light of, to your point, if they get Hoskins and IKF, or if they get
that's a pretty good deadline.
O'Hearn and IKF, sure, yeah.
That's kind of how you put together a deadline and bring in a couple of veteran players who've done it and been there before, and kind of put them. If it's Brandon Lau and Ryan O'Hearn, like, hey, that's a new right side of your infield that gives you the opportunity to play Dylan Moore in different spots. Yeah, I think you could do something to help this team, and the way they've played here over the last 30 games or so. You could probably use it because the quality of baseball we've seen has dropped off a little bit. All right. Coming up, we got Sheil Kapadia. Brock's very mad at him. We're going to have a family feud in 20 minutes after everything you need to know next.
Wyman and Bob, afternoons 2 to 7.
The one, the only, John Morosi is with us. We're trying to figure out what's going to be happening as we approach the trade deadline.
For me, the lineup is still the spot where I would focus on the most. This team has shown they've got plenty of pitching. They always do. The second half of the lineup, for me, is what's going to be the difference between them having a good chance at a postseason berth and a team that can win a round.
Dave Wyman and Bob Stelton, afternoons 2 to 7 on Seattle Sports, the app, YouTube, and your smart speaker.
Hey, it's Dr. Coogan with Eastside Weight Loss Clinic. Spring is here, and I know you want to look and feel your best as you head into this new season. Are you tired of the roller coaster of losing weight just to see it all come back again? Maybe you've heard about the new drugs but are concerned with the possible side effects, or you're taking weight loss drugs but also want to learn how to change your lifestyle for long-lasting results. We can help you. We have a team of health coaches that can support you every step of the way. Schedule your free 15-minute, no-pressure phone consultation online at eastsideweightlossclinic.com.
Hey, it's Mike Salk here with Ryan Rowland Smith.
Thanks, Mike. I've been hearing for about 2 years now how you did the Eastside Weight Loss Clinic plan, and you lost a ton of weight. So I decided to see what the program was all about, and I'm so glad I did. So far, I've lost 30 pounds. My only regret is not starting sooner.
Join the thousands of people who've lost 20 to 30 pounds or more in just 60 days. It doesn't matter where you live. You can do our program in person in Kirkland or all remotely. Schedule your free phone consultation online at eastsideweightlossclinic.com. That's eastsideweightlossclinic.com.
Dr. Ryan Coogan, D.C. Results may vary.
Auto Lock Masters reminds parents the fatal crash rate for teens peaks at age 19, and we lose nearly 8 kids every day. Please make a family agreement to never drive under the influence of alcohol or drugs, text behind the wheel, or ride with anyone who is. Always designate a sober driver, call a parent or rideshare, and let's bring our sons and daughters home safely. Best wishes to the class of 2025 from the entire team at Auto Lock Masters ALM, the family-owned automotive key specialist, proudly serving the greater Seattle area, online at autolockmasters.com.
Welcome to AutoZone. What are you working on today?
My car is making this noise. Sometimes it's like doot, doot, and sometimes it's like grrr.
Do you have a dash light on?
Oh, yeah.
Then we don't have to listen for clues. With the free Fix Finder service, we can read a check engine, ABS, or maintenance light to find the likely fix and even recommend a local shop if you need one.
So you don't need to hear the grrr.
Not with Fix Finder. Everything you need, nothing you don't.
Get in the zone, AutoZone.
Restrictions apply.
During National Military Appreciation Month, we at University of Maryland Global Campus say thank you to the service members, veterans, and families who dedicate their lives to our country. We are deeply grateful. For over 75 years, UMGC has proudly served the military community, from installations overseas to the communities you call home. Wherever you serve, we stand with you. Learn more at umgc.edu/thanks. Certified to operate in Virginia by Chef.
Was drafted in 1999 by the Philadelphia 76ers, and that was just absolutely a dream come true.
Todd's playing in the NBA is unique. His battle with neuropathy is not.
I first started noticing problems a couple years into my NBA career, and I felt like my sock was just balled up right in the arch of my foot, and there'd be areas of burning and tingling, and then there'd be other areas of deadness where there would be no response to touch. We tried everything possible, from surgery to different drugs, to try and take care of some of the symptoms.
I'm Dr. Mark Shelley, a chiropractic physician and board-certified functional neurologist at Sound Pain Solutions. Our neuropathy treatments can rehabilitate damaged nerves. We use FDA-cleared, non-surgical, non-drug, pain-free procedures that have helped thousands of neuropathy sufferers find relief.
Now I'm able to spend more time doing the things that I enjoy, being on my feet.
If you experience numbness, shooting, or burning pains, or loss of balance, call us. Sound Pain Solutions, 855-996-0025, or click soundpainsolutions.com.
The home of the Mariners, Seattle Sports.
Cal swinging a drive, deep to right field.
Every pitch of every Mariners game is on the Seattle Sports app.
Are you worried about economic conditions, tariffs, and inflation? Are you tired of trying to time the stock market? Maybe it's time to take a little risk off the table given current market volatility. For stability, there's no better option than Legacy Group's Northwest Fund, a fixed return of 9%. Hi, I'm Scott Rirucka, CEO of Legacy Group Capital in Bellevue. We've been running local real estate investment funds for over 18 years with zero investor losses, averaging double-digit returns since inception, and we also accept IRAs. Over 1,000 local investors have invested over $250 million in our Legacy family of funds. Feeling uneasy? Don't gamble your hard-earned money or risk your retirement. Legacy Group's Northwest Fund, returning 9%, has limited openings for new investors right now.
Call 425-635-4700 or visit LegacyG.com. That's LegacyG.com. This is not investment advice. Legacy investments available to accredited investors only. Details at LegacyG.com.
I'm still going for it, even with higher stroke risk from atrial fibrillation, an irregular heartbeat not caused by a heart valve problem. Over a 3-year study, Eliquis apixaban tablets reduce stroke risk better than warfarin, and over 97% of Eliquis patients did not experience a stroke. A first stroke occurred in 2.9% of warfarin patients versus 2.3% of Eliquis patients.
Don't stop taking prescription Eliquis without asking your doctor. It may increase your stroke risk. Eliquis can cause serious and in rare cases fatal bleeding. Don't take Eliquis if you have an artificial heart valve, abnormal bleeding, or antiphospholipid syndrome. While taking, you may bruise more easily or take longer for bleeding to stop. A spinal injection while on Eliquis increases risk of blood clots, which may cause paralysis, the inability to move. Get medical help right away for unexpected bleeding, unusual bruising, or tingling, numbness, or muscle weakness. Medications such as aspirin products, NSAIDs, SSRIs, SNRIs, and blood thinners may increase bleeding risk. Tell your doctor about all planned medical or dental procedures. Learn more at Eliquis.com or call 1-855-ELIQUIS.
Need to know.
15 minutes past every hour with Brock and Salk.
Here's what you need to know. Up first.
15, 19, whatever. It is a bad loss last night for the Mariners. I don't know what else to say. It was bad. 9-0, and it was bad offensively as a guy with a 6+ ERA. Trevor Williams dominated them for all of 6 innings. It was bad pitching-wise as, George Kirby didn't look good. And he looks to me like a guy that didn't have enough spring training. And, yes, a guy that probably should have been in the minor leagues a little bit longer working through that rehab start before he came up to the majors. That's definitely what it looked like. He was only able to sustain that electric stuff for 1 inning before it just kind of went kaput on him.
As good as Tuesday was, and I think we talked about it yesterday morning, there's your A game. That's your ceiling. That's your power. That's great pitching. That's putting the whole thing together. As good as that was, I think it was about as bad last night. And defensively, too.
Oof.
I mean, a couple, Rowdy doesn't make a great play. Randy's not busting it. JP's, double clutching, just the stuff that wasn't
Throw
sharp.
from JP was not what you would expect from him in that spot.
Nope.
Kirby, though, did say felt good physically.
Yeah, it was awesome. I love pitching here. Felt great today going into the game. It's just great to be back and pitching here in front of the fans. And I love it.
All right, kind of a big game now today. One last, another rubber match here with Washington. Emerson Hancock against their best pitcher, lefty Mackenzie Gore, former number 3 overall pick. Came over in the Soto deal from San Diego, and he is he's another dude, but you've been really, really good in these rubber matches and really, really good against opposing aces. So we'll see where this one goes tonight.
Here's the second thing you need to know.
Well, great job, Logan Evans. Here's your reward. A nice trip back to Tacoma. Appreciate the effort. It's the reality, though, right? Bryce Miller is not going to lose his spot because he was out for a couple of weeks with an injury. So he comes back, and that'll happen this weekend in all likelihood. Logan Evans sent back to AAA. But, man, the optics of it really stink when George Kirby goes out and gets lit up last night.
Yeah, I mean, tip of the cap to my buddy Luke Arkins, who, I was chatting with the other night after Logan's start. And it's just, I think this is honestly a really simple and much easier on the inside and for him to absorb, and maybe even his dad Lawrence. And that is, this is about workload. This is about building up. This is about numbers of innings pitched for you over the last 4 to 5 years. We're not going to compromise your career and have you throw 150, 160 innings this year. That's not in the cards, and you've already thrown well over 60 and done a phenomenal job with it. But we're going to put you in the pace card to sustain you over the long term, and I honestly think internally that becomes a little easier to answer.
I think that's probably true, and I think he probably knew that as he was called up. He wasn't pitching for a spot in this rotation. He was either showcasing himself for the future, either here with Seattle or for with another
my
team.
Stuff belongs, man. As a young player,
Absolutely.
Can I do this? And there is no question as he headed back down, yep, I can do it at the major league level.
Kind of cool to see Jackson Kowar last night, though, and he has the possibility of becoming a leverage arm. Won't happen right away. High 90s fastball, lots of upside, really good slider. Yeah, he looked pretty good last night. I have some hopes for him, even though he's never had a tremendous amount of success in the major leagues.
Here's the third thing you need to know.
I know we're both annoyed about this, but number 21 is where the Seahawks rank in the power rankings. We'll talk more with Sheil Kapadia here in a moment. I just don't see that. They were the 14th best record last year. They've fallen 7 spots in the offseason? That doesn't make any sense. They won 10 games. And these rankings they're behind Arizona. They're behind Pittsburgh, who doesn't have a quarterback. What, Brock?
Yeah.
Explain this to me.
Yeah. What is it? The FPI, the Football Power Index, Salk. This is stats. These are algorithms.
All right.
I'm not expecting you to.
I didn't realize.
This.
Oh, I thought this was voting. This is
I think
this
this
algorithm.
one was I believe this was the FBI. I believe this is ESPN's Football Power Index. It looks at numbers lost. It looks at 4,000 yards of Geno gone. It looks at DK Metcalf's impact gone. It looks at, I guess, those two guys. I don't know what else. What else is gone? Nothing defensively is gone. All your production is back, and then some. You've actually added, I think, quite a bit of talent to this offensive line.
Well, and shouldn't you be getting more out of a second-year coach? Like, that's what Mark Schlereth was saying yesterday. I totally agree.
For a head coach, there are so many things that you implement, so many things that you do that when you look back on it, you're like, wow, I really screwed that up. And, man, I wish I had that play back, and that's not going to happen to me again. So I think year 2 is where, you really start to feel comfortable in implementing what you want to do, who you want to be. And obviously that's why they made the changes they made from a coaching staff standpoint and everything else.
Yeah, I would think.
How about just your messaging?
All
How
of
about him sitting down with us there at training camp last year, right? And I don't know how that message went. It's my very first time ever doing it. Second time around the earth, going to be a lot easier.
All right, let's take a quick break here. That's everything you need to know. I want to make sure we got some time for Sheil Kapadia because he is on the other side of this. Thinks they had a C- off season, and we love Sheil. So what's up with that? It's next on Brock and Salk.
For Down Territory, going inside the game with former Cougs and Seahawks wide receiver Michael Bumpus.
What's the hardest thing for coaches when it comes to OTAs?
Offensive line and defensive line evaluation. There are guys who are going to get cut after OTAs, and you really don't know what they can do. It's all about the mental. Can they pick up the box and do the right things when it comes to blocking? But OTAs, I feel bad for the O-line coach, the D-line coach. There's nothing for you there. There's a little bit, but it's not like on the outside of the perimeter.
For Down Territory, every day at 11:15 and 1:15 on Bump and Stacy.
Hey, Mike Salk here, and I was out in the Snoqualmie area yesterday. Got to see, at least from a distance, the new hotel. It's Snoqualmie Casino and a Hotel. It looks awesome, and it's going to be opening up here in just a couple of months, and we're getting real close to August, and they are taking bookings at snocasino.com. It's going to be an awesome summer experience. The views, right? The expanded non-smoking gaming floor, destination spa, huge entertainment space and convention center, and yeah, new restaurants as well. You know where to go, snocasino.com, Seattle's closest. It's now Snoqualmie Casino and Hotel.
Warmer weather, more sunlight, and your new car. That's right. At Toyota of Kirkland and Toyota of Renton, summer starts here. With their combined inventory of new, used, and certified pre-owned inventory, you're in for a summer to remember. Their fantastic teams will set you up with a test drive so you can ride off into that summer sun the same day. Summer starts here at Toyota of Kirkland and Toyota of Renton. Whether you're in the north or the south, they got you covered. Visit their incredible showrooms today or online at toyotaofkirkland.com and toyotaofrenton.com.
O'Brien. Need a new roof now? With State Roofing and Exteriors, you can get started with 0 down, 0 payments, and 0 interest for up to 24 months. That's right. Protect your home now and pay later. Call 866-ROOF-ROOF or visit stateroofing.com today.
Get 0% financing for 72 months on Cat compact construction equipment at NC Machinery. Built for performance, durability, and comfort. Buy now and take advantage of 0% financing for 72 months at NC Machinery.
1-877 Cars for Kids. KARS Cars for Kids. 1-877 Cars for Kids. Donate your car today.
Donate today at carsforkids.org. That's cars with a K. Your car can be picked up as soon as the next day. Receive a tax deduction and vacation voucher.
1-877 Cars for Kids. Donate your car today.
Now accepting donations of land, homes, buildings, or any kind of real estate.
You ever try fixing your car and realize you're missing that one part? Yeah, been there. That's why eBay's my go-to. They've got millions of parts, guaranteed to fit. I'm talking brake pads for when yours have seen one too many miles of stop and go. Oil filters, because you don't mess around with your engine care. Even got this cold air intake on my watch list. I might just go for it. To keep the ride cool and your DIY streak hot. Find all the parts you need at prices you'll love. Guaranteed to fit every time. eBay. Things people love. Eligible items only. Exclusions apply.
Something amazing is happening in business. More companies are turning to Mac. From finance to fulfillment, CDW will seamlessly support Mac integration into your organization. With the power of Apple Silicon, best-in-class security, and compatibility across your favorite apps, your team will have the performance they need and the tools they love. Make amazing happen. Mac and CDW. Learn more at cdw.com/Apple.
I've never had any complaints about my performance in the bedroom.
But after turning 40, I noticed my libido just wasn't what it used to be. That's when I reached out to Revive Health. Their team knew exactly what I needed, which is why today, my wife and I are both more satisfied than ever.
If you're ready to book your free T-check, text BOOST to 65555 or visit ReviveMen'sHealth.com to schedule your appointment. Message and data rates may apply. Message frequency varies. Text help for help. Text stop to cancel. See privacy policy at ReviveMen'sHealth.com/privacy policy. For info on how opt-in info will be used and terms and conditions at ReviveMen'sHealth.com/terms of use for terms of short code service.
Heading outdoors or on the water this weekend? Check in with Joey and Nelly on the Outdoor Line from 6 to 8 a.m. every Saturday on Seattle Sports and the Seattle Sports app.
So I formed Davis Law Group about 30 years ago, and I would get, the same questions from people about what to do in the case of an accident. Do you need a lawyer? To the point where I decided that I would at least write a book which would answer the common questions that I would receive as a lawyer. Once I wrote my first book, it proved to be hugely popular. I decided to write then a series of books in different accident cases so that we could really teach people about their rights, how to protect them, and how to decide on whether they need a lawyer and what lawyer to hire. I've found in my career that having a client that is educated and knowledgeable about their particular type of case really helps the client and also usually ends up making the case or the claim more successful. To get your free copy of any of my Washington accident books, visit WashingtonAccidentBooks.com.
When the heat's in 11,
cool AC would be heaven.
dayandnight.net.
Beat the rush.
Act now before summer,
Because that heat's a real bummer.
dayandnight.net.
Even though our Northwest summers can be spectacular, there's always a long, hot stretch that makes everyone say, man, AC sure would be nice. Well, except for that one annoying friend who won't stop talking about how great his AC is. Hi, I'm Bruce with Day and Night Plumbing and Heating. You can stay comfortably cool when those hot temps arrive. This is the time to plan ahead and call us about installing a high-efficiency AC or heat pump. Or if you have an existing system, we'll come and service it. Make sure it's running efficiently and ready to cool when you need it.
Before the summer heat wave. Keep your house cool and save.
dayandnight.net.
Save up to $6,000 on qualifying cooling equipment. Plus, no payments or interest for a year OAC. Don't sweat it out this summer. Stay cool with Day and Night.
dayandnight.net.
From the Quantum Fiber Studio, you're listening to Brock and Salk.
Weekdays 6 to 10.
On Seattle Sports and 97.3 FM HD2.
They had a mediocre offense last year, and they replaced Geno Smith with Sam Darnold. They replaced DK Metcalf with Cooper Kupp. They replaced Ryan Grubb with Clint Kubiak. And they add one offensive lineman who's a rookie in Gray Zabel. So that does not inspire me. As I've mentioned before, I'm giving them a C-.
A C-, Brock, for the Seahawks offseason from our friend Sheil Kapadia. Doesn't feel like our friend today. I know you're very upset. Sheil, I would be very guarded in this interview because Brock is...
this is just his love for Pete Carroll.
He's not happy. Brock's not happy with you.
This is his bias for Pete. This is just his love affair that he always had with Coach Carroll. And, Coach got Geno. And guess what Geno becomes? He goes from a D- quarterback to an A+, from the 25th to the 10th best quarterback in the game. This is just Sheil and his love for Pete Carroll, the Silver Fox. Is it not, Sheil?
I've said many nice things over the Seahawks over the years. My phone does it. I check my messages frequently. No text from Brock, Salk, 710. I'm thinking my friends forgot about me. And then I say one thing, reasonable, and let's get him on. So, yeah. Listen, nice to see you guys.
Yes.
Happy to talk it through. It's never good when the radio interview starts with something I said, with the direct quote, but I'm ready for it.
Well, we're controversy mongers.
We were supposed to have Mike McDonald on, and then Dave Pearson hears that we're going to have you on. He knows of that nonsense, and Pearson's like, nope, no Mike McDonald. Go enjoy Sheil in this negative analysis.
Right, so why a C-? Why a C-?
Yeah, listen, I understand their plan, what they wanted to do offensively, what they wanted to do at the quarterback position. I think it just comes down to what I think is the most likely scenario is different than what maybe John Schneider and the organization thinks is the most likely scenario with Sam Darnold. I look at Sam Darnold as a quarterback who was in a great situation last year, with a great play caller, with good offensive tackles, with a number 1 wide receiver and a very good receiving core, and had a career season. But I like larger samples, and I've seen a different version of Sam Darnold when the circumstances weren't as good. And so now I look at him coming to Seattle with an unknown as an offensive coordinator, I would say, an offensive line that I think projects to still be below average, and one pass catcher that I can really rely on. And I think the most likely scenario is that we don't see the same version of Sam Darnold this year that we saw last year. So that's why I had them at a C-. Like their draft and bullish on their defense, it really comes down to my expectations for their offense.
Let me ask you this about their offseason and that grade. Is that just about its effect on 2025, or is it an overall? Because I think C- is a little low even for 2025. I just think the difference between Geno and Darnold is not that significant. But the problem I have with the C- is that it overlooks. They got more flexibility. They went younger with Darnold by, 7 or 8 years. They get him for less money than they would have had to pay Geno. He is out after a year. If it turns out you love somebody else, either in next year's draft, you also, with the 3rd-round pick, get Jalen Milroe, who might be nothing but might be the next Jalen Hurts. Who knows? I look at sort of the big picture of it and say, all right, maybe they didn't help themselves incredibly for right now, but I think they're in a much better position overall than they were a year ago.
I think they're in a very similar situation. I think the most likely scenario is that they come out of this year, and you're right, the downside on Darnold is not as low as the initial report suggested, because they can get out of this thing in a year. If it doesn't work out, they can move in a different direction. But I don't know exactly where that leaves them. Like I said, I like the draft. I like the dart throw on Jalen Milroe. Maybe he will turn into something. I think when you don't have a quarterback, you want to take as many bites at the apple as possible and see if you can potentially find one. But it's probably more towards this season. I don't think it's not like they were blown away with offers for DK Metcalf and Geno Smith, and it's like, wow, they took those teams to the cleaners with what they got in return. I think it was reasonable, probably pretty even what they got in return. I just, when I look at how this season might go and how it might look like after the year, I think the most likely scenario is they're still going to have a hole at quarterback. They're still going to need to build up the offensive line. They're still going to need to add to the wide receiver room. So I could be wrong. Maybe you have me back in November. You play that clip again and you say, Sheil, look at this. Sam Darnold's got 20 touchdowns and 4 interceptions. The Seahawks are in first place. You're a bozo. Text line lights up. Everyone ripping into me. I'm open to that scenario.
You've been in Philadelphia too long if you're saying things like bozo.
Sheil, what's happened to you? I mean, is this just the Philly? Is this what happens?
Mm-hmm.
Salk went back to Boston for a year, came back to, just tail just tucked between his legs. I'm no longer a Boston guy. I thought I was No, he came back. You've moved to Philly. Have you just become a Philly guy? I mean, do you not remember, Sheil, how this thing was built the first time around? Do you not remember when you were up in the beautiful Pacific Northwest on 80-degree days in the month of late May, watching the way that Pete built this thing and John built it the first time? How'd they build it the first time, Sheil? How'd they do it?
Yeah, they nailed it with 3 consecutive drafts, right? 2010 to 2012. They nailed it with a quarterback on, later in the draft than you typically find quarterbacks of that caliber. And they had a great team.
Philosophically, Sheil, how about philosophically? Did they build it having to throw for 4,000 yards? Did they build it with letting Russ cook? Did they build it with an elite number 1 wide receiver? Or did they build it with a top 5 defense and a run game and a commitment to it? Did they just unapologetically say, I don't care what the rest of the league thinks. We're going to be an elite defense. We're going to sign DeMarcus Lawrence, and we're going to sign Ernest Jones back, and we're going to trade up and get the freakiest athlete that's left on the board to come in here to mix with Spoon and the rest of the guys. And we were a top 10 defense last year. In the second half of it, when we got our pieces together, we were arguably top 5. And, oh, by the way, we're going to double down, and we're going to run it more than anybody expects us to run it. And we're going to add a run game coordinator. We're going to add an O-line coach. We're going to add a assistant O-line coach that have all been in this system before. We're going to get a great athlete at left guard. We're going to get Abe Lucas back. We're going to be in a lot of 12 personnel, and we are going to run the ball and play great defense. And, oh, by the way, we get to play the AFC South and the NFC South, and Sheil Kapadia is still going to give this offseason a C-.
I love the defense. I said before last season, I thought they had a chance to be a top 5 defense last year. I'm bullish on Mike McDonald. And the clip you didn't play was me saying I think they'll be a top 3 defense this year. I love the draft.
I didn't hear it.
Yeah,
I didn't hear
you
that.
didn't hear it. Listen,
No,
this is what happens. You know, listen, it's okay. It's okay. What?
Sounds like fake news. Sounds like fake news to me. I never heard that clip. Maura, did you hear that clip? Lyle, anybody?
No.
Anybody hear that clip?
Made up.
I don't know, Richard
As
Sherman.
a producer, I only feed them the hot take, Sheil. I'm sorry, that's
Listen,
my fault.
I am team content, so I understand it. That's a nice job. That's
Richard,
a great
did
job
did
producing.
I say it? Did Richard Sherman say? Did he say that he wanted Jim Moore fired? Was going to get Jim Moore fired? I don't know. Did Richard even say it? He said he never said it. I don't know, Sheil. Did you really say that?
The defense is going to be really good. I look at that depth chart. DeMarcus Lawrence, I like the signing. Emmanwori, like you said, I didn't think just terrific athlete. I thought his instincts in terms of zone coverage and in the passing game were excellent. I thought he was going to be a first-round pick. So I look at that defensive depth chart. I really like it. So I'm not saying they're going to stink. I think the defense is going to give them a very high floor. Now, that run game, I mean, is Marshawn Lynch walking through that door? I don't see it as a great run game. And listen, the secret sauce they might not have been throwing it at a high rate. The secret sauce was they had a quarterback who was producing explosive plays and not turning the football over and was a big factor in the run game with his legs. And I don't know that all those they could be, but on paper, I don't see them with this unit right now.
Well, one of the things, we're talking to Sheil Kapadia, our friend, now with the Ringer, and we miss him here in Seattle most of the time.
Philly guy.
I know, Philly guy.
Philly guy.
I like the defense, too. I would love for the defense to be even better. I'm not that worried about the offense. And I look, maybe, and I'm not like sold on Darnold or anything. We'll find out. I think you said that pretty well. But, like, the offense will be okay, I think. Like, to me, the defense has a chance to be truly elite. But I don't know whether they're quite there yet. Would you consider, if you were John Schneider, trading for either Jalen Ramsey or Trey Hendrickson?
I don't think I would. I mean, it obviously depends on what you're being asked in return for those guys. I don't think I would be aggressive making those moves right now. I think with your timeline, Jalen Ramsey is what, 30, over 30 years old. So I don't know that he would make a lot of sense. That you would be playing him, I guess, at outside corner there with the other pieces you have. I don't think I would be too aggressive in making that move. And Trey Hendrickson becomes complicated because not only do you have to give up something to get him, but what does he want to be paid? And now if you're asking him to, if you're going to pay him whatever it's going to be, over $30 million per year, I'm not sure that's a move I would make either. So I wouldn't overthink it with the defense. I think with the players they have, you get a second-year leap from someone like Byron Murphy. You have a plan for some of these rookies that are coming in. I don't feel like they need to make some type of drastic move and give up future draft capital. I would be holding on to those draft picks and saying we've got the guys we need in the building right now to make that leap.
I forget that line about ifs and buts, but if Sam Darnold did not have the clunkers at the end of last season, do you think we're having this conversation? Do you think if he plays well in Detroit, or unfortunately was just a sieve up front, and what was he sacked 9 times in the playoff game in LA? Like, if those go just a little bit differently in those 60-minute affairs, do you think in any way we're having this conversation?
I think he's probably still in Minnesota. It was an 8-day stretch, and it's wild how the NFL works, where an 8-day stretch not only can change the trajectory here of potentially 2 franchises in the Vikings and the Seahawks because he becomes available. It changes, not that Sam Darnold is crying poor, but it certainly changes what he was going to get paid on that next contract, what happened there in those 8 days. But football is a weird game where it's always a small sample. And so 2 games in a 17-game season plus one in the playoffs is going to have an impact on that kind of thing. But yeah, I think if I was thinking about it at the time, I think if they would have gone to at least the NFC Championship, then I don't know how you move on from Sam Darnold and go to J.J. McCarthy in Minnesota. So, yeah, he probably doesn't become available at that point.
Do you think Milroe has a shot? We were just talking about Ram. Too many Jalen's, man. I keep confusing all of my Jalen's.
Hurts,
They're all over the place, man. But
Ramsey, Jalen Kapadia.
Do you think Jalen Milroe has a shot?
I do. I think he has, certainly the tools are there. And I think when you have, the NFL right now is different than it was 20 years ago, where offensive coaches are willing to take a quarterback like that and say, let's build a fun run game around this guy. I mean, you look at a lot of the best run games around the NFL, they have that quarterback element, whether it's the Bills or the Ravens or the Eagles, or we could name a few other teams. It's kind of hard to build a run game. Now, not hard, but harder than it is when you have a quarterback who can run. And I thought he was one of the most special runners I've seen at quarterback in recent college football history, Jalen Milroe. So obviously the passing thing, it's going to take some time, and we'll see if it ever gets there. But I think you build the floor with the run game, and then you say, all right, he doesn't need to be one of the 5 or 10 best passers in the NFL. He's kind of has to reach a certain level of competency as a passer, where now you have a dual threat guy and you can build some stuff around him.
Maybe more specifically, how far behind Jalen Hurts is he as a passer from when Hurts came into the league, not necessarily where he's at now?
Yeah, Hurts was an accurate passer. I don't know how much has changed with Jalen Hurts from when he was a college prospect to now. He still doesn't like to throw in the middle of the field. If you can look at stuff and say, all right, he's not turning it loose there where other quarterbacks might attempt that throw. So his kind of keys has been very good runner, throws a beautiful deep ball. Honestly, it reminds me of Russell Wilson, Jalen Hurts. When I look at the best version of Jalen Hurts, it is some version of Russell Wilson where he's using his legs, he's accurate downfield, and he's not turning the football over. So I would say Milroe is probably behind that, but from a tools perspective, he's right there, or might even be ahead when you just look at kind of the arm strength and the size and that kind of thing.
So, Sheil, when you're back in November and you're either standing on that podium celebrating, saying, see, suckers, I was right this offseason, or we're just rubbing your face in the Yale mud, right? And we're like, you are so wrong. So how could you possibly see it this way, right? When we come back in November, do you think at that point, and maybe over the course of the 2025 season, who has a better year, Cooper Kupp or DK Metcalf?
Oh, I think DK Metcalf. I mean, Cooper Kupp is entering his age 32 season. Do you know how many wide receivers 32 or older last year had even 300 yards receiving last year? There were 3 of them in the entire NFL. To me, wide receiver is a young man's game, and I would be very cautious with expectations for Cooper Kupp. Listen, Cooper Kupp in his prime, one of the best wide receivers I've ever seen. I hope he has a comeback. This one, I hope I'm wrong, because it would be a lot of fun. But again, when I'm looking at most likely scenario, I would expect, now I don't know who's throwing to DK Metcalf. It might be me. Pittsburgh's 6 hours away. I could get there probably in time for OTAs. So that might have a bearing on the numbers. But I think for this year, and I understand why they moved DK Metcalf, but for this year, I would expect DK Metcalf to have a better year than Cooper Kupp.
You might have a less negative effect on their locker room than Aaron Rodgers would if he shows up there. So that might not be
I would be a great locker room guy. Come on. Well, if nothing else, I would be a great locker room guy.
We thought that, but now you're throwing around terms like bozo. Like, I don't know. Maybe things have gone awry for you. We always love chatting with you, catching up with you. It's nice to see you on video this time for those who are watching on YouTube or on the Seattle Sports app or on the website or whatever. You can see Sheil. He's covered up his beautiful head today with a nice. What kind of hat is that? What do we got? Oh, a Sonics hat.
Listen,
you know what? I didn't even realize that.
Let it not be said that I don't pander to the audience. I'm pandering to the audience. I'll pander to the station. All the radio hits I do, no one asked me to do video. You guys are ahead of the curve. Morris says, get the camera set up. Yep. I said, wow, I didn't know that this was happening.
You
so
got
this
a nice
is fantastic.
setup. I like the setup. Yeah. What is that poster? What do we have behind you, just so we know? America's
Team?
Team?
We got the Dream Team.
Okay, that's the Dream Team.
We got the Dream Team. Yeah.
I thought you had that old Leonard Nimoy picture that had like all Dr. J. Do you know which picture I mean from the 80s?
Yeah.
I figured that would be something you might.
Sheil,
Maybe I should order that.
Sheil, on your way out, very important. This is where you either save or you have totally destroyed this interview. Please tell me you're not wearing that Sonics hat because the OKC Thunder, the original Sonics, clinched their ticket to the NBA Finals. Please tell me that has nothing to do with it, and it's total pandering to Salky and I.
Of course, it is not because of that. It is pandering. It is a show of support for Seattle to once again have a basketball team. Yes. And if I'm being honest, I have to be honest. when you're a bald man, the hat's just an important accessory, Brock. So, I just kind of looked over at the hat rack to my right and said, what goes well with the hoodie here? And okay, let's pander to the host and the audience a little bit.
Miss you, man. Good to catch up. The great Sheil Kapadia. You can read him now at The Ringer, and he's got a great setup for video and podcasting and all the other radio stuff he does.
We'll be talking again, Sheil.
Thanks, man. We appreciate it.
All right.
Have a good summer.
Talk to you guys soon. Take care.
There's our friend Sheil Kapadia. We'll go from that right into some Blue 88s.
This is Brock and Salk's Blue 88.
Blue 88! Blue 88!
We take you to the field as Brock Heward breaks down 3 football questions as only he can.
Now here's your hosts, Brock Heward and Mike Salk.
All right, well, you and Sheil may not be on the same page, Brock, but it sounds like you are with Mark Schlereth.
Yeah, fire that cut again. You played it need to know right there, but I think Mark Schlereth hits
I think this is actually a different one. Here's a different one from Schlereth.
I mean, Sam Darnold was absolutely unbelievable last year, right? Like 4,400 yards. He had a bunch of touchdowns. I mean, he was great. And, of course, everybody points to the last 2 games of the season where they didn't play as well. But Sam Darnold had a phenomenal all-pro type season. So, I mean, that's number one. Do I think that Sam Darnold and Geno Smith, or Sam Darnold's better or worse than Geno Smith? I think they're very like quarterbacks. So, like, I wouldn't look at that and say, wow, we really downgraded the quarterback position. And then ultimately, offensive line-wise, philosophy of offensive line and philosophy of run game and philosophy of tying the run game to the passing game, those things are important.
Yeah, I mean, I think I would double down on all of that. And Sheil's right. I mean, narratives are written, and they're really hard to break. And the narrative is that Sam Darnold, through his time in New York and as a backup in San Francisco and struggles in Carolina, is he's just a backup guy.
Yeah, and I struggle with that one too. I mean, I don't entirely disagree with that.
That's right.
But I also kind of think that about Geno Smith. So
and then he tried to rewrite that for 15 weeks and played at a level that was, as Mark said, an all-pro level without a great offensive line. The interior of their offensive line was really poor there. It's a good running game. It was not an elite running game. And yes, he had an elite receiver and built up some of the other guys around him. But man, that narrative sure changed in 2 games. And the one thing that, I will be curious to kind of watch, Sam, is what Geno had and Russ had. We've been pretty spoiled in our market, Salk. Both those guys are beautiful deep ball throwers. Both of them have great touch, right? Geno and Russ, both down the field, great touch guys. Now, the league has shifted. We play a whole lot more shell coverage. You're limited on how many moon balls and deep shots you get to throw anyway. But that would be the one thing, like just looking at Sam, compare and contrast, just that touch. When it got going and it got ramped up at the end of the year, you saw those fastballs kind of go awry. Can that touch, can it continue to grow and elevate? And can you put a run game and defense around him so he does not have to be the center of all the attention?
All right, question number 2. Speaking of guys who probably shouldn't be the center of attention, Joe Flacco is getting a lot of questions as the oldest guy in that crazy, bizarre 4-man quarterback room. He's never been the most interesting person.
This was the best sound I've ever heard from Joe Flacco. Honestly, I heard it yesterday. I'm like, is this AI?
All right.
Am I getting NFL Centelled? What is going on
He
here?
was asked about mentoring the young quarterbacks.
What I just said, like, you're acting like I wouldn't want to be a mentor. It's like, once again, it's not really about that. It's just not the main focus. I see myself as a guy that can play in this league. So if your main focus was just like, hey, but I'm going to get you ready, you're just not taking care of business. The best way to be a mentor, honestly, is like show people how you go to work, and like I said, hope that they pick up on that stuff, but not necessarily force them to pick up on the things that you do.
You think Captain Tom is on that boat just telling me everything to do all the time? Or do you think every once in a while I just get to watch Captain Tom fish? And I'm like, oh, so that's how you do it. Yeah, he likes to yell. Yeah, he'll bark at you. Keep the rod tip up. Yeah, he'll scream at you. Yeah, he'll dog cuss you if you lose a fish. But more importantly, he teaches you how. And I think Joe Flacco's 100% right. The best thing that Glenn Foley or John Kitten or Peyton Manning or some of the veteran guys that I was ever around, Trent Dilfer, like, they teach you by their actions, by the way they study, by the way they prepare, by the way they practice. It's not sitting there going, hey, man, come over for dinner, and here's 45 minutes of philosophically how you do this. You show them. You show them how to do it. That's how to be the best mentor, and that was by far the most entertaining 30 seconds of Joe Flacco's sound bites you'll ever
Also
find.
sounds like a guy who spent enough time in New York City to know, hey, this is a gotcha question. I'm going to find a way to make sure you can't
100%.
get me. Question number 3. We went through that FPI Power Index. Seahawks at number 21.
Yeah, that is all about pass production. Honestly, those algorithms and those yards gained and how much of a percentage do you have coming back, and to have the 49ers and the Rams, where are they ranked in the top 10?
10 and 11, I think it was, or 9 and 10.
I think it was 9 and 10. It's because there's George Kittle and there's Christian McCaffrey and there's Trent Williams and there's Brock Purdy and there's all their production coming back, right? And there's the Rams with Kyron Williams and Matthew Stafford, and we had Devontae Adams, and there's a ton of production coming back. That's looking, I think, so much more in the rearview mirror than it is projecting anything in the windshield. So you add, Marquez Valdez-Scantling, you add a 32-year-old Cooper Kupp. Yeah, you could see why the Football Power Index is like, sorry, you're just not going to cook the way those other guys cook.
That's today's Blue 88. I like
That's
it.
been okay in Seattle.
Yeah.
Because Seattle's been at its best, Salk, when it's not been about a quarterback having to cook.
I would
It's
agree.
been about the collective and a run game and punishing people and being hard to play against and being a defense that's totally dominant.
All that is true. I agree. I will say, as much as 21 feels low, as much as a C- doesn't feel right to me, and as much as I'm kind of excited, you make a lot of really convincing points about Sam Darnold, so does Sheil. The Darnold thing is always going to be a little hard for me because I kind of wrote him off in college, never understood why he was a top 5 pick, felt pretty vindicated when he really, was not good in New York, etc. But obviously something happened last year. The question is, what was it and how real was it? And I think what I like about what the Seahawks did is they took a very light bet on it. If it works out, great. And if it doesn't, you've wasted at most 1 year.
You like the baseball process of this.
A little bit,
Right?
yeah.
Yeah, and I understand that this isn't just, all in, put all my chips. This is diversifying.
Yep.
This is, if it doesn't work out, I still have not fractured the foundation. I still have immense salary cap.
And I've got another
opportunities.
potential option in Jalen Milroe. I don't know if that's going to work out, but if it does, great. Then I'm covered for the next few years. So I guess, I like sort of the machine gun approach as opposed to the silver bullet. But, I mean, I can't tell you that I think Sam Darnold is going to be great.
You don't like a Coors Light?
It's not what I was saying. Not necessarily. I was
okay.
thinking more about the things that kill werewolves, but that's just me.
Gotcha.
I'm kind of a werewolf killer. Coming up next, actually, I look more like a werewolf with all this hair. We'll do a little Here's the Thing, hear what sort of messages you guys have been leaving us. And then back to baseball. Hembo, who's been all over the Mariners the last few weeks. We'll chat with him at 8:30. It's Brock and Salk, Seattle Sports on 710.
For Down Territory, going inside the game with former Cougs and Seahawks wide receiver Michael Bumpus.
What's the hardest thing for coaches when it comes to OTAs?
Offensive line and defensive line evaluation. There are guys who are going to get cut after OTAs, and you really don't know what they can do. It's all about the mental. Can they pick up the box and do the right things when it comes to blocking? But OTAs, I feel bad for the O-line coach, the D-line coach. There's nothing for you there. There's a little bit, but it's not like on the outside of the perimeter.
For Down Territory, every day at 11:15 and 1:15 on Bump and Stacy.
This message comes from Viking, committed to exploring the world in comfort. Journey through the heart of Europe on an elegant Viking longship with thoughtful service, destination-focused dining, and cultural enrichment on board and on shore. With small ships that bring travelers closer to the destination, there's more time to explore. And every Viking voyage is all-inclusive, with no children and no casinos. Discover more at Viking.com.
Check engine or ABS light on? Take the guesswork out of your warning lights with O'Reilly Veriscan. It's free. Ask for O'Reilly Veriscan.
O'Reilly Auto Parts. How can you free your team from time-consuming office tasks? Amazon Business. Smart business buying tools enable buyers to find and purchase items fast so they can focus on strategy and growth. Free up your team and focus on your future. Learn more at AmazonBusiness.com.
Throw down to second base, tagged by JP on the money, and he is out.
Home. Home is your domain, where you know every inch like the back of your hand.
Julio racing back out of the warning track, but he makes the catch, and he flashes to the no-fly zone.
A place that brings out your protective side, and a place you'll always stand up for.
going and going. It will fly away.
Because what's inside is the most valuable thing in the world. Your family. Mariners baseball at T-Mobile Park. Welcome home.
Don't miss this week's action at T-Mobile Park. Tonight is your final chance to score a Randy Arozarena bobblehead as the Mariners take on the Nationals at 6:40. Then the Twins are in town for a 3-game set, starting with the first fireworks night of the season tomorrow at 7:10, presented by T-Mobile. Get your tickets at mariners.com.
Allergy and sinus symptoms are annoying. They're frustrating and can ruin an entire day. They're also curable. I'm Dr. Stern with the Stern Sinus Center. We can free our patients of awful symptoms by testing and treating their allergies to simple, non-invasive treatments. Stop suffering from nasal congestion, sneezing, runny nose, facial pain, and even snoring. Let us help you get relief. Easily, quickly, and permanently. We're local in Federal Way and in Auburn. Come see us or book your appointment at sternsinus.com.
Hear that? That's the sound of your life. Perfectly imperfect. Beating in rhythm to the world you've created. But every time you drive after drinking, the music gets drowned out. Your life sounds pretty great. Don't let a buzz ruin it. Buzz driving is drunk driving. Don't drive buzzed. A message from NHTSA and the Ad Council.
Riverside Roofing is offering $1,000 off a new roof replacement. Book a free estimate online, and when you meet with Brandon, that's Don's son, tell him you heard the message on the radio station. Go to riversideroofingllc.com. It's Riverside Roofing, the roofing company you can trust.
I've always been a super athletic guy, but after I turned 40, I noticed I was slowing down. Instead of hitting the gym after work, I spent my evenings on the couch with a bag of chips. I was gaining weight, losing muscle, and when I did try to work out, I ran out of energy right away. One of my buddies suggested I book a free testosterone check at Revive Health, and that's when I learned that low T doesn't just impact how guys perform in the bedroom. I worked with a provider to create my custom treatment plan, and today I'm feeling stronger than ever. Last week, I even set a new PR at the gym. My only regret is not reaching out sooner.
If you're ready to book your free T-check, visit ReviveMen'sHealth.com or call 206-529-1111. Again, that's 206-529-1111.
Emerald Queen Casino, the entertainment capital of the Northwest. The best place to watch all your favorite sports. Featuring wall-to-wall viewing screens, 6 windows, and 30 kiosks. Be there at emeraldqueen.com. Emerald Queen Casino, the entertainment capital of the Northwest.
Heading to the ball game? Don't mess with traffic and pricey parking fees. Make it easy and ride the bus. It's affordable and convenient. No stress, no hassle. And plenty of time to grab a hot dog before first pitch. Community Transit makes riding the bus fun, easy, and affordable. You save money on parking, and kids under 18 ride for free. See where they can take you and plan your trip today. Go to Community Transit at ctgo.org/homerun.
This is Seattle Sports.
Streaming through the Seattle Sports app.
KIRO AM Seattle. KIRO FM HD2 Tacoma. Home of the Seahawks, Mariners, and everything Seattle sports.
Give me a freaking auto!
From the Quantum Fiber Studio, this is Brock and Salk on Seattle Sports.
Brock Heward and Matt Marcus. Sorry about just Mike.
Heward, not exactly Joe Cap there in the pocket.
Now here are your hosts, Brock Heward and Mike Salk.
All right, baseball in a half hour with Hembo from ESPN, from Greeny's show, etc. He's been all over both Cal Raleigh and Andres Munoz, but the Mariners in general. So looking forward to getting some insight from him coming up at 8:30. Right now, though, you guys have been leaving us messages. Let's hear what they sound like.
Brock Heward doesn't just hate one kid. I am so disappointed in Michael Salk. You don't know what you're talking about. You're mindless. Love you, bye.
It's time for Brock and Salk's Here's the Thing.
Okay, here's the thing.
All right, I don't have a ton here today, only 5 or 6, so we should have a little time to discuss. We'll start off with Adam, who's apparently very upset.
No, Brock and Salk are the Colorado Rockies of
whatever the you are talking about. Brock Heward sucks. Get that dude off of the air. I hate him, and I cannot be the only one.
This guy had about 5 messages in a row on there. They were all like with the station playing in the background, so it was just stream of consciousness. I think one of them, he told Wyman his hair was bad. Like, he just kept insulting everyone.
I'd like to hear more from Adam, to be honest.
Was he drunk, you think?
No, I sounded
You don't think he was drunk?
totally sober.
By the way, have you looked at the Colorado Rockies lately?
I have. They're not good.
No. I mean, this will be fun for him, but we'll be very Mariner specific. You realize the Rockies? 9-47.
Yeah.
I mean, legitimately, whoever wins this College World Series.
What if they win less than 30 games?
Like if it is, and I don't know who the best SEC or ACC team is this year. Like legitimately, if they played 56 big league games, with a bigger roster, obviously, 35 guys or whatever it is, do you think they go 9-47?
No. I don't think so. No.
What if it had been LSU Paul Skeens against these Rockies?
That's right.
Well, one game, fine. Paul Skeens on the mound, but other than that, over the course of series, I still have trouble with that. Let's move this on. We got Ethan here.
They have a life-size statue outside of the Nordic Museum in Ballard of Salk. They modeled it after him. How exciting!
I don't think so. No one could be less Nordic than me. I mean, I guess some people could, but I'm not very Nordic.
You're not?
Do I look Nordic?
I mean, it's a troll. Have you seen it?
No. Oh, I thought it was Nordic.
It's a hairy troll. Maybe it's the hairy part.
That's mean.
That's a little bit more accurate, at least. At least that makes some sense. Brent's back. I'm sure this won't be creepy.
Here's the thing.
That's Brad.
This is
you're right.
father, Chris Sr., and I met your Mora last night, and, well, she wouldn't speak. So this is just what I observed about her and what I know of her. Kind of ranked, if you will. She's a fantasy football expert. That makes me think of Final Fantasy, the video game franchise, or fantasy as the genre of literature and film, or fantasy, the song by Earth, Wind, and Fire. She's got a mighty fingers. Gives you chicken fingers. Fingers as in the measurement of whiskey. Finger somebody is to point them out in a police lineup. She's tall task, tall order, tall the drink size at Starbucks. Lovely girl.
Wow, good
Could use a
review.
little work on the ranking, Brent, but I appreciate the thought. I figured Brad would have something creepy about you meeting Chris's parents, so I just assumed.
Everyone was just so mean last week when Brad was having surgery. I just left it off. I think he might have given us an update. He's okay.
Oh, thank God.
Oh, good.
It's really been on my mind. Here's Coleman.
On this episode of Not Trash Takes, Danny and Brent are the two best of all time to call in to the Brock and Salk podcast. Caller edition. The worst is that creep that says, "I love you, bye," who also should never be allowed on another school property or around his family or wife or loved ones again, and maybe put in prison for the rest of his life with no proof of any wrongdoing other than his creepiness. I love you, bye.
Was that taken in a tunnel somewhere?
I tried to adjust a couple people send these while they're like, it sounds like they're driving with their window down or something. You can barely hear it. So I had to try to take out some of the background.
Kind of turned into the Jim Rome. Is it Jim Rome that has the audience that like goes after one another?
A little bit, yeah.
In the jungle?
In the jungle. Couch jungle.
Lyle, you grew up listening to Jim Rome as well?
Not really, funny enough.
Oh, funny enough.
Johnny Seatown, take the rest of the day off. I like Jim Rome. I used to work. I told you I used to do updates during the Jim Rome show on a local station. We got to listen to it every day.
Oh, lovely.
mean, Jim Rome's talented, man. He does some good stuff, but he would tell the same stories pretty often. You got to know him.
Uh-huh.
The one about the Rome family, like, dog holocaust is, like, truly disturbing. Speaking of Danny.
Here's the thing. Maura, since you're going to a really important dinner where you're going to go get that ring, girl, as someone who's been married for over 8 years, I'd like to give you my top 3 pieces of advice when meeting the parents for the first time. Tip number 1, talk about politics often and frequently. Tip number 2, people love obscure impressions from movies 20 years ago. Let's use the movie There Will Be Blood that Salk was talking about. You could do this impression. Here, if you have a milkshake, and I have a milkshake, and I have a straw, there it is, a straw. Don't you see it? Watch it. Now, watch as my straw reaches way across the room, and I start to drink your milkshake. I drink it up. If all else fails, you can show them that you have a voice of an angel and sing Bodies Hit the Floor. Let the bodies hit the floor. Let the bodies hit the floor. Let the bodies hit the floor. Yeah.
How does he get the music in there? It's remarkable.
I just like how at the end he added, yeah. Let the bodies hit the floor. Yeah.
That's sort of you.
What if Chris's parents are driving around listening to the show right now?
Listening to that. Danny's impression of There Will Be Blood was spot on.
His impressions are always spot on.
I know. All right, you want to finish up with Manny from Maui? Brock, you what did you say about him last week? That he was a big guy or a little guy?
Little guy.
Here's the thing, Brock, 5'7", $130, not even close, my brother. Looks like it's time for the first ever Here's the Thing Buff Dudes Report. That's right, buff as in big, ugly, fat friends. Leading off, Manny from Maui, coming in at a solid 5'9", 285 pounds. Oh. That's right. Have you seen Manny from Maui? Giggle, giggle. 4 or 540, more like 6 seconds flat. And then it's nap time because he's got nothing left in the tank. 2-plate bench press. In his heyday, 15 reps. Easy. Today, the only 2 plates that he dominates are the 2 plates he has at the local buffet. Mile time. Not today, Satan. Not today. And Salky, they say never meet your heroes. Lucky for you, you're not my hero, boy. Let's make this happen. Have your people call my people. Shoot. Aloha, my brother.
Aloha, Manny. I may be in Maui in October. We'll see. Might have a little opportunity to go hang with Manny a little bit. 5'9", 280.
But what did he call the buff report?
The big, ugly, fat friend. All right, there you go. That's Here's the Thing this week. You can leave us messages by downloading the app, and you can join the fun with Brent and Danny and Manny and Ethan, and hopefully more from Adam, because I thought that was great. I really appreciate how much he likes you, Brock. I thought that was very, very nice. All right, Hembo, in 20 minutes, talking baseball after everything you need to know next.
Wyman and Bob, afternoons 2 to 7.
The one, the only John Morosi is with us. We're trying to figure out what's going to be happening as we approach the trade deadline.
For me, the lineup is still the spot where I would focus on the most. This team has shown they've got plenty of pitching. They always do. The second half of the lineup, for me, is what's going to be the difference between them having a good chance at a postseason berth and a team that can win a round.
Dave Wyman and Bob Stelton, afternoons 2 to 7 on Seattle Sports, the app, YouTube, and your smart speaker.
Feeling lucky? Don't miss the Lucky Classic Collector Car Truck and Boat Auction, Saturday, May 31st at Tacoma's LeMay Marymount Event Center. Hundreds of cars, vintage, muscle, exotic, classics, trucks, boats, and more. Saturday, May 31st at Tacoma's LeMay Marymount Event Center. Millions of dollars in inventory, many must sell with no reserve whatsoever. Get lucky, get local, and get in line for the Northwest's greatest collector car auction. Auction details at luckyoldcar.com.
Need a new roof, a deck, siding, windows? Get up to $3,000 off any new installation. Hi, it's Justin Shirley, CEO of State Roofing and Exteriors. Home projects can add up fast, but we're here to help you save big. Book now and lock in up to $3,000 off in savings. That's $3,000 off any new installation. Call 866-ROOF-ROOF or visit stateroofing.com to schedule your free estimate today. State Roofing and Exteriors, held to a higher standard since 1968.
Hey guys, did you know that half of men over age 50 have erectile dysfunction on some level? Whether you have mild, moderate, or severe ED, West Coast Men's Health can help. We don't prescribe pills and hope they work. Instead, we treat the root cause of the problem with acoustic wave therapy, which breaks down plaque, unclogs arteries, and restores blood flow. We have treated thousands of men across our 11 locations nationwide and have established ourselves as a leader in the industry. So whether you have ED, Peyronie's disease, or suffer from chronic pain, such as neuropathy, carpal tunnel, or Dupuytren's contracture, West Coast Men's Health can help. No pills, no shots, no surgery, just results.
With clinics in Redmond and Tacoma, call West Coast Men's Health at 206-519-6541. That's 206-519-6541. 206-519-6541. Online at westcoastmenshealth.com.
Hey folks, John Curley here. One of the best home comfort inventions of recent time, mini split systems. Now you can enjoy efficient heating and cooling while saving energy and reducing utility bills with personalized room comfort. Call my friends at Home Comfort Alliance for a free consultation, and for a limited time, get 18 months same as cash financing on all qualified systems. For all your heating, cooling, plumbing, and electrical needs, call the comfort people. Home Comfort Alliance. Visit homecomfortalliance.com.
I started Davis Law Group in 1994 to fight for the underdog. And as our team has grown, we've stayed true to that mission. Today, Davis Law Group is known for providing excellent service and even better results. Visit WashingtonAccidentBooks.com to get your free book on car accident law.
Rare and luxurious 100 years of exceptional automobiles is currently on display at LeMay, America's Car Museum. Feel the thrill of racing simulators. It's excitement for all, and out-of-town visitors will love it. Visit americascarmuseum.org.
Emerald Queen Casino Event Center presents the main event. Powered by WFC, Saturday night, June 14th. A night of professional boxing where champions are made and every punch counts. Contenders from the region go toe-to-toe, ready to prove they belong at the top. Tickets at emeraldqueen.com. Don't miss Fight Night, June 14th at Emerald Queen Casino, the boxing capital of the Northwest. 21 and older, need gambling help? Call 800-547-6133 or visit emeraldqueen.com.
The home of the Mariners.
Left off to center. It is on its way. Julio, two-run home run.
Hear every pitch on 710 and the Seattle Sports app.
The first Mariners fireworks night is coming up, and we're starting things off with a bang. Be here this Friday for our K-pop fireworks show, presented by T-Mobile, after the team takes on the Twins at 7:10.
Jorge Polanco, his second home run of the night. He is absolutely on fire.
Get ready for an epic dance party as we light up the sky with a post-game show powered by the biggest global hits. Fireworks and Mariners baseball. That's two spectacular shows in one unforgettable night.
JP with a flip, and they got him at first base.
Visit Mariners.com/fireworks to get your tickets and see the complete lineup of all 6 Mariners fireworks nights this summer, including a sing-along show on June 13th and a patriotic palooza on July 3rd. Plus, check out everything else on deck at T-Mobile Park, like 3 straight Mariners value games against the Orioles starting Tuesday, June 3rd. Mariners baseball. Try dance up.
Hey, Mike Salk here, and great news. This August, luxury awaits at Snoqualmie Casino and Hotel. Yes, the hotel is finally opening. You can book now for an unforgettable summer experience at snocasino.com. Breathtaking views of the Cascades in Snoqualmie Valley, an expanded non-smoking gaming floor, awesome destination spa, a 2,000-seat entertainment space and convention center, and yes, new food venues, restaurants as well. You can book at snocasino.com. Seattle's closest. It's now Snoqualmie Casino and Hotel.
Ken's Pool and Patio reminds parents swimming is a healthy outlet for kids if we remember to put safety first. Make sure your children are visible at all times by a lifeguard or responsible adult. Sign them up for swimming lessons and provide a flotation device for added safety. Always check swimming conditions in advance and remind your kids to never swim alone. Best wishes to all our kids from the entire team at Ken's Pool and Patio, your family-owned full-service pool company, proudly serving you for over 50 years. Online at kenspool.com.
Need to know.
15 minutes past every hour with Brock and Salk.
Here's what you need to know. Up first.
Up first, well, unfortunately, the Mariners, wasn't good. Remember I said that the night before was like, hey, you knew in the first inning that game was over? Not last night. Last night was the exact opposite. First inning, I was like, oh, they're going to beat up this team a second time, and they're going to really start rolling. George Kirby looks great. Obviously, they're eventually going to do something against Trevor Williams. Got an ERA well over 6 and doesn't have very good stuff. And instead, it just went completely the opposite way. Kirby ended up getting bombed. The ball that James Wood hit in the 5th inning.
Dangerous left-handed bat. They'll wind up in the pitch on the way to Wood. Swinging a high drive deep to right field. Tavares doesn't even turn around. Way up there, and it is gone way back into the lower deck in right field.
Way back, man. That was his second gigantic home run in as many days.
That
I mean, he's
dude,
hit
for
a couple
being
of
6'7", Dave Alley said last night, he is so short to the ball.
Yeah.
You know, it was the one thing that Grandpa Mike, in a lot of wisdom, Salky back in the 80s with a young Brock Huer was like, listen, you're never going to be a great athlete, super fast or whatever. You're big. People are going to look at you as being slow release. You are going to have a compact, short release, not long. And you're going to speed everything up. And whoever that guy's mentor was growing up and whoever taught him how to swing the bat was like, listen, you're 6'7". There's going to be no loop. You're not going to be long. You're going to be short to the ball, and you are going to hit bombs.
You know
wow, that dude is special.
You know what's really odd about him to this point in his career? For as unreal as he's been, he doesn't pull the ball a lot, especially for home runs. But the last 2 nights, he's pulled the ball for home runs.
Well, the first one was straightaway center. I mean,
yeah.
That wasn't even, I mean, maybe it's technically a pull, but that was straightaway center.
In general, like he's gone the other way a lot, which is just interesting.
All of that one yesterday. They hit 3 home runs in the game, but Dan didn't think those were as big a deal.
Thought George, looked real sharp early on, and then, a couple home runs, but I thought he started to settle in a little bit, and then they were able to, tack on some singles. A couple of those pitches pretty good, just able to flip them into the outfield and create some traffic, get some guys in. And
yeah, I felt like it was more the home runs.
Yeah, they did the big things. They did the little things. They did. They hit the ball the other way. Here's a cheap little hit here. Here's a cheap little hit. They put pressure. Randy didn't, bust it to the ball, and they sent the run. Like they did to you.
Funny, you saw that as being on Randy?
Oh, I didn't think he was a hundo to the ball. And
no, but I mean,
obviously the throw by JP, he was surprised that they sent the runner.
JP should have had that guy out by 10 steps.
He should have. He should have.
I mean, like the throw before, if you want to get on Randy a little bit, was up the line, but
yeah,
that one, like, he threw the ball in plenty of time. I mean, JP's got to throw him out at the plate. I don't know. I thought that one was much more on the shortstop, but
well, the rubber match is tonight
again. As always, another rubber match for this team. And we were talking about it earlier, like kind of a big one. Not a must win, obviously, but like you win this game and you're back on track and, you win another rubber match and that's sort of who you are. You lose this one and now you've lost another series and, to a mediocre I don't know. Like it not a must win.
You don't want to lose 3 series in a row at home. You don't want to do that.
Yeah.
You don't want to go 2-7, 2-8 at home.
And certainly against the team here, like it was one thing against the Yankees. This is not a very good team, this Washington group. So, yeah, you'd like to take advantage today and maybe beat another ace, Mackenzie Gore, who also came over along with Wood in that big deal for Juan Soto.
Here's the second thing you need to know.
Got a chance to see Jackson Kowar for the first time last night, which was fun. I thought he looked really good. High 90s fastball and a good slider. Maybe he'll work his way into a leverage spot. We'll see. He gets called up. Logan Evans gets sent down, and, shouldn't have been a huge surprise. Bryce Miller's going to be back this weekend, and as the youngest guy and the last one in, Logan Evans is also the first one out.
Yeah, it'd have been fun to be a fly on that wall. I can't imagine that Logan was surprised. Really,
I'd be surprised if they didn't tell him right at the beginning. You're here until Bryce comes back.
That's right. That's right.
That simple.
And we're going to build you up, and we're going to develop you the right way, and we're going to do to you what we've done to Brian Wu and Bryce Miller, and we're going to protect your inning output, especially coming out of your collegiate situation where you didn't throw for 150 innings, and you're going to be built up the right way.
Yeah, I thought Kowar.
Sorry. Didn't mean to hit that. That's my fault. Let's just move it along. That's my bad. That's just my bad.
Here's the third thing you need to know.
I got itchy. Just clicked on a button. Seahawks number 21 in ESPN's FPI Power Rankings. And again, it feels just kind of bizarre to me. They were the 14th best team at the end of the year last year, right? You finish 10-7. It's the 14th best record in the league. That's why you get the 18th pick. Somehow they fall 7 spots. Feels like a lot. Behind Arizona, behind Pittsburgh, who doesn't have a quarterback, behind the Cowboys. 10 spots behind the Niners, 11 spots behind the Rams. I just look. I know that they maybe downgraded a quarterback, Brock, and I'm willing to say, yeah, maybe they did, but that significantly, I just don't see Geno Smith in that regard. I just don't, and I do think that there's a reasonable expectation that in year 2, Mike Macdonald is better.
For a head coach, there are so many things that you implement, so many things that you do that when you look back on it, you're like, wow, I really screwed that up, and man, I wish I had that play back, and that's not going to happen to me again. So I think year 2 is where, you really start to feel comfortable in implementing what you want to do, who you want to be. And obviously that's why they made the changes they made from a coaching staff standpoint and everything else.
Yeah, Football Power Index is based on past production. That's what it is going to be based on. And the fact that you lose Geno and you lose DK, I will say, I'm just kind of looking at this receiver list. That little number that Sheil threw out to us at the end about receivers of 32 years in that ilk and how it is a young man's game at that position. Even last year, Cooper Kupp last year was 67 for 710 and 6 touchdowns. You don't think he can replicate that? Is he all of a sudden, because he went from 31 to 32, going to fall that dramatically off the cliff? Does his body and his workouts right now, any evidence that he is going to slow down that dramatically? Or do you think, I think like a 67, 800 yards, 6 touchdowns is very much within range. But I don't think FBI does, and certainly Sheil Kapadia for his C- grade does not.
He does not. All right, that's everything you need to know. 15:15 every hour here in the Brock and Salk Show. Paul Hembekides, Hembo, works at ESPN with Mike Greenberg, with Buster Olney. Huh?
Is that Greek, Hembekides?
I would assume so. But he's Hembo. He's sneaky Hembo when he comes up with his daily trivia question for Greeny, and he has been loving the Mariners, specifically Cal Raleigh, specifically Andres Munoz. We played you a bunch of his sound earlier in the week and last week, and we're going to chat with him next for the first time. We're looking forward to it. Stick around. It's coming up on Brock and Salk.
Wyman and Bob, afternoons 2 to 7.
The one, the only John Morosi is with us. We're trying to figure out what's going to be happening as we approach the trade deadline.
For me, the lineup is still the spot where I would focus on the most. This team has shown they've got plenty of pitching. They always do. The second half of the lineup, for me, is what's going to be the difference between them having a good chance at a postseason berth and a team that can win a round.
Dave Wyman and Bob Stelton, afternoons 2 to 7 on Seattle Sports, the app, YouTube, and your smart speaker.
All right, Mike Salk here. It's just about summer. Yesterday sure felt like it. Today, a little off, but then the next few days are going to be beautiful as well. So you're thinking beach, barbecues, golf, vacation, all the stuff you look forward to in the summer. Well, there'll be pictures, so don't you want to look and feel your very best for all of that? Eastside Weight Loss Clinic can help. Trust me, you can do it super fast. I lost 15 pounds in 2 weeks. I lost 35 pounds total after just 8 weeks. Yeah, so you got time. Get it done. Schedule a 15-minute no-obligation consult right now at eastsideweightlossclinic.com. You can expect safe, healthy, sustainable weight loss. No pills, no injections, no surgery. And I always say this, but I think it's important. It's not fake food. It's real food that you buy at the grocery store, not from them. And you eat the right stuff, you will look and feel your very best. They'll give you the recipe so everything tastes good, and you won't be hungry while you're doing it. What's the secret? You'll find out. Just takes a 15-minute phone call. Go to eastsideweightlossclinic.com to schedule. That's eastsideweightlossclinic.com. Dr. Ryan Coogan, D.C. Results may vary.
Introducing frequent flights between Boeing Field and a private terminal at Portland Airport. Seaport Airlines is transforming travel with convenience, comfort, and free parking just steps from your plane. It's about time. Book today at flyseaportair.com.
Need a new roof now? With State Roofing and Exteriors, you can get started with 0 down, 0 payments, and 0 interest for up to 24 months. That's right. Protect your home now and pay later. Call 866-ROOF-ROOF or visit stateroofing.com today.
Hi, this is Nancy Penrose, owner of Big Trees in Snohomish. Spring has sprung. Need color to brighten up your yard or privacy trees to keep your neighbors guessing? Now is the time to buy. With hundreds of trees arriving in the nursery daily, Big Trees has the perfect tree for you. Check out our updated inventory list online at bigtreesupply.com or come visit the nursery today.
Progressive knows owning a home can be hard, but not always. Like when you're relaxing on your patio, enjoying a nice, quiet evening. So quiet. Except for the sound of the neighbor's party. Which you said you'd go to if you weren't busy. And your quiet night on the patio, that's not exactly busy, is it? Maybe you should just stay inside. At least Progressive's Home Quote Explorer lets you easily compare rates, so shopping for insurance is the easiest part of owning a home. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company affiliates and third-party insurers. Comparison rates not available in all states or situations. Prices vary based on how you buy.
Still getting around to that fix on your car? You got this. On eBay, you'll find millions of parts guaranteed to fit. Doesn't matter if it's a major engine repair or your first time swapping your windshield wipers. eBay has that part you need, ready to click perfectly into place for changes big and small. Loud or quiet. Find all the parts you need at prices you'll love. Guaranteed to fit every time. But you already know that. eBay. Things, people, love. Eligible items only. Exclusions apply.
Bonneville International radio station contests are open to participants 18 years of age or older that are residents of Washington State unless otherwise specified. Employees or agents of the station, Bonneville International Corporation, other area radio stations, or any entity associated with the contests are not eligible to win unless the station otherwise specifies at its own discretion. Persons who have won in the last 60 days from a station contest or event may not be eligible. Full general contest rules are available on seattlesports.com or in person at the station during regular business hours.
Get rid of stubborn fat and address areas of loose skin with ProSculpt, the simple one-day permanent fat reduction and skin tightening treatment. Book your free consultation at prosculpt.com.
So, how's your research going?
Surprising! After I figured out the top-rated TVs in our price range, I went shopping for deals.
And who's the best?
It wasn't the internet, and it wasn't the warehouse club.
But?
It was video only. They had better deals on the Samsung, LG, and the Sony TVs that got the highest scores.
Better than online and at the club?
I know! Video only beat them all. And now we can afford an even better model for the same price. My research really paid off.
If we buy it video only.
Exactly. Otherwise, we'll be sorry.
At Video Only, you won't find huge stores with refrigerators or microwaves, but you will find the best deals on top-rated TVs, soundbars, and monitors. Shop around. Just make sure you visit Video Only, because if you don't,
you'll be sorry.
In South Center, Bellevue, Linwood, Federal Way, and Tacoma, Video Only.
Endless hours of research, seeking referrals, dozens of calls. Hiring the right attorney can be a challenging process during an already difficult time. J.P. Pendergast with Pendergast Law explains.
In Washington State, Tom, there are thousands of attorneys to choose from. Referrals and online research can be helpful, but discovering the right attorney requires a conversation. It can be hard to identify integrity and authenticity without that interaction.
So, what do you recommend?
We encourage anyone looking for personal injury representation to call for a free consultation with our team before making a decision simply based on referrals or online research. Accident victims need an attorney that listens, demonstrates honesty, and is genuinely understanding of their unique circumstances. The care, attention, and preparation that our firm provides throughout the case mirrors the effort involved when taking on the insurance companies.
Save time and avoid mistakes after an injury. Contact the caring and compassionate team at Pendergast Law.
If you or a loved one has been injured in a car accident, call Pendergast Law. We can help.
From the Quantum Fiber Studio.
This is Brock and Salk.
Weekdays 6 to 10.
On Seattle Sports and 97.3 FM HD2.
So this might have been easier yesterday, coming off the nice Mariner win where we got to talk about their A game and the bats and doing all the big things with the home runs and some of the little things later, and the pitching was tremendous, and everything kind of came together. Defense was awesome in that game. It was the very best version of these Mariners versus last night, where you've got like the exact opposite. The bats were anemic. You got nothing.
Haven't had many of those, right? In the first third of the season?
Not a lot, but you sure got one yesterday. It was one of the, it was that one and maybe like that game in Chicago. So those were like the two maybe that I would mention. So yeah, it feels like a little easier to have a positive kind of guess yesterday than today. But we're going to talk to Hembo here in just a minute. We're having a little problem connecting to him, but we'll do that here in just a sec. He has been, so he's a stats-based guy, right? He does trivia for Greenberg, et cetera. And he just loves the Mariners, it sounds like. I mean, not like he's a Mariner fan, but like, because he actually loves the Mariners. Most Mariner fans hate the Mariners, obviously. So, no, he loves the Mariners. He just seems to really love Cal and love guys like Munoz and just kind of be pretty impressed by a lot of what they've done.
Well, when you're doing it in a way that's better than everybody else in the league, Salk, and then you're doing it as, Lyle referenced, and I saw his podcast the other day. I don't even know if you call it a podcast. His hit there in the social media realms, comparing what Cal has done here and projecting out over the course of a season to the best years catchers have ever had, ever. And obviously the home runs, 2 the other night, to hit from the right side. He's hit 2 from the left side. He's in a game hit him from the right and the left side. Never been done in the history of the sport. So I think guys that appreciate history, as Hembo does, and kind of a statistical relevance with that and doing things not done in the league, you start to draw a little bit of attention. And it's nice that that battery of Andres and Cal in particular are getting the attention they certainly deserve.
Well, they deserve a lot of it. And look, they're going to need some of it today. I think Lyle made a good point. This is a big game. It's a big game. As I said, you start looking back to about the start of that last homestand where they lost a couple games against the Blue Jays. They're now 8 and I had this year. They were 7-10, right?
7-10.
And so now you're looking at 8-11,
right? And you lose, you go 8-12.
Yeah.
You lose 3 series in a row at home. You lose to a team that's 5 games under 500. That's not nearly as complete as you are. Good offensive team. They got some dangerous bats, and they sure stack up all the lefties. Every single guy in their lineup can do that. But from a pitching standpoint, bullpen standpoint, this is a series you want to win at home, especially coming off of an off day on Monday, play into your ceiling on Tuesday. This is one you'd like to find a way to do what you've done for the majority of the season, and that is win these rubber matches.
Sorry, I'm just working on something here, buddy. I'm sorry.
Is this you again with a guest? Did you give him, is this?
No, he said he's there. He's rating. He said that the phone's not working for some reason. So
really?
I don't know what's going on.
It's going straight to voicemail.
I know. I told him that.
It says it's his name. I don't.
He's going to call us. I just gave him the number, so he's going to call us. But I needed you to talk for a moment. I needed you to cover for me.
Oh, but you know what I like.
So I could send
to
this.
bust your chops when it comes to guests and trying to get the whole thing
I know,
done.
but I needed you to cover for me for a minute while I was going through and sending a note. And
isn't baseball just remarkable?
Supposed to be a partner.
Isn't baseball just remarkable, Salk? That honest to goodness, you watch that first inning yesterday, and we've seen it. Titus had a game last year with his little baseball team. Played the top team in the state of Colorado, whatever it was, 14U. This team called Slammers, and they beat us 35-3. And Molly was like, and I was flying home from a game and getting to be at the Sunday game, and of course in the pool play and then tournament, you get match up with them again. We lost to them 35-3. They hit bomb after bomb after bomb.
Right.
And then the next day we find a way to win 5-4. Like, you watch these games back-to-back days. You watch the stuff of their starting pitcher yesterday versus Kirby stuff, and you're like, there's no way.
All right, let's get Hembo on the line here. We've got Hembo. Good morning, sir. Sorry about the little confusion, but good to have you. Thanks for spending a few minutes with us.
Invite you guys to a fabulous show. I'm happy to be a part of it today. How's it going?
Well, it's going great. I thought maybe, but we want to ask you about Cal and we want to ask you about Munoz and some of the other stuff you've been talking about recently. But for those who aren't as familiar, could you kind of give your story a little bit of kind of who you are and how you got going with Greeny and with Buster, et cetera?
Sure thing. I'll give you the elevator pitch. So I've been at ESPN for more than 10 years now, and not soon after I arrived, it became fairly obvious fairly quickly that my passion for baseball was going to enable me to have opportunities that I only dreamed of when I was younger, as you might imagine. So I've been on the pod with Buster for 7-8 years now, and originally linked up with Greeny back in the Mike and Mike days. And as you now know, I produce Get Up, which is our morning television show, and have since the day that it launched in 2018. But I'll be honest with you, like, I'm just a baseball knower, a baseball lover, and for as much football as we talk, and for as much NBA as we talk, baseball is my love, first, last, and always. And so I always appreciate the fact that you guys amplify my stuff, and love digging into some Mariners today. I'd imagine that you guys are, like, you're immersed in a pretty fun season, and this is my way of saying I don't really want to talk about myself that much more. So I'll rely on you to provide your listeners my bona fides. But honestly, I just want to talk ball and not talk Hembo.
Have we crossed paths, Hembo, when you were taping a Buster podcast back in the day before I left to jump to Fox? Did we ever share studio space together back there in Bristol?
I don't believe so, because I think if we had, you very likely would not have invited me on this show, because I'm sure you would have had a negative experience.
Gotcha.
But our paths may have crossed in terms of timeline, but I don't know that we've ever, aside from maybe 2 Ships in the Night and the ESPN path, legendarily, aside from that, I don't believe so. I could be mistaken, though.
So how good is Cal?
He is absolutely phenomenal. There is no question in my mind that you are watching every single night the best catcher on earth. I think that is clear and obvious at this point. I want to say coming into the season, I do these top 10 rankings every year in the offseason with Buster, and I want to say I still had Cal third behind William Contreras and Adley Rutschman, and right now he's twice the player that they are, even combined. He's phenomenal. There are very few catchers that I've ever seen that have the ability to impact winning in multiple ways the way that he is right now. Now, that's not to suggest that he's going to necessarily triple the production that we've seen from the first third of the season, but candidly, he doesn't even have to. If Cal Raleigh merely plays the back of his baseball card the rest of the season, the head start that he has provided himself provides him a really good chance to be an MVP finalist and to be considered clearly and obviously the best catcher in the game. I think the reason why the national perception of him is not yet to this point, aside from us, of course, not watching him every day the way that you do, is because he's so brilliant, it's boring. You know, there are certain catchers who, pop off the page when it comes to their StatCast metrics. There are certain catchers whom we love because they have the 1-8 pop time consistently, and they might look a little bit more flashy or brilliant. Cal Raleigh is kind of boring, but it's brilliant. That's the kind of baseball player that I like. I'm going to play 162 times, by the way, something that no catcher does, and I'm going to bang, and behind the plate, I'm going to manage a pitching staff really effectively because I can block it, I can frame it, and these guys have built up a good relationship with me over the years. And that, to me, is one way in which Cal Raleigh's impact value cannot be captured in WAR. WAR is, simply put, not a satisfactory calculation when it comes to the impact of him and other catchers like him. Yadier Molina is another really good, somewhat recent example. And Cal Raleigh right now is a better hitter than he ever was. And so I think you're looking at a player who I think conservatively we can say right now is the best catcher on earth, clearly and obviously, and on this current trajectory is going to be a finalist for the MVP. Unfortunately, Aaron Judge is acting like Babe Ruth at the moment.
Compare and contrast him to Salvi Perez.
So without destroying Salvador Perez, who might be putting the finishing touches on a career worthy of Hall of Fame consideration, truthfully, there is no comparison. And Cal Raleigh at his peak, which right now he is immersed in, is a demonstrably better baseball player than Salvador Perez was. And that's not my opinion. It's a statement of fact, because Salvador Perez was never close to the defender when it comes to the all-encompassing nature of his game as Cal Raleigh is right now, nor was Salvador Perez at the apex of his powers from an offensive standpoint, catching every single day. The year in which he broke the single-season catcher home run record, he didn't catch nearly close to every day. I think he caught like somewhere between 110 and 120 times that season. I don't have the numbers directly in front of me, which is probably stunning for you to hear me say. But Cal Raleigh's going to catch 120 times this year. He's going to play 160 times, and that's the big difference. The thing that we do, I think, nefariously, erroneously, is we look at a player's production in totality and they say, oh, yeah, they're a primary catcher, which means you got to play 81 times there. But, guys, you know as well as I do, the taxing nature of that position means if you're producing in the games in which you're playing there and not merely in the games where you're also DHing, which, of course, was a huge part of Salvador Perez's record-breaking season. That is the genius of Cal Raleigh. The fact that he's doing this behind the plate and he's doing it 4 out of 5 nights. That's the genius. When you look at the course of baseball history, some of the greats, They're the ones that were behind the plate every single time in which they played. And that, to me, is what Cal Raleigh's doing. He's not a bat who's masquerading as a catcher half the time. No, he's a catcher who's masquerading as one of the best hitters on earth right now.
You know, it's funny, Hembo, because you bring that up, and in a lot of ways I get it. It's a positive. And by the way, oddly, his numbers as a DH are not good. Like he's like Samson with his haircut. I mean, like his whole game does not seem to translate, at least this year, as a DH. But while I agree that is more impressive, is it the best thing for the team for him to catch and play that often? You know, you look at I've just spent a few minutes looking at some of the numbers of great catchers over the years, and their September numbers do tend to drop. Should they be playing him that often or not?
I think they should be, because I think he's capable of it. Every player has, as you well know, various degrees of bandwidth. Maybe the reason why the Royals decided to deploy Salvador Perez that way is because he didn't have the fortitude. He did not have the bandwidth to do it as often as Cal Raleigh is doing it. Any number of other examples we would provide ourselves throughout the course of baseball history. But this guy is a little bit different. He's built differently, best I can tell. And look, maybe in September, I'm going to look like an idiot because maybe his production tails off. But there's also no obvious way that we can know in which his production, which perhaps might tail off, is in any way dovetailed to the fact that he's catching so frequently now. There are any number of variables and so few constants that we can point to if and when that happens. I think value is produced on a daily basis, and what makes him so valuable is the boring, is the repetitive. My favorite record in the history of baseball is 26-32. It's Cal Ripken Jr.'s consecutive game streak. The enormous value that he provides is the fact that every single day you know where he's going to be. And that enables your manager to have so much more flexibility because you're making 8 decisions instead of 9. And so perhaps I'm wrong about this, but I think one way in which we can provide value to the team on a daily basis is that consistency, is that monotony. And that's exactly what Cal Raleigh does every single day.
Wow, look at this guy. You just wind him up, Salk, and he just goes. He loves his baseball.
In fairness, I have a workout plan for right after this, and as you can probably tell, I already took my free, and so I probably should have done that after our call.
Is Hembo Greek? Are you Greek?
I'm Greek, yeah, man.
Man.
Hembekides. Anytime you get a 10-letter ES ending and there's a K mixed in, it's a dead giveaway.
I figured it. I just didn't want to assume. I mean, you're the Greek freak of baseball. He is Hembo. So let me just tee you up on another guy. There's 10 minutes on Cal. How about Andres Munoz and what he's done to begin this season?
The best closer in baseball. I mean, the pitch mix is filthy. When you're running it basically 2 feet arm side on your two-seamer, and then you're breaking it, a 1.5 feet vertically to your glove side, it puts hitters in such a challenging bind. And the way in which he tunnels his pitches at the bottom half of the zone makes it so challenging to square up, because whatever contact you can create, even if it's hard contact, you're just driving that baseball straight into the ground. And the way that I put it on Buster's podcast a couple weeks back, again, the monotony of the season, the consistent nature of pitchers, of position players. You're playing an 8-inning game right now with Andres Munoz as your closer, and that's enormously valuable because it enables every single one of your other relief pitchers to play up. There's this notion when it comes to starting pitchers and how you deploy them that every inning they can provide you throughout the course of a season improves your bullpen ERA at least by a little bit the next day, and even more the day after that. And the way that Andres Munoz can be deployed is that in reverse, because what you're doing is you're working backwards rather than how can I get to the 9th inning? No, how can I get to the 8th? Because you know what your 9th inning is going to look like, and you very likely know that he's going to put up zeros. The fact that he's willing to and able to in the offseason deploy new pitches and experiment with his craft demonstrates to me that he has an enormous amount of aptitude, and that's so impressive because we see so many pitchers max out, and then they say, okay, once the league has adjusted back to me, then it's just my good versus your good, and very often that's how relievers and their volatility will tail off over the course of time. But the fact that he has the ability to adjust back, that shows enormous maturity from someone whose stuff is just diabolical.
Yeah,
so, look, at some point he's going to give up a couple runs, but in a playoff context, I can't imagine handing the ball to anybody and feeling more confident than I would in Andres Munoz this season.
Yeah, it's funny. He's been hurt, and so he's not all the way back yet, but when healthy, you can make an argument anyway that Brash has even better stuff than Munoz.
Yeah. That's the I think the best kept secret right now about the Mariners is that the thing that we thought for sure we knew was that it was going to be an outstanding pitching staff is not the case so far, and yet you're still 6 games over. And that's why you should feel and your fans should feel so incredibly optimistic, because some of your highest-powered arms right now are on the shelf, and you're still managing to tread water. And that ultimately, as you well know, is a sign of a great team. It's not how good is your good. It's how good is your bad. How good is your ordinary? How good are you when you don't have every person rowing in the same direction? And right now, the Mariners are generally speaking, managing to tread water despite that injury, despite the Logan Gilbert setback. And most teams could not absorb the kind of injuries like this. One of your best starters, one of your best relievers all at once. But they've done a good enough job at stacking high volume of good enough, average to good players, and over the course of 162, that enables your roster to play out.
So it's funny you bring up sort of how good is your bad, and that's been some of the conversation about Julio this year, that his slow start has not been as slow as it's been at times in the past. But, still just waiting for that superstar player to emerge. Do you have a feeling or a comp on who Julio is?
I don't have a top-of-head comp, but I do have a strong feeling. And that feeling is that he is either being instructed to hit incorrectly, or he's not adhering to advice that he's currently getting from Edgar Martinez and the rest of the staff. And I want to make it clear. You're much closer to it than I am. I'm seeing this from the opposite coast many times the day after, seeing highlights, watching swings, looking at stats. But there is no reason why that guy should not be a way better hitter. You know it. I know it, and we know for sure that he's able to accumulate WAR because the legs are so good, because the glove is so good. And so the floor is a 5 or 6 WAR player. But we know the reason we dream on him is because the ceiling's an 8 or 10 WAR player. And there's no obvious reason to believe, based on the bat speed and based on any of the other sort of go nuclear times that we've seen him go on, that he can't put it together. But when I say that he's either not adhering to coaching or they're coaching the wrong things, is because it's very clear based on the numbers that he is timing the fastball to go to right center and timing the breaking ball to yank it. And that is without casting aspersions, is an elementary way of approaching hitting for a player of his stature. What Julio Rodriguez should be doing is, for lack of a better term, positioning his barrel based upon the pitch location and not the pitch height. What he's doing is for lack of a better term, imagine 2 pitches going exactly down the middle. The first is a fastball. His timing is such where he's hitting that ball into the ground because it's beating him to the spot, for lack of a better term. The same pitch, a breaking ball, he's pulling that pitch. And the reason why that's an ineffective strategy for Julio Rodriguez is because the pull side power is so enormous, and when he can get on plane with fastballs to the pull side, he's one of the best hitters on the planet. He's just not doing it hardly at all. So even if you don't even take into account his chasing nature, his swing decisions, it needs to be a location-driven swing and not a pitch-type-driven swing. And perhaps the reason he does it this way is because he doesn't have good pitch recognition, and that could be something that they could work on him throughout the course of time. But all the metrics suggest he should be way better, and what the numbers say to me is that the way in which he attacks the baseball is backwards. He needs to be aiming for location and not for pitch type.
What did you say your pre-workout mix is?
I think this is some C4. And right now look. I mean, who among us hasn't spoken about the way that Julio Rodriguez goes to his pull side and had the hair on the back of our necks stand up from time to time.
I got a text here that says, "Awesome interview so far, guys. Make it a policy that all of your guests take a pre-workout before coming on." We may get more of this before it's said and done.
Okay, so last thing for me, Hembo, what do you want to see the Mariners do over the next 30 to 50 days? Right, half game up in the American League West, as you said, kind of treading some water, and then some have done some really great things individually. What would you like them to do over the next, 30 to 50 days to get us back into these playoffs and become possibly a World Series contender?
I would like to see them add an infielder. I just don't think the present construction of the lineup, specifically the infield, is satisfactory enough. There are too many easy outs in the bottom third of the order. I think they do need one more professional hitter, and I think that's going to have to come via the trade market. The good thing is that, as you well know, your system's loaded, freaking loaded. And so you actually have the ability to trade from the depth of your minor league system, and even if that means you're punting on service time and years of control for a rental, you can afford to do it. the two names that I wrote down in advance of our conversation today are Brandon Lau of the Rays. You guys obviously consummated that trade for Arozarena last year, so the relationship is there. He's mashing. He can play multiple positions in the infield, big-time lefty power bat. And the second name I wrote down is Bo Bichette, obviously a very different kind of player, someone who you could probably play a second or a third if you needed to, of course, in a pinch, and is a much more of a opposite field hit for contact type guy. And even though both players are rentals, in my judgment, you don't really want to trade for somebody with a bunch of years of control, given the fact that there are so many studs that play the infield in your system. And so from the perspective of looking long term, like the last thing that I would want to do would be to block those guys. The last thing I want to do is acquire an infielder with a bunch of years left on his contract, for lack of a better term. And so I think Bo Bichette, again, just as examples, as proxies, and Brandon Lau are both examples of players that I think the Mariners could add, coupled with the inevitability of the return of some of these pitchers we've discussed. I think put you in pole position to win the American League West.
I like those names. Lau was on my list today as well. Bichette's always been on my list, but I just never been 100% convinced they'll trade him. A couple others. I'm curious if you like any of these names for the Mariners, because I think they could also have a little flexibility in the outfield as well. Cedric Mullins, Ryan O'Hearn, Rhys Hoskins, if Milwaukee were to fall out. I even brought up Isaiah Kiner-Falefa as a possibility in the infield. Any of those jump out to you?
Yes, I mean, any and all. It's going to come down to how from the perspective of prospects capital, how far Jerry Dipoto is willing to go. Also, just demonstrated by the fact that we've just rifled off a bunch of names here. It's going to be the market for position players on the move is going to be glutty. It's going to be vast and wide. It's going to be pitchers that are going to be more difficult to obtain, which is why I think that Baltimore is a fairly interesting potential trade partner, because Felix Bautista would look awfully good in the back of a bullpen with Andres Munoz. And I can imagine consummating a deal in which you acquire one bat and him on the back end of your bullpen, and all of a sudden you've improved your team in multiple ways considerably. And so I'm just throwing this at, like, I don't know if you guys, how wrongly you feel, pardon my ignorance, about potentially moving Harry Ford, considering Cal Raleigh's banging and Cal Raleigh's locked up to a long-term deal. But that's the kind of package for which I would be willing to move Harry Ford, because if you have the ability to improve your team in multiple ways in one trade, all of a sudden, now I'm willing to move a top 100 prospect.
It's great stuff. People wondering if C4 stands for coffee, caffeine, and crack cocaine. I don't think so. No, it's just a little more natural than that, I think. But I'm not necessarily the expert on that. Hembo,
look, you're the Pacific Northwest guys. That's your milieu. That's not mine.
Exactly right. All right, man. Hey, appreciate it. This was great. Please, let's do it again. Love all of your stuff on the Mariners, and keep tagging us in it, because it's fun to share it, and it's great to have you on the show. Thank you so much.
Appreciate you, boys. I'm going to go work out now.
All right, there you go. There's Hembo, Brock. That was fun.
Please.
Dave Cameron heard that interview, I think, and was like, I don't know, this guy doesn't talk fast enough for me. But other than that, I think that...
You ever tried C4?
No.
Lyle, you tried C4?
Yeah, like back when I was in college, I'd use it every now and then, but I wasn't a huge fan.
What is it? Is it just like...
It's pre-workout.
It's a good energy drink.
It's cheap pre-workout.
Like 5-hour energy, that type of thing?
I mean, it's powder that you put into water and mix it up. But
okay.
They sell them in a can now. I had one the other day on my drive to and from Wyoming.
That's not for me.
Let me just quickly say before we go to break, oh my God, if they actually traded for Felix Bautista,
that'd be
very
interesting.
I keep talking about relievers. I would be so
He's
fired
probably
up.
the best reliever that would be available, right?
Can't do it.
Certainly
Can't
on the
do
list.
It. Can't have a fake King Felix. Can't do it. Not going there.
Maybe that's the
Can't
problem.
win with him. Can't have it.
All right. We got an hour to go, Brock. I do want to play. I got sound to play you. I've got a couple numbers that I've got to give you. I know that you want to get to number 10 on our countdown of things we're looking for during Seahawks OTAs. So it's going to be a very, very busy final hour of the show. It's Brock and Salk, Seattle Sports on 710.
Wyman and Bob, afternoons 2 to 7.
The one, the only John Morosi is with us. We're trying to figure out what's going to be happening as we approach the trade deadline.
For me, the lineup is still the spot where I would focus on the most. This team has shown they've got plenty of pitching. They always do. The second half of the lineup, for me, is what's going to be the difference between them having a good chance at a postseason berth and a team that can win a round.
Dave Wyman and Bob Stelton, afternoons 2 to 7 on Seattle Sports, the app, YouTube, and your smart speaker.
Need a new roof but not in the budget? A new roof roof doesn't have to break the bank. Justin Shirley, CEO of State Roofing and Exteriors here. Right now, State Roofing and Exteriors is offering 0 down, 0 payments, and 0 interest for up to 24 months. That's 2 years with no payments while getting the protection your home deserves. But this offer won't last forever. Call 866-ROOF-ROOF or visit stateroofing.com today to get on our summer schedule now. State Roofing and Exteriors, held to a higher standard since 1968.
My wife and I have been married for over 15 years, and I've never had any complaints about my performance in the bedroom. But after I turned 40, things started feeling different. I was gaining weight, losing muscle, and I just wasn't interested in sex anymore. My wife told me her friend's husband went through the same thing, and it turns out he had low testosterone. So we booked a free T-check at Revive Health, and that's when I learned that my testosterone levels were low too. We worked with a provider to create a custom treatment plan, and today, my wife and I are having more fun than we did on our honeymoon. My only regret is not reaching out sooner.
If you're ready to book your free T-check, visit ReviveMen'sHealth.com or call 206-529-1111. Again, that's 206-529-1111.
When the heat's in 11, cool AC would be heaven.
DayandNight.net.
Beat the rush. Act now before summer, because that heat's a real bummer.
DayandNight.net.
Even though our Northwest summers can be spectacular, there's always a long, hot stretch that makes everyone say, man, AC sure would be nice. Well, except for that one annoying friend who won't stop talking about how great his AC is. Hi, I'm Bruce with Day and Night Plumbing and Heating. You can stay comfortably cool when those hot temps arrive. This is the time to plan ahead and call us about installing a high-efficiency AC or heat pump. Or if you have an existing system, we'll come and service it. Make sure it's running efficiently and ready to cool when you need it.
Before the summer heat wave, keep your house cool and safe.
DayandNight.net.
Make sure your AC will keep you cool this summer. Save $50 on a pre-summer AC tune-up. Or for a new system, save up to $6,000 on qualifying cooling equipment.
DayandNight.net.
Hey, Mike Salk here, and great news. This August, luxury awaits at Snoqualmie Casino and Hotel. Yes, the hotel is finally opening. You can book now for an unforgettable summer experience at snocasino.com. Breathtaking views of the Cascades in Snoqualmie Valley, an expanded non-smoking gaming floor, awesome destination spa, a 2,000-seat entertainment space and convention center, and yes, new food venues, restaurants as well. You can book at snocasino.com. Seattle's closest. It's now Snoqualmie Casino and Hotel.
Go from daydreamer to industry leader with Amazon Business. From office supplies to IT essentials, Amazon Business provides tools that help you save costs and make insight-based decisions. Learn how to bring your visions to life at AmazonBusiness.com.
Here at the Almond Joy Factory, where tropical vibes abound, we use soft, fresh-tasting coconut.
The crunchiest almonds and delicious chocolate candy.
Ah, but do you know what our most important ingredient is? Sometimes you feel like a nut.
Sometimes you don't.
Almond Joy's got nuts and something even way better than that. Yes, Almond Joy is made with almonds and joy.
Get a $15 prepaid MasterCard after rebate when you buy 5 quarts of Mobil 1 full synthetic motor oil at O'Reilly Auto Parts.
O'Reilly Auto Parts.
Get in the zone, AutoZone.
Welcome to Bundle Deal Days at AutoZone. Well, I do need a bundle of things. When you bundle, you save. Do I save if I bundle oil with an oil filter? Save up to $12 on that bundle. What about brake pads and rotors? Bundle those and the brake pads are free. Can't save more than free. You can save on hundreds of deals during Bundle Deal Days. Ends June 2nd at AutoZone.
Get in the zone, AutoZone.
Restrictions apply. Duralast brake pads only.
Now more than ever, Lowe's knows you don't just want a low price, you want the lowest price. And with our lowest price guarantee, you can count on us for competitive prices on all your home improvement projects. If you find a qualifying lower price somewhere else on the same item, we'll match it. Lowe's, we help, you save. Price match applies the same item, current price at qualifying retailers. Exclusions and terms apply. Learn how we'll match price at lowes.com/lowest price guarantee.
This This is Seattle Sports.
Streaming through the Seattle Sports app.
KIRO AM Seattle. KIRO FM HD2 Tacoma. Home of the Seahawks, Mariners, and everything Seattle sports.
Give me a freaking auto!
From the Quantum Fiber Studio, this is Brock and Salk on Seattle Sports.
Brock Ewert is my hero.
Jay Buhner just punched me in the kidney.
We're going to give you a minute.
Doesn't really work that way, Sherm. This is a show that has my name on it.
It kind of does, though.
Now here are your hosts, Brock Ewert and Mike Salk.
Hello! People very torn on the C4. Some people think it's spectacular. Others says it'll make you crash.
Yeah. Yeah, he gave Mike Cameron a run for his money. There was a couple quips there where it was. Oof.
He was moving pretty quick. Dave Cameron, not Mike Cameron.
Sorry.
Yeah.
Dave Cameron.
I assume
not Mike.
Mike is
That's what I meant,
in a different. I mean, Mike was fast, more running.
I mean, can you picture Lyle on his podcast if he was interviewing Man on the Street style with him? Whew.
A lot of frenetic energy. It'd be a lot of frenetic energy. That was fun, though, and some really good stuff. I want to come back tomorrow, I think, to some of that Julio conversation as well. That was an interesting look into what's going on with Julio and kind of where he's at hitting-wise. We do have some more baseball to come. I got some awards that maybe we can do, Brock, at 9:30. Before we do it, though, every day at 9 o'clock as the Seahawks go through their OTAs, we've got 12 things to watch, and today we are on to...
Number 10.
Number 10. The great
well done,
Jim Zoran. Number 12 was all about the swag in the 12s. Number 11 was all about Jackson Smith and Jigba. And the wide receiver crew actually was more about Cooper Kupp. Number 10, Jim Zoran, as we count down the great numbers in Seahawk history. One of my sole individuals, Salk. Most of these are going to be position groups. Some of it's going to be schematic. Some of it's going to be the entire rookie class. I guess there's a couple individuals as I'm looking on my legal notepad here as we're going to count down eventually to number 1. But number 10 is a rookie individual. I apologize. I could easily have Jalen Milroe probably on there at some point. But it's actually the safety, the big nickel, the freak from South Carolina, Nick Emmanwori. Mike Mayock joined us, a couple weeks ago, talking about this rookie class. And this is, when Mike said this, I'm like, yep, if I'm out there watching, and next week the media will be allowed to be out watching, if I'm watching, I have got to see how this team is going to use Nick Emmanwori, and that's exactly what former general manager Mike Mayock had to say to us.
They moved up to get the safety, Nick Emmanwori, from South Carolina. I thought that was intriguing because if you're going to take a guy like him, you got to have a plan for him. What's the fit? Is he going to be Cam Chancellor? Is he going to be a big in the box safety? Or is he gonna cover people? What's he doing on third down? What's his role in sub? Is he going to be a will linebacker covering running backs or tight ends? I think you really have to have a plan. I mean, back in 20 or 21, there were a couple of guys with his body type taken early in the second round, both of whom have done well. It was Jeremy Chin, and the Pats took a guy also who's a really good football player. So I'm intrigued by John moving up to 35 to go get him.
A couple things to keep in mind. I think I can say incredibly confidently they thought they were going up to 31 to get Nick Emmanwori. I think we're going to trade with Philadelphia before Philadelphia made that happen with Kansas City, and they flipped around. They were going to be willing, Salk, to go up into that first round and get this guy, and would have loved to probably had the 5th year of control that a first rounder comes with. That didn't happen, so they came up into the second round and get him at pick number 35. The other element there that is so deeply intriguing that I feel very confident, if you were to say, okay, 32 programs, 32 defensive play callers, 32 different personalities, rank them as far as who is going to have a very clear plan for what they want from this guy. Mike Macdonald's going to be way up on that list. I mean, you can talk about in question and inexperience, all the other stuff you want to do. The one thing about Mike Macdonald is he knows exactly what he wants to do. And he was thrilled. This was a big Mike Macdonald pick, as it was with the personnel people and John Schneider. This is a guy he wanted for all of those reasons. And I would say to Mike Mayock, yes. Sometimes he can be a box safety. Sometimes he can be a will linebacker. Sometimes he's going to be a nickel. Sometimes he's going to be a shell safety. I mean, because unlike Cam Chancellor and even Jeremy Chin ran, I think, really well at the combine too, but none of them the caliber of athlete of this guy. None of them jumped 45. None of them ran 4.3. I mean, this guy just physical tool-wise is as stuffy as it gets. So I would be most intrigued to see actually not the plan they have for him. I would be most intrigued to see how much of it he can handle and how much they're willing to put on his plate. To me, that's the question. It isn't from the Seahawks perspective. It isn't dirty. It isn't McDonald. It isn't how do we utilize them. It is, all right, what are you showing us? Are you so overwhelmed that we're trying to put you in too many spots and it's slowing you down on this field? Or are you playing with that unbelievable twitch and step and speed that we know you have, but it, and you're able to absorb and process, kind of that Julio Rodriguez pitch recognition. Can you process and recognize everything we want you to do? Are you capable of doing that as a rookie? Or are we going to have to serve this thing in a little smaller sample size? That, to me, will be the real question.
I love it, and that's a good one. He is definitely somebody that you want to get eyes on, right? I didn't get a chance to get out to rookie minicamp more. I know you did. And he's just, one of those players. By the way, looks pretty good in 3.
Yeah.
Looks pretty good in number 3. And, Brock, I love it. I think that's a great one for number 10. We're doing those every day. Brock goes through 12 things to look forward throughout Seahawks OTAs and minicamp. All of these practices, phase 3 of the NFL.
Based on his coffee drink, by the way.
Yeah.
He can handle a lot. Remember we talked about that.
That's true. It's more complicated than yours.
Yeah, I think Stacy said cut him. Like, you can't possibly drink that. I mean, C4 is one thing. And I don't have it up in front of me, but it was
essentially how could you fit the max amount of sugar into this?
It was insane.
That's what she was worried about. But Brock, I understand your point. If you're capable of handling that order, then you're capable of potentially of handling all of the complexities of multiple positions and everything else he'd be asked to do. All right. Coming up in 20, Brock, I got sound that I know you're going to love.
I listened to it. It's my favorite sound you've sent.
I knew you would love this. So I'm excited. I'm going to play that for you in 20. I got Mariner Awards for you. And we'll just first give you everything you need to know. There's still a lot to do today, and I feel like there's not enough time to do it. It's Brock and Salk, Seattle Sports on 710 and 97.3 HD2.
Wyman and Bob, afternoons 2 to 7.
The one, the only, John Morosi is with us. We're trying to figure out what's going to be happening as we approach the trade deadline.
For me, the lineup is still the spot where I would focus on the most. This team has shown they've got plenty of pitching. They always do. The second half of the lineup, for me, is what's going to be the difference between them having a good chance at a postseason berth and a team that can win a round.
Dave Wyman and Bob Stelton, afternoons 2 to 7 on Seattle Sports, the app, YouTube, and your smart speaker.
Feeling lucky? Don't miss the Lucky Classic Collector Car Truck and Boat Auction, Saturday, May 31st at Tacoma's LeMay Marymount Event Center. Hundreds of cars, vintage, muscle, exotic, classics, trucks, boats, and more. Saturday, May 31st at Tacoma's LeMay Marymount Event Center. Millions of dollars in inventory, many must sell with no reserve whatsoever. Get lucky, get local, and get in line for the Northwest's greatest collector car auction. Auction details at luckyoldcar.com.
Business leaders know to solve a problem, you gotta look at it in a new way. Like travel between Seattle and Portland. Why is it such a pain? I-5 traffic, TSA slowdowns, SeaTac hassles. Seaport removes those pain points. We fly out of Boeing Field and a private terminal at PDX. You park for free, steps away from your plane. And with flights every 45 minutes, you're always home for dinner. Problem solved. Seaport Airlines. It's about time.
You ever try fixing your car and realize you're missing that one part? Yeah, been there. That's why eBay's my go-to. They've got millions of parts, guaranteed to fit. I'm talking brake pads for when yours have seen one too many miles of stop and go. Oil filters, because you don't mess around with your engine care. Even got this cold air intake on my watch list. I might just go for it. To keep the ride cool and your DIY streak hot. Find all the parts you need at prices you love. Guaranteed to fit every time. eBay. Things. People. Love. Eligible items only. Exclusions apply.
Progressive knows when you're on your boat, you're already on vacation. And Vacation You forgets all your worries. Vacation You doesn't even keep track of time and knows that time is a meaningless construct designed to control us, man. But Regular You knows you don't want to be too far out in the water after the sun goes down because Vacation You doesn't know how to navigate in the dark yet. Vacation You and Regular You really need to get on the same page. So bundle your boat with your home or auto policy and earn an automatic discount from Progressive. And spend the savings on the both of you.
Progressive Casualty Insurance Company affiliates and other insurers. Not available in all states or situations.
This might be the most surprising statistic I've shared in decades of doing local news. More than 75% of commuters will be involved in a car accident at some point. JP Pendergast of Pendergast Law with more.
What makes it more surprising? The average person will be involved in 3 to 4 collisions in their lifetime.
With accidents unbelievably prevalent, what are some safety tips if it happens to you?
Safety first. Secondary collisions are not uncommon while awaiting help. Turn on those hazards and remain in a safe place. If a bystander witnessed the accident, capture their information and encourage them to remain at the scene. Seek medical attention immediately if needed, as delaying can be a costly mistake. Lastly, remember that statements made to police and insurance adjusters can affect your case.
Collisions are more common than we'd like to think. If you find yourself in one, follow these helpful tips and then call my friends at Pendergast Law.
If you or a loved one's injured in a car accident, call Pendergast Law. We can help.
PendergastLaw.com.
John Curley here. Smart homeowners are upgrading heat pumps and air conditioners now before the summer heat wave with incredible rebates and discounts that'll save you up to $6,000. Home Comfort Alliance makes paying easy with 18 months, same as cash financing. Call Home Comfort Alliance today for a free quote and save up to $6,000. For your heating, cooling, plumbing, and electrical needs, visit HomeComfortAlliance.com today. That's HomeComfortAlliance.com.
Heading outdoors or on the water this weekend? Check in with Joey and Nelly on the Outdoor Line from 6 to 8 a.m. every Saturday on Seattle Sports and the Seattle Sports app.
Are you trying to buy a new home, or are you a local real estate agent seeking financing for a client? We're all tired of dealing with banks, credit unions, and endless guidelines. Wouldn't it be nice to go back in time when we had common sense lending? Hi, I'm Scott Rireka, CEO of Legacy Group Capital based in Bellevue. We are one of the largest local private portfolio lenders in Washington. We've helped thousands of home buyers and real estate investors reach their financial goals by leveraging the Legacy Common Sense borrowing platform. What that means is we lend our own money, we make our own decisions. If your deal makes sense, we'll get it done. Whether you're purchasing a new piece of real estate or refinancing an existing loan, bridge loans, construction, or regular home loan, it doesn't have to be as difficult as banks and lenders make it. If you're trying to grow wealth through real estate acquisition, come talk to the experts in private lending.
Call 425-635-4700 or LegacyG.com. Legacy Group Capital, your common sense lender. LegacyG.com.
Warm Beats and Black Diamond Christian Camps remind parents to enroll your kids in a positive youth program. Sports, hobbies, and community activities improve overall health and performance in school. These programs decrease drug use and violence and develop self-discipline and leadership skills. Let's team together this year to help our kids reach their full potential. Best wishes to all our kids from the entire team at Warm Beats and Black Diamond Christian Camps, Washington's premier camp, conference, and retreat facilities, online at warmbeats.com and blackdiamond.org.
Warmer weather, more sunlight, and your new car. That's right. At Toyota of Kirkland and Toyota of Renton, summer starts here. With their combined inventory of new, used, and certified pre-owned inventory, you're in for a summer to remember. Their fantastic teams will set you up with a test drive so you can ride off into that summer sun the same day. Summer starts here at Toyota of Kirkland and Toyota of Renton. Whether you're in the north or the south, they got you covered. Visit their incredible showrooms today or online at toyotaofkirkland.com and toyotaofrenton.com.
O'Brien.
Need to know.
15 minutes past every hour with Brock and Salk.
Here's what you need to know. Up first.
It was a rough go for the Mariners last night. They just didn't look good really in any facet of the game. And it's funny because that first inning from George Kirby, he looked electric. I really felt like, okay, here we go. We're going to get George Kirby back. And then in the second inning, couple of home runs, got away from him even more after that. He just, as he said, just wasn't able to put anybody away and wasn't able to put innings away.
Yeah, I just didn't really quite execute as well as I wanted to with 2 outs there. It was probably, just trying a little too hard with some pitches, aiming a little bit. Just got to do better with 2 outs. That's really what it is. And then, I had a lot. First pitch, kind of left some in the middle, but my curveball was really good tonight. Had a lot of good stuff going. It's just kind of getting ahead and then being able to finish guys with, 2 outs and get the team back dugout.
It is funny. If you just kind of follow the league through things like Pitching Ninja, you think that there is dominant pitching all over the league. And obviously there is a lot of great pitching all over the league. But if all you do from last night's game is get the pitching ninja version, you see the one unbelievable pitch that George Kirby threw in the first inning, and you're like, oh, he must have dominated last night. But when you see the whole game and you watch it and you see that he just, after that first inning, just didn't quite have that it factor that he did, pre-injury and has before, and may very well again. I just don't think he's ready to be at this stage.
No, I think that's fair, and I think you said that at the open of the show, and it's right. He looked like a guy, and just missed all the spring. I mean, there's a reason you build up in February and March and get yourself ready you kind of callous yourself and get yourself ready for everything that's going to come in the regular season. I thought you were going to say on the other side of that, you look at Trevor Williams stuff, and there's nothing.
Nothing.
I mean, it's like 85-mile-an-hour frisbees, but he was locating. I mean, he was away from everybody, and other than Mastroboni flipping it the other way a couple times, I mean, he just stayed out of harm's way and no stuff. No stuff. No athleticism. Nothing dynamic to him, and yet he threw and shoved 6 shutout innings.
Yeah, and then a couple of iffy defensive plays, and the next thing you know, you get beat 9-0, and so you put yourself in a spot where big game today. Another rubber match. You got Mackenzie Gore on the mound, former number 3 overall pick. He's their best pitcher. Got an ERA of 3.25 or so, and came over during the with the Soto deal. He's another lefty. Man, they've seen a lot of lefties recently, and it's behooved them for the most part. I know that it doesn't necessarily get all of their best hitters in there, right? It means that you've been getting Solano. It means that you've been getting obviously Mitch Garver, and those guys have not been great, although in the last couple of weeks, they've been better. Garver's no power. Neither of them really has had any power. But they've both actually found ways to get on base quite a bit. And I know Lyle took some of my Solano comments the other day and did a whole post on his marine layer deal about just how good Solano's been recently.
I kind of thought about what we talked about.
I thought there might be some credit. I thought there might be a little credit thrown my way.
No, he's never going to give us
I thought there might, I always try to credit you when you have things that make me think. I thought you might say something like my good friend Mike Salk was talking about how Solano has had better at bats, etc.
Let me just do it right. Let me just do it right here.
Nothing.
Hashtag Salk was right.
No, not right. No. I don't care about being right.
Oh.
Just like, hey, Salk made me think about this, and here's the digging that I did.
Do you need me to play a reel of the shots you guys take at Lyle when you're like, I wonder why he doesn't want to give us credit?
Well, we take some shots at him, but when he has good things, we give him credit for it, too. We're very fair. We're very fair-minded.
Salk started the train,
I will say. All right, that's nice to hear. Thanks, buddy.
Here's the second thing you need to know.
It's not the same on the radio. I really need it on social media. That's where my cred is. That's where I need cred. Logan Evans sent down yesterday. Whatever cred he earned was tremendous, and it may help him for his future. It may help him with another team if and when they do decide to deal him. But it was time because Bryce Miller's coming back, and you wanted to get Jackson Kowar on the roster for a couple extra days. It's what you do, right? You send down that guy who, Brock, you brought it up a few times, just has a unfortunate, hasn't been built up the same way.
That's right. And he's thrown now 60-some innings. What's a good high water mark this year? 120, 130 innings?
Sure.
More than likely between them?
Yeah, that sounds right.
Yeah. I know on the surface, it's like, how can you possibly do this? And then George struggles. Oh, my gosh, make the right. No, this is.
You should have seen the text machine
processes.
we walked into this
morning.
I'm
sure. Yep. Yep.
It's tough. It's a tough look, but I totally understand why they did it. What I don't understand, I'm good on that move. My struggle is with just bringing Kirby back in general. I'm fine with the move you made yesterday. I get that. It's the Kirby thing. I just feel like they rushed him back, and I would have given him some more time kind of warming back up to this.
You know what else is going to be a bad look? When the Vikings slaughter the Kangaroos this weekend.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah.
Puyallup versus Lake Washington?
You better believe it. And we could be talking about a national champion Puyallup team. Not just a state champion. That's the caliber that they have built that program.
Wait, is this a Lyle Brock?
Yeah.
It is.
School matchup? Okay.
It's going to be a low-scoring game, too, because Lake Washington's got a D1 commit throwing in this game that's got an 0.1 ERA on the year.
Jeez.
But Puyallup's got somebody who might be even better.
Man. I thought you were going to bring up the guys in AAA who were just mashing last night. 5 hits for Cole Young last night. 3 hits, I think, for Tyler Locklear. Harry Ford had a bunch of hits and a home run. Where were they playing that game?
Here?
Tacoma. Oh, I assumed it was like, Albuquerque, where the ball they scored 19 runs. Those guys were on fire last night.
Here's the third thing you need to know.
Seahawks have, you know what? We've gone through this too many times. I don't want to go through it. That's everything
Let's
you
just
need
talk
to know.
about Mark Weiss and the job he's done in Puyallup. Building
Okay.
up a
I don't want to do that
power.
either. No, I said, Brock, I
think
want you
Mike
to
finally,
hear this.
Yeah. Well, what?
I'm trying. You're leaving a few minutes early. I got a whole bunch of things I need to do. And I thought we'd have a moment or two here to play you this sound that I know you loved. So I want to play this for you. This is from Paul Maurice, who is the head coach of the Florida Panthers that won the Stanley Cup last year. Yesterday, they eliminated Carolina, whose head coach is Rod Brindamore, the Bod, who was a great player in his day.
Gentleman sweep.
And they beat them 4-1. Came back yesterday. They're just a better team. And afterwards, of course, they did the whole handshake line, which they do. And they asked him, because he and Brindamore were having a conversation away from the handshake line, what that was all about, because it looked sort of animated.
I don't know where it changed. When I first got in the league.
Let me go back, because the whole thing is like 2 minutes. I only have about 30 seconds here. He starts by saying, we were talking about the fact that I don't like having the coaches in the handshake line.
The coaches and staff. It'd be one thing if it's just a coach.
Right.
It's the entire staff.
It's too many people.
And you can't have just a coach. Yeah, it's 10, 15, 20 people.
And he's saying that it's not fair to the players. They're shaking hands with all these people. They don't even know who they are. That's not the original purpose of the whole handshake line. And then he goes into some greater depth.
I don't know where it changed. When I first got in the league, you would never go shake the players. Now, some coach wanted to get on camera. It's the only thing I can figure out, right? And there's I don't know, maybe you want to shake Wayne Gretzky's hand or something. I don't know when it changed, but I don't think it's right. I think there's a really nice, kind of beautiful part of our game when just the players shake hands at the end. When you think of all the wars, that's not the right word, all the great competitions on the ice, I mean, hard, going after each other, and yet they shake hands like that. That's special.
Totally agree. I mean, I was just like nodding along like Boy Howdy used to do in that other room. So it just have the players, the combatants that are out on have the coaches separately if they want to do it separately, right? Because those guys, they're the ones, the coaches and staff, that schemed and went at it their own ways, doing what they could do to prepare their teams. They can shake their hands separately.
Yeah, I get what he's saying. I think that the other side of it is you get the moment like you had a few weeks ago with the coaches talking to the guy's dad, guy whose dad had just died. Like, I don't necessarily mind it either way. What I appreciated was his reasoning behind it.
So
I think you could make reasoning the other way, too, that would have value. The handshake line is just so special, and I like how thoughtful he is. He starts to say war and then realizes, hey, wait, that's inappropriate. That's not the right thing. I don't mean war. I mean combat. Okay, great. He talks about how, hey, if I wanted to talk to Brindamore and I wanted to talk to you guys about it, because if we don't shake hands and we don't tell you, then everyone says, how come you guys weren't shaking hands? You were being rude. He kind of seems to have a pretty good understanding. And not that he's mad about it. He's just willing to explain it the right way. I thought that was pretty cool.
Really, really well done. Really well done. And you know, this is a different analogy, but it's kind of like in the NFL when you played on the road, Salk, and you played in some of these rinky-dink stadiums before they've been updated and had a separate locker room for the coaches, and the players had to shower with the coaches. It was the same thing. Like, this is very uncomfortable.
You had to shower with the coaches?
Oh, gosh.
We had to do that in high school.
Salk, images that I still, to this day, can't
Mr.
get out.
Tower, man. I told you before, though, we had there when I was in high school, and I know people like to talk about my Silver Spoon High School, but in the boys' locker room, there was open stalls. There were open stalls for pooping. Open. So occasionally you would walk in to like wash your hands or whatever, and you would see one of the coaches, because none of the kids would ever use it, but one of the
Lyle
coaches
literally just took his headphones off.
Dude, it's the worst thing I've ever seen. I cannot believe this existed. It's one thing that we had, 15 people in a shower. Fine. They had open stalls.
Did they at least have side doors, like side walls? It was just toilets?
They had side walls.
Because in Nebraska,
well, maybe
back
they
in the
didn't.
Day,
Maybe they didn't.
So in Nebraska, back
disgusting.
in the day, it was just toilets in the pee trough.
Absolutely disgusting. Absolutely freaking disgusting.
Four down territory. Going inside the game with former Cougs and Seahawks wide receiver Michael Bumpus.
What's the hardest thing for coaches when it comes to OTAs?
Offensive line and defensive line evaluation. There are guys who are going to get cut after OTAs, and you really don't know what they can do. It's all about the mental. Can they pick up the box and do the right things when it comes to blocking? But OTAs, I feel bad for the O-line coach, the D-line coach. There's nothing for you there. There's a little bit, but it's not like on the outside of the perimeter.
Four down territory. Every day at 11:15 and 1:15 on Bump and Stacy.
All right, we are, all right, not today, but yesterday and certainly tomorrow and into the weekend, summer kind of feel. We know we're getting close to summertime here, so you're thinking about the beach, the barbecues, the golf, the vacation, everything else you look forward to this time of the season. And then you're going to take pictures and you want to look and you want to feel your absolute best. And Eastside Weight Loss Clinic can help. Trust me, you can do this fast. I lost 15 pounds in 2 weeks. I lost 35 pounds in 8 weeks and just felt great, looked great. There's time. What are you waiting for? Schedule a 15-minute, no-obligation consult right now. Go to eastsideweightlossklinik.com. You'll get safe, healthy, sustainable weight loss. And what I love about it is it's real food. You just buy food at the grocery store, but they'll give you great recipes and the exact right amounts, when to eat it. It just works, and you're not hungry while you're going through it. You will lose real weight. The secret? Well, you got to call them. 15-minute call. It's all it takes. Go to eastsideweightlossklinik.com. That's eastsideweightlossklinik.com. Dr. Ryan Coogan, D.C. Results may vary.
Get in the zone, AutoZone. Welcome to Bundle Deal Days at AutoZone.
Well, I do need a bundle of things.
When you bundle, you save.
Do I save if I bundle oil with an oil filter?
Save up to $12 on that bundle.
What about brake pads and rotors?
Bundle those and the brake pads are free.
Can't save more than free.
You can save on hundreds of deals during Bundle Deal Days. Ends June 2nd at AutoZone. Get in the zone, AutoZone. Restrictions apply. Duralast brake pads only.
During National Military Appreciation Month, we at University of Maryland Global Campus say thank you to the service members, veterans, and families who dedicate their lives to our country. We are deeply grateful. For over 75 years, UMGC has proudly served the military community, from installations overseas to the communities you call home. Wherever you serve, we stand with you. Learn more at umgc.edu/thanks. Certified to operate in Virginia by Chev.
Welcome to AutoZone. What are you working on today?
My car is making this noise. Sometimes it's like doot doot, and sometimes it's like grrr.
Do you have a dash light on?
Oh yeah.
Then we don't have to listen for clues. With the free Fix Finder service, we can read a check engine, ABS, or maintenance light to find the likely fix and even recommend a local shop if you need one.
So you don't need to hear the grrr.
Not with Fix Finder. Everything you need, nothing you don't. Get in the zone, AutoZone. Restrictions apply.
I'm Ed Evans, CEO of Consumer Cellular. No, we're not one of the big guys. Truth is, we don't want to be. If you're over 50, Big Wireless probably has you paying for more data than you might need. You could be throwing away thousands over a lifetime. We're not here to be the biggest. We're here to bring you something we believe is better. Our plans start at just $20. You'll get the same fast nationwide coverage without the big wireless bill.
Call 1-888-FREEDOM, visit consumercellular.com/fax or a store near you. Plans include $5 credit for auto pay and e-billing. See site for additional facts.
Motorcycle accident cases require a thorough investigation by a team of experienced legal professionals if they have any chance of being successful. Insurance companies, juries, and even the police tend to assume the worst about motorcycle riders. Get help from an experienced team of attorneys that have successfully resolved hundreds of motorcycle accident cases over the past 30 years. Call Davis Law Group for a free legal consultation or get my free book on motorcycle accidents at WashingtonAccidentBooks.com. That's Davis Law Group, better service and even better results.
The home of the Mariners.
One hopper, snare that short. Not a quick hop by J.P. Crawford. That guy's a magician over there at shortstop.
Seattle Sports.
Download the Seattle Sports app.
Hey, Brock Ewart here for my friends over at Xfinity. You know, change is always happening. It's part of life. And when it comes to music, we know that change is all around us. Songs are rewritten and remade. Classics are remixed. Bands and artists, well, they come and go. Even our taste in music, as we get older, can change a bit. But no matter how things change in 5 years, there's one thing that will stay the same, and that is the price of your internet. That's right. Xfinity is introducing a 5-year price guarantee. It means you get 5 years of the most reliable Wi-Fi with their best equipment included for a price that stays exactly the same. Are you surprised? Well, life is full of them. One internet price, 5 years, guaranteed. Learn more at Xfinity.com/deals. Now, restrictions apply. New residential customers only. Taxes and fees extra and subject to change. Most reliable Wi-Fi based on Open Signal Awards USA. Fixed Broadband Experience Report, August of 2024. Go check it all out right online at Xfinity.com/deals.
Hey, Riverside Roofing is offering $1,000 off a new replacement right now. That's huge. $1,000 off. Quite the incentive for homeowners to book their roof replacement right now. It's Mike Salk here, and it really is a great time to do it. These days are getting long, right? Sunsets after 8 o'clock. Crews can get your roof done quick. So take advantage now before demand spikes this summer, making those repairs costly and time-consuming as well. Here's what you got to do to claim your $1,000 off from Riverside Roofing. Book a free estimate from the website, riversideroofingllc.com, and then you'll meet with Brandon, that's Don's son. Just tell him you heard the message here on the radio station. $1,000 back in your pocket, and yes, a brand new roof over your head. And while you're there, ask Brandon about their 35 years of local experience, GAF Master Elite certification, which puts them in the top 3% of roofers in the nation, and of course the catch-all system, which they use to keep your yard and driveway totally free of debris like nails or shingles. Go to riversideroofingllc.com. Remember, Riverside Roofing is the roofing company you can trust.
From the Quantum Fiber Studio.
This is Brock and Salk.
Weekdays 6 to 10.
On Seattle Sports and 97.3 FM HD2.
All right, we just have a few more minutes here today. Bump and Stacy, of course, coming up at 10 o'clock. I'll be back tomorrow. G will be in and have sort of our usual assortment of Friday fun with phone calls and everything else. Maybe we'll be a good opportunity to take stock with you guys of where the Mariners are at. 1/3 of the way through the season as of today, exactly 1/3. So anything you want to do to look at how it projects, all you got to do is triple it, which makes it pretty easy. And I don't know, maybe you should wait to the halfway mark, but Brock, I don't know, we had a little time today. So I thought, why not give out some awards for the 1/3 mark of the season? And you can help me with them because I feel confident about a few, but others, I think there's a couple of different, I think there's a debate to be had. Mm-hmm. So we'll run through these. I'll start with the MVP. I hope there's not a lot of debate here. I think we all know who the MVP is of the first third of this season. If it's not Cal Raleigh, I don't know who it is.
Yeah, I mean, the only conversation is Andres Munoz, but that's it, and it's a very different job. It's a guy doing it every single day. By the way, while Hembo was on speed dial and fast talk and Big Fat Greek Wedding and trying to get a word in or two or 1,000, I did look at Cal Raleigh. And I know it's not 162 games, Salk, but dude's played a lot of games the last 2 years, and he's played through a lot of injuries. Do you know that his August and September is his highest OPS month of his career?
Good.
Now, August is the lowest, right, in those dog days in August, and that's probably where more of that wear and tear has come. Mm-hmm. But an 817, when you talk about, hey, man, is this guy going to have enough?
Back around.
Yeah, is this guy going to have enough gas in the tank in the final month of the season? Now, in those seasons, it was 150-some games, and it was 119, then 145, and last year was 153 games.
Yeah.
So he caught a lot of games and ended up finding kind of a second win into September, the last.
I would like him to be around 145 to 150. Like, I think that's a very reasonable number for Cal, high 140s. But in order to get there, that means that in the next 2/3 of the season, you've got to give him 12 days off, 14 days off, something like that. And so because you didn't use any of the first third of the season for it, I think it does make it a little harder now on the back end.
You've had kind of a few injuries that you've had to deal with in the first third of this season that also probably played a role.
You think so?
Yeah, I think so. And a lack of production from a number of people, certainly from a power standpoint. You mentioned Garver and Solano. Those two have combined for kind of one home run.
Well, Brock, I appreciate you are right about the September numbers, and certainly it was true last year. After a rough August where he really struggled, a 910 OPS last year. So really a tremendous job by Cal bouncing back. But he's clearly the MVP. I can't imagine anybody would have any debate whatsoever. Cy Young, I think, is pretty clear. Again, this is just sort of a team Cy Young. I'm not obviously looking at the rest of the league. I would assume it's Brian Wu. I mean, he's been the one member of the rotation who's gone 6+ innings in every single start. He's the only guy who's done that in the whole league.
That's right. That's right. He has been your absolute workhorse and war daddy, and however you want to, whatever word you want to use to describe him. He's been your Cy Young, and you needed him with Logan's injury and Bryce's injury and George's injuries. And, you needed somebody to just absolutely rise to the occasion, and he's done more than just that. He's been awesome.
So there's no real debate there, right? I mean, obviously, he's the only member of the rotation who's been healthy the entire season other than Luis. And Castillo's been good. I mean, he's had his moments, but he certainly hasn't been as good as Brian Wu has been. And, in order for a reliever to win that, they have to put up the kind of numbers Munoz has put up, but you also need, I think, a little bit of a hole in the rotation for them to slide in. And I think Wu has been so good that I don't really see that. So, okay, so we all agree. Any disagreement from the other room? Your MVP is Cal, right? Your Cy Young Award winner.
So Lyle, you're going to get nothing out of Lyle.
Oh, really?
Shook. Your last story before we went to break, it just shook him. He had to take his headphones off.
It was disgusting. So awful.
It's just too much.
All right, but Lyle, you agree. If you're given a Team Cy Young Award right now, it goes to Brian Wu, right?
Yeah, we're 3 for 3 on these first 3.
Okay, well, and the next one to me is the Rolaids reliever. I mean, obviously.
Oh, I was factoring this in.
Yes, that's Munoz. Yeah, I mean, he still hasn't given up a run, really, right? I mean,
Rolaids still sponsor that?
I don't know, but if they don't, they should. I always like the Rolaids relief. I think they might still sponsor that. Do they not?
I don't know.
Why?
Lyle, do you know what Rolaids are?
Just keep going. Keep going.
You don't know what Rolaids are?
Nope.
Really? They do still sponsor. Oh no, they stopped. Do you know when they stopped sponsoring it?
79.
They started sponsoring it in 76. Do you know when they stopped sponsoring the Rolaids Relief Award?
Before Lyle was born or after?
After. Well after.
All right.
2012.
I'm looking at it now. Is it essentially Advil?
No. It's like Tums or that type of stuff. It's
relief.
Yeah, acid relief for your stomach, heartburn, that type of stuff. Well, in any event, the Rolaids Relief Award that hasn't been given out in 13 years would be given out this year to Andres Munoz because he's been that good. So, all right, those 3 were fairly obvious. I thought maybe they still gave it out. Strange. Did they not make Rolaids anymore? Why are you laughing so hard at this?
I have so many jokes that
Why?
I can't share. No, my filter's up. And then secondly, that Lyle has no idea what Rolaids are.
But he knows what Tums is. Has Tums overtaken Rolaids? Because I thought they were just competitors.
No, I think so.
Okay. It's not a space that I'm in. I take Nexium every day. I don't need any of that stuff. I take that on a regular basis. So, all right. I've mentioned this before. In Boston growing up, all 4 teams would give out the 10th player, 6th player, 12th player award for the player that most exceeded expectations. There's a long way to go in this season. But if you have to give it to one player for the first third of the season, who has most exceeded your expectations?
Can this be a pitcher as well?
Could be any player on the team.
Any player on the team.
Yeah, I've got 5 nominees, and I honestly don't know who I'd give it to, and maybe you'd add one more. Here's who I would nominate. Polanco, Dylan Moore, Brian Wu. I would put Vargas on that list because I expected nothing, and Cal. Those would be my 5 nominees. Is there anyone else you would put on that list?
I'd have to put Emerson Hancock on that.
Okay,
list.
yeah, you could definitely. Sure, I had no problems with that at all.
Body of work and what he's done and the steps he's taken and the added velocity.
I think that's totally fair.
Yeah.
Totally fair.
Probably throw Legumina on there.
Sure. Okay. Put Legumina on there. All right.
Well, this has been the beauty of this team, and this is how, as Hembo was talking about them treading water through all these injuries, the beauty of the team is Rivas for 2 weeks had a stretch. Williamson for 2 weeks had a stretch. Mastroboni for a couple weeks has had a stretch. A bunch of them, right, have had their stretches, but over the whole third of the season, it becomes this becomes a hard one to put one crown on.
I know.
Guy.
Yeah.
I think I would say Vargas. I think Vargas, watching him in spring, I thought he was going to be cut. Why did you keep this guy up? He's got no options. So, yeah, and he's come in some big moments as far as exceeding beyond anything. I didn't even think he was going to be part of the team.
Yeah.
And the fact that he's been one of your leveraged guys and been pretty darn good to boot, I'd probably have to put Vargas.
How about you, Lyle? Who'd you go with? Most exceeded expectations.
I mean, Casey, again, like I know I bring up Legamina a lot, but this is a guy that really had not had any big league track record, and he's not quite in that Stecken rider bucket yet, but I think the bullpen looks a lot different without him right now.
Maura, you got someone on your mind for most exceeding your expectations?
I mean, I would probably go with the bullpen too, and Vargas.
I think those are all good answers, and Vargas would be high on my list, probably higher than Legamina. I actually had higher expectations. I thought Legamina was going to make the team and not Vargas. I still would give it to Jorge Polanco, and I know that obviously the last month has been awful, but he was so. Brock, I expected nothing. I mean, I expected zero.
People were unenthusiastic about his return.
He carried the team for the first month of the season when they were at their best. I would go with him, and I would probably put Dylan Moore second on my list, but I got no problems with any of those answers. I think they're all pretty valid. Like, all those guys have exceeded in different ways. Gold Glove? If you have to give one Gold Glove for this team right now, who's been their best defender?
Julio.
That's what I think.
Yes.
I mean, Cal, I guess, is also the other guy who's the Platinum Glove Award winner, obviously, last year. So I certainly wouldn't have any problems with Cal. Dylan Moore's defense has not been as good this year, I think, as it was a year ago. Ben Williamson, for all of the talk, I think it's been good, not quite great. And the throws have not been quite as confident as maybe I thought they would be. That's been a little bit of a surprise, and I kind of hope they get that cleaned up. JP's been better defensively. Like, their defense in general has been better than expected.
Yep.
But I think Julio's defense has been spectacular.
Unbelievable. And just the joy. And even last night, a couple plays there, coming in on a ball, almost overrunning the ball, but just unbelievable legs, unbelievable speed. When the ball is in the air, you're surprised, right? You're just kind of surprised when either he or Tavares has been playing an awesome right field as well. Both of those guys cover so much stinking ground. But yeah, Julio's your Gold Glove winner.
I would think so. And it's funny because his season has been okay. I mean, it hasn't been terrible. He's got 10 home runs. He's on pace for 30. But it obviously has not been kind of superstar level. The defense is the reason why that WAR is as high as it is. I mean, he's just been pretty phenomenal, I think, in the outfield. And then I made up an award for the best newcomer. Who's been your favorite or best newcomer this year?
What do you call the award? Roll age relief. What are we going with?
I don't have a name for it yet. I'll take suggestions via the text line, I guess. I don't have a name for the newcomer award.
Fred Savage Award winner.
Fred Savage?
Are you just doing from a different team or being called up as well?
New to this roster. Yeah, you could be called up. Sure. New to the big league team is fine. Sure. Who you got?
Logan Evans. Logan Evans, just some awesome stuff. Awesome first start, awesome last start. Giving him a chance every start out. I would say, yep, Logan Evans. And Lawrence, if you're listening right now, I'm awarding your son. I know he's in Tacoma. I know he got sent down yesterday, but I'm going to go Logan Evans on that. Wonder Year's Newcomer of the Year award winner.
I mean, he's going to be mine. So, yeah, I'm going to double down.
I thought you might go Legamina after all of your excitement for the 10th player award. So, no, you're going with going with Evans as well. All right, that's easy for you too. Maura, do you have a favorite newcomer?
Donovan. No, I'm just kidding. Everyone, our text line's always so mean to him.
No,
I think even though he got off to a hot start and has tapered off, Ben Williamson, the defense is still good.
He'd be on my list. I think regardless of how he's played, his presence has made this roster a lot better. It's settled everything down.
You know what? There's certain times, and Julio came up as a rookie and never looked like a rookie. Right? We've been fortunate to see, obviously, Cal got sent down, but even just kind of presence-wise, Williamson looks like the new kid in class. Just from an aura standpoint, like a Riz standpoint. Like he actually
so
runs like
yourself.
a rookie. He looks like a rookie, right? And he should. I mean, he's a young guy trying to find his footing. This is not ripping Williamson at all. But you do see, and you do look at him, and my gosh, he looks like he's 19 years old. Like, he just looks young.
Yeah.
And at times still playing young. And oh, by the way, while doing so, he's been competent. Right? He's not been like...
I think he's been more than competent. The at-bats, I mean, he doesn't always deliver, but his at-bats have always been professional. He does go the other way pretty often, comes up with hits. That curveball he hit to right field the other day I thought was an excellent piece of hitting. Like, I've been pretty darn impressed. I would give him I'm with you, Maura. I would give it to Ben Williamson. And again, he hasn't been perfect, and the results haven't always been exactly what you've wanted. But I think just a right-handed bat at third base every day has just allowed the rest of this lineup to function. It's allowed Dylan Moore to be your Ben Zobrist and play all over the map. It's allowed Jorge Polanco to not see the field at all, even though I'm sure he's totally healthy. He's not seeing the field at all. He's not batting left-handed or right-handed either, rather, but he's just totally healthy. He's all totally fine. But having Ben Williamson allows all of that. And by the way, against the lefties, right? He's been a right-handed bat that's allowed you to kind of put everyone in the right place against those lefties so that Luke Raley goes out and it's not a problem and you don't need to play Tellez against lefties. So I'm with Mora. I would give it to Ben Williamson.
Yeah, I don't know what this team would look like, honestly. I don't know what they would look like without him being able to be functional in that spot. Right, to play not extraordinary defense. And I know the next level stuff as far as range and run saved is not really, at least when I looked at that a couple weeks ago, is not overwhelming in any way, but he's just been stable. And they needed that. They needed that stability amidst all the other injuries and all the other roster upheaval and all the other challenges to just kind of have a rookie come in there and at least be stabilizing. That's been a part of this first place run they've been on in the first 30.
Yeah, I like the battle.
Well.
I like the grit. I like sort of the battle that he shows. So those are my awards that I came up with, and thanks for your input on them. Just kind of looking at where you're at. All those are subject to change. That's just what they've done, obviously, in the first third. Things could be totally different. Logan Gilbert could come back here in a week or two and just totally dominate, and at the end we'll say, yeah, no, he was the ace. He was the Cy Young Award winner. He's the guy with the, sort of difference-making stuff when it's all said and done. I am looking forward to seeing what Matt Brash has in the next couple of weeks as he gets onto a little bit more of a normal schedule and becomes that second huge leverage guy that they need. Yeah, there's some intrigue there. Brock, I know you got to go in a minute.
Yes.
How long do you have? Do you have
By
1
the
minute?
way, not to be sentimental, but this could be my last broadcast game ever. I mean, not to be overly dramatic or sentimental, but contract is up with Fox, and obviously I'm walking away from it to go do coaching the next few years. It is kind of, this might be it right here.
Well, how great it is then that
So
your
take it in
your
Friday
final
night,
broadcast is a UFL game that 7 people are going to watch. That stinks.
Yes.
That's too bad.
That's all right. The Mountain West Championship was a pretty good way to go.
That was a good
with
way to go.
Ashton and Benetti and all the rest of them.
Good.
So,
Let me ask you one quick question. I know you got to run to get to your plane, and then we'll finish the debate without you. But we started this conversation before you jumped on this morning. I started to say that the Mariners, through a third of the season, have had a lot of good fortune because of all of the guys that have hit maybe better than expected, right? Polanco's first month, and JP's been better than you thought, and Williamson's come up, and Dylan Moore's had a much better year than he has the last few years. You got all these guys that have sort of exceeded expectations, and my initial I was about to say, hey, they've been pretty fortunate. And then as I was saying it, I was like, wait a minute. They've had all of these injuries, right? 3 guys in your starting rotation, and obviously your right fielder and Luke Raley. Like, that's 5 pretty key injuries that they've dealt with, which is probably 2 or 3 more than you would expect. Have the Mariners been more fortunate or unfortunate through the first third of this season?
I'm going to say unfortunate. To land on that one, because it's not as if you have seen 2 months of Polanco. He's regressed. It's not as if you've seen 2 months of JP. It started slow and right now is in a little one of those valleys. Like, it's just kind of the ups and downs. It's not as if Julio has been Superman. Now, Cal has been, arguably the best catcher in the first third of any season in the history of baseball of what he has done. So, he is one that you would put into that silo. But the number of injuries, lost, the amount of movement, playing more players. Like, to me, it's actually, it could be just a tremendous positive. We could be looking at the next third of the season, Salk, right, when decisions are going to be made at the trade deadline where you have immense resources, right? And we could look back at that and go, man, that was a really, really cool deal.
Yeah, I know you got
hard as it was,
I'll let you go
with all the twists and turns, honestly. But that could be setting you up. I've seen seasons, seen it in different sports, right? Where you get guys that emerge, and you're like, man, I didn't know I had that, and they took advantage of that opportunity. And Logan Evans and Emerson Hancock and these young guys.
Yeah, I would be curious. Brock, I know you got to run. Go. Thank you. We'll see you on Monday, and we'll do a little Blue 88 tomorrow, which is good. But I'd be curious with the text line things. 866-979-3776. You think the Mariners have been more fortunate or unfortunate so far this year? Because there has been some fortune. The AL West is down. We've seen moments where, you go to Cincinnati and you miss their best pitcher, and you go to Houston and you miss their best. Like, we've seen some of those. We've seen guys, I think, hit in a way that probably is more than I would expect them to over the course of the rest of the season. I think they've lucked into a couple of things in their bullpen, et cetera. There have been a bunch of games where they've made questionable decisions, as we've said, during the game, and yet it's worked out for them because, the guy executes in a way that kind of belies some of the decision or process behind it. But obviously you look at those injuries and you're like, man, that is a lot of man hours missed. Now, flip side of that again is that you kind of have to expect pitcher injuries at some point, right? The two injuries that are maybe more unfortunate, because the pitcher injuries are going to happen. Quite frankly, you could look at it and say they're lucky that the 3 pitcher injuries they've had, none of them have been season ending. They've all missed only a small amount of time, considering the kind of disaster that can often befall a pitching staff or a pitcher. The two most unfortunate to me are actually the Robles and Raley injuries. Those would be the two most unfortunate to me. And, what are you going to do? Do you think they've been more fortunate or more unfortunate, or does it all work out the same? They've just kind of been right where they should be.
Oh, you're asking me?
Yeah, I'm asking you.
I'm trying to think through it. I mean, they've been unfortunate with the injuries they've suffered, but as a result, they've been fortunate because as a result of the injuries, they haven't just free fallen. They're in a division and a league that is really weak this year.
Yeah, and I would say that, well, yes, there is some bad fortune in the injuries. They prepped for them very well, right? Like, I don't think they were lucky that they had Logan Evans and Emerson Hancock. Like, that was good planning. I don't put that in the fortune category. I give them credit for that. That's not luck. That's not timing. That's not, hey, you happen to get a good month of this guy here, a bad month there. That to me is all kind of, shakes out in the wash of baseball. But they prepped for the fact that they might have a couple of pitcher injuries this year, and I think they actually prepped pretty well for it.
Yeah, and you know what? They very clearly needed a right fielder with the Robles and Raley injuries, and they jumped on Leody Taveras.
Mm-hmm. I would give them some credit for that as well. A lot of, let me see some of the answers. More fortunate because in all of their misfortune, they're still 6 games over 500. More fortunate, exceeding expectations. They've been unfortunately recently. Yeah, guys, kind of all over the map. Maybe we'll dig a little deeper into that tomorrow. Might be something for phone calls tomorrow morning as well. Bump and Stacey are coming in next. I see Bump. He's on his way in. He's going to be mad because I went out and played golf yesterday on an 85-degree day, and poor guy had to come in here and talk to you guys for 4 hours. Stinks. So nice yesterday. Tomorrow, G. Scott for sure. Maybe someone else to talk some baseball. I'm not sure yet. Just this game today, Lyle, you're absolutely right. See how I give you credit for that? Lyle, you're absolutely right. Huge game tonight for the Mariners. Really kind of changes the way you view where they're at right now, how they do tonight, more so than any of the last few games we've seen recently. So see if they can turn it on against a very good pitcher, Mackenzie Gore. They're going to need Emerson Hancock to be his best, that's for sure. We'll see you guys at 6 a.m. tomorrow. Stick around for Bump and Stacey, and the hay is in the barn. See you, everybody.
Get to the chopper!
Bump and Stacey, weekdays 10 to 2.
He's just eating right now.
Okay.
Cal Raleigh.
I like that.
How about that?
He's in his zone right now, and he's doing it from both sides of the plate, which is the most impressive thing. And he's played every single day, even on his day off.
You do think, like, are you going to get days off? I mean, you're hanging on to Garver to give Cal days off.
Right.
That's the one fear I have with Cal's season so far is like, hey, let's get this guy some time.
Bump and Stacey, weekdays 10 to 2 on Seattle Sports, the app, YouTube, and your smart speaker.
Get 0% financing for 72 months on Cat compact construction equipment at NC Machinery. Built for performance, durability, and comfort. Buy now and take advantage of 0% financing for 72 months at NC Machinery.
Upgrade your home cooling before the summer heat with Home Comfort Alliance and save up to $6,000 while taking 18 months to pay with 0 interest. Visit HomeComfortAlliance.com. That's HomeComfortAlliance.com.
Free consultations, no fee guarantees, 5-star reviews. JP Pendergast with Pendergast Law explains the importance of going beyond these familiar offerings.
Accident victims want an attorney, Tom, that satisfies their needs. Someone who handles those needs with the highest degree of care. Pendergast Law offers the no-fee guarantees and free consultations, but these only scratch the surface.
Okay, explain more.
We make sure that every member of our team is genuinely passionate about helping others. Customer service and communication are our top priority. It's how we take care of our clients so they always feel one step ahead of the insurance companies. Our strong reputation for high standards provides comfort and confidence when it's needed most.
Pendergast Law offers the free consultations, the no-fee guarantees, and of course, they are 5-star rated. But what really makes them different is their genuine passion for helping others. I can't recommend them enough.
If you or a loved one has been injured in a car accident, call Pendergast Law. We can help.
That's PendergastLaw.com.
Hey, Mike Salk here, and great news. This August, luxury awaits at Snoqualmie Casino and Hotel. Yes, the hotel is finally opening. You can book now for an unforgettable summer experience at snocasino.com. Breathtaking views of the Cascades in Snoqualmie Valley, an expanded non-smoking gaming floor, awesome destination spa, a 2,000-seat entertainment space and convention center, and yes, new food venues, restaurants as well. You can book at snocasino.com. Seattle's closest. It's now Snoqualmie Casino and Hotel.
This is Matt Coker from West Coast Men's Health. Has Viagra stopped working for you? Do you hate the side effects? If you've taken Viagra for any length of time, you already know that pills are not the solution to ED. Here at West Coast Men's Health, we have a better approach to ED. Acoustic wave therapy creates blood flow circulation by safely removing the plaque in your arteries and restoring function naturally. No pills, no shots, no surgery. We can also treat Peyronie's disease. Our non-invasive treatment for ED is painless and highly effective. We have treated thousands of men just like you. Stop living with this problem and do something about it. Do yourself a favor, do your partner a favor, and call us today.
Call 206-519-6541. That's 206-519-6541. 206-519-6541. Online at westcoastmenshealth.com. HSA cards welcome and financing available.
Hey, it's Mike Rohn. If I have a choice, I like to do business with companies that actually stand for something. That's why I switched from Verizon to Pure Talk. No offense to Verizon, I'm sure they stand for something. I just don't know what it is. Pure Talk, on the other hand, is a veteran-owned company that supports our military in a big way, and I appreciate that. Yeah, I also appreciate unlimited talk and text and plenty of data for half the cost of the big guys. And I do like being on America's most dependable 5G network for just $20 a month. But what I really appreciate is no contract, no cancellation fees, and Pure Talk's commitment to handle all their customer service in this country. I saw it for myself. I went to Georgia, I got a tour of their headquarters, I met their CEO, and I talked to the same customer service folks that you'll talk to when you dial pound 250 and say keyword Mike Rowe. Switch today and save 50% off your first month when you dial pound 250 and say keyword Mike Rowe. Pure Talk. A wireless company that actually stands for something.
Get in the zone, AutoZone.
Welcome to Bundle Deal Days at AutoZone.
Well, I do need a bundle of things.
When you bundle, you save.
Do I save if I bundle oil with an oil filter?
Save up to $12 on that bundle.
What about brake pads and rotors?
Bundle those and the brake pads are free.
Can't save more than free.
You can save on hundreds of deals during Bundle Deal Days. Ends June 2nd at AutoZone.
Get in the zone, AutoZone.
Restrictions apply. Duralast brake pads only.
Progressive knows owning a home can be hard, but not always. Like when you're relaxing on your patio, enjoying a nice, quiet evening. So quiet. Except for the sound of the neighbor's party. Which you said you'd go to if you weren't busy. And your quiet night on the patio, that's not exactly busy, is it? Maybe you should just stay inside. At least Progressive's Home Quote Explorer lets you easily compare rates, so shopping for insurance is the easiest part of owning a home.